welcome in to the 2025 NFL Draft right here at U92 The Moose. Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the War Room. We have the entire crew ready to go. Myself, Brett Berner, and my co-host, Matt Foley, are ready to bring you non-stop coverage of the NFL Draft right here on YouTube. This is going to be so much fun. Matt, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this production. The most excited I've been probably all year for anything we've done our first year here in college. This is about to be special.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Morgantown, West Virginia, and we could not ask for a better group to be in the War Room for however long this draft goes. This draft is a stacked draft. We are here to bring you all the action, all the surprise picks, and all the great picks from this year. As Brett said, this is going to be a great day. We are here. It has been a long process. I have been mock drafting since January. We have come a long way, and now it is here, and hopefully the Giants do not mess up the pick.
Matt has 50 pages worth in his binder right here. At least. We are joined here in the U92 War Room. Everybody, if you want to go around, say your name really quick. If you have a headset on, we'll go around and say everybody else's name after that.
I guess I'll go first. I'm Andrew. Hi, Mom. Hi, Emma. How we doing?
I'm Connor. What's good? I'm DJ. Go Birds.
And then in the back we've got...
I'm other Connor. Hoo-day. I'm Ben. Go Birds.
I mean, and we've got some other people here. Hopefully they come to the...
How we doing, everybody? My name's RJ Rice, native Browns fan. Nico's upstairs. Let the madness begin.
Don Brusco here. Here we go, Steelers. Hopefully it's a good one.
And
I just realized this was like a lineup, like Andrew Hartlove, West Virginia.
yeah, like the NFL show.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football.
Matt, this is going to be a lot of fun. Roger Goodell is up on the podium doing his pre-introductions for the draft. It is being held in Green Bay, Wisconsin, right outside of probably the most historic field in the NFL in Lambeau. We are so excited to bring you non-stop coverage. Again, you are watching this on the U92 YouTube page. You can tune into the U92 main show on our radio stream at www.u92.com. And then also there's a Twitch stream going on of the main show upstairs. But you are currently watching the War Room, the live reaction show. It is going to be a lot of fun here, Matt.
Yes, it is. I'm wondering how long it's going to take Tennessee to send in the ticket. It has been mock draft for, I'd say a month now, that they are going to go with Cam Ward. I wonder how long it's going to be, and then the madness will begin. Now, Tennessee could pull some madness and maybe not pick Cam Ward. We're seeing some crazy energy from Green Bay right now. Clay Matthews is going crazy.
Clay Matthews just delivered a presidential announcement.
They are promoting Big Brothers Big Sisters, great organization, something that West Virginia teams often partner with, especially the Charleston Dirty Birds. They are a well-known partnership with that. But, man, guys, the NFL Draft's officially here. One of the most fun nights of the entire year. One of the biggest productions that we do all year. What are you guys looking forward to the most tonight?
I'm looking for the madness. I want to see some trades. I want to see some crazy stuff. Jacksonville has been rumored to be trading the pick. The Bears are now the favorite for Ashton Genty, the running back who has been the best player all college football season. If you cannot tell, I'm excited because this is where college and NFL football goes together. The two of the greatest sports on planet Earth is now on one day. And if you followed TCT, the West Virginia college football show, you know my love for Ashton Genty. I have been on the train since day one. Even if there was before a day one, I was there. I was in the preseason. I was heralding it. The clock is now live on Tennessee. They are ready to draft. I wonder how long it's going to take. But now, could we see Cam Ward? Could we see Travis Hunter? Maybe Abdul Carter.
Sanders.
Maybe Shador.
Jalen Milroe.
We could be seeing Lank in Tennessee.
Let a naysayer know.
This is going to be the big change here in this draft. This seems like, to me, Tennessee, the only pick that is a 99% guarantee of whose name is going to be called first, but it feels so good for the NFL draft, the first team officially on the clock. This is going to be so much fun, guys. Matt, I know you were talking about Ashton Denty. We know our host upstairs, Joey
Yes.
Bray. He knows the Bears are going to be a wagon.
We don't know what wagon.
What kind of wagon? An old rickety wagon or a golden wagon with steers in the front? We have
don't
no
know.
idea. But
Hey.
Ashton Genty would be an incredible start to that. But Genty is not available yet. Matt, you will be going upstairs for the presumed Ashton Genty
Yes,
pick
I will
whenever
be
he
up there.
goes.
I will be abandoning the war room. It is sad. I wish I could be down here. I wish I could be up there, down here and up there for that pick. But I am excited to see where he goes. As our good friend Joey Bray has said, the Bears will be a wagon. We don't know what wagon, but could they capitalize the offensive juggernaut that they have established this
Titans
season?
are on the phone.
The Titans are maybe sending in the pick now. They have 2 minutes have gone by so far, but we don't know. It looks like it might be Cam Ward. He's in the green room there in Green Bay. But could
Cam Ward is the first person.
Phone
The
to the
phone
ear.
is on the ear of Cam Ward after Tennessee calls it.
Titans
Feels
fans
like
look excited?
the Titans know what's about to happen.
They
Is-
know it. They all know it.
Yep.
The guy in the hockey mask is insane. I love it. I love it. Oh
Hey,
boy.
I mean, the Titans have been looking for a quarterback. It seems Will Levis has not been that option for them. But they could get the guy who's been the best quarterback all season, a Heisman finalist, led the nation in, I believe, yards, I think, this year. It was either him or Kyle McCord. But he has been electric all season, almost led Miami to a playoff spot for the first time in however long it's been. I think 2001 was the last time with that amazing superstar team. But this guy started out at Incarnate Word, then transferred to Washington State, and now at Miami for his final year. Balled out for Miami. Almost an ACC championship if they didn't collapse in the final 2 weeks. But some could say that's really not on him. That defense at Miami was not very good. But this Cam Ward is a dog. They're showing now Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders highlights. Could those two go off the board here? But it looks like it's going to be Cam Ward. He saw the phone call, and I think Titans fans are happy.
Alex Silverman, I know you're sitting over there in that back corner. I know you're a big ACC guy.
That's a good one, Brad. I like that one a lot. I will say I was a Cam Ward fan when he was at Wazoo. Unfortunately, I started this the whole Wazoo.
You actually had Cam Ward a Heisman favorite.
I did last year.
A little bit on the train for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Sylvie's been on this train for quite a long time. I do think it's interesting showing the Sanders highlights with the Titans on the clock. The pick is still not in currently
This is
for
weird.
Tennessee.
We saw the phone call, but no, Cam Ward has not been selected yet. It's a little interesting. I don't know what's taken so long. 4 minutes have gone by so far. We saw Cam Ward pick up the phone. I don't know what's going on.
Tennessee still on the phone, passing it around.
It looks like they made the pick.
Passing
The cameras are out, and
Maybe the
phone
footage
is
is a little
there.
behind.
The footage is probably definitely behind.
I want to mention that this is the first year since I think it said 1967 that every team owns their own first-round pick.
That is
That's another
true.
reason why I'm excited for the trades, because right now everybody has their own pick. But I mean, we mentioned before the Browns, the Giants could be trading up for a quarterback. I mean, this draft's gonna be so interesting. I'm so excited, guys.
I think what you said is weird because the Rams actually own their pick, which has been the surprising. the Rams normally don't own their pick in the first round, but hey, it's worked out for them. Sean McVay puts together a wagon of a team, as our good friend Joey Bray loves to say. They're going to be a wagon, and the Rams have done that. And it seems Sean McVay is one of those coaches that can literally make any player work. He's like Kyle Shanahan. He's like Andy Reid. They just make players work.
If I could send something, the Titans are. If there was a sure shot, it was going to be Cam Ward. Why in everything holy has it taken them 5 minutes to do it?
TV ratings.
TV ratings is a
There-
great answer, Matt.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
The pick is in.
Oh, here we go.
Pick is
here we
in.
go,
The
here we go.
pick
Okay.
is in.
I say 5 minutes and it just happens.
Hey, they wanted to put us on the edge of our
wanted to hit that
seats.
five-minute mark. And now.
Jalen Milroe.
And there is Cam Ward now showing up on the screen. The first pick of the 2025 NFL Draft is in officially. We are waiting to see who it's going to be. The camera is on Cam Ward. That does seem to be some teary eyes, Matt.
Yeah.
Why
It
show
seems
why
like-
show Sanders highlights, dude?
I don't know. Hey, they just want to put us on the edge of our seats. Like they want to boost those ratings. They want to we don't condone gambling at U92. They want to make the better swing. Vegas is probably making a lot of money right now of people changing their bets. But it looks like the pick is in. We should be hearing from Roger Goodell anytime now.
It is a magical moment when Goodell gets up to the podium. We will hear the first chime of the night, and one player's lives will be changed forever, being picked and dubbed a #1 overall selection in the NFL draft. When you pick up the pigskin at the young age of 5, these kids, this is what they dream about, laying in bed, looking up at their posters. This is where you want to be. The pick is officially in. We do have the stage shot. It seems that Goodell is about to make his walk to the stage. We will see how long this pick does take. They are still showing the Titans fans in the crowd.
They're really taking their time.
All right, we do have the stage shot.
Yep. I just want to get a chime.
He is not at the stand yet. Goodell now is making his way out for the first time tonight. The commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell.
There we go.
What a great sound.
With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward.
It is Cam
there you
Ward.
go.
Cam Ward is the first official pick of the 2025 NFL Draft.
Cam Ward goes off the board. The QB from Miami is now officially a Tennessee Titan. We know Luke Blaine upstairs is definitely on.
Why is everybody looking?
Why are we everybody on their phone here?
Jacksonville and the Browns.
The Browns are officially trading the second overall pick to the Jaguars.
Here we go! Here we go, RJ!
Let me look at this correctly before. Let me look.
The NFL draft
Yes,
on
it is official per Adam Schefter.
What are the terms? What are the terms?
Hold on. The NFL draft on
They did. Number 36, a fourth-round pick. Number 126.
Wow.
And the first-round pick of the Jaguars in 2026.
Oh my God.
Wow, Cleveland got a haul.
RJ, what do you have to say about this?
Something must have came up saying Travis didn't want to play in Cleveland. You do not take that low of an offer unless something comes out.
Really? You got three other.
Seems like a good trade.
You got a first round, a second round, in the fourth.
I was gonna say, the fact that you got an extra
What
first
this,
round is
and
crazy.
I'm going to put this out now. What this could mean is that Cleveland could stay pat at 33, take a quarterback, and you take one of the high running backs.
Does this mean Shadur could go 5? Do we think Shadur could go 5?
100%. Cleveland has been very adamant talking
There
about
has-
Shador Sanders. They said they really liked him, but not at the number 2 spot. Could this be Cleveland's way of getting their guy? Cam Ward officially holding up his Titans jersey. We don't want to take this moment away from Ward, but chaos comes early in the NFL draft. The Cleveland Browns have traded back from number 2. Matt, we had talked about this earlier this morning. This is big time early. And the consensus here in the room, you've got to think Jacksonville's going to get Travis Hunter.
You'd have to.
have
I don't know what they could do now. Like, unless they really like Abdul Carter and they want to jump the Giants for it. But I want to know what this does for the Browns at 5 and how this could affect the Bears. The Bears were the odds-on betting favorite. We don't condone gambling at U92, but maybe the Bears trade up. Could the Bears trade with the Patriots
they
or the
could.
Giants?
Anything can happen now.
Yeah.
Really.
You know, when you look at it,
What Connor just mentioned, and it's very correct. We've heard something earlier this morning. Cleveland was, if this were to happen, to trade down, there is a chance they trade down
Twice.
again
They could do
and
it
get
with
a
the
bunch
Bears.
of draft capital. It is very possible. Andrew Berry is known for stacking picks in his drafts. Don't know why, because he's not the greatest drafter, and I think that's shown over the years. But I really think for the Cleveland Browns, you are taking a gamble, passing on a generational talent like Travis Hunter. That would have been the number 2 pick. Jacksonville's going to pick him right here. There's been a lot of talk about offensive tackle at 5 for Cleveland, so they must like a Membu.
Yeah, I mean, this could really throw off the Jets and the Raiders, especially if the Bears trade up to get Genty.
you know, what else is really interesting is Cleveland is essentially saying, we know we're not a Travis Hunter away from being a competitive football team. This is a move for the future. And honestly, Jacksonville, you have a new GM, you have a new head coach. It's about as an aggressive a swing as you can make. You add arguably one of the most unique players we have seen come out of college in recent memory. I can't remember the last time we had a player legitimately say, I will be a contributor on both sides of the ball, and mean it, and say, I won't play football if that's not an option for me. And Jacksonville, seemingly, if they pick him here, is embracing that.
I love this pick too because in a lot of mock drafts, I mean, Tedero McMillan, I feel like in a lot of people's mock drafts, we're going number 5 to the Jaguars. At this point, the Jaguars are not only getting an elite wide receiver who could have been that McMillan type of player, but you're getting an elite cornerback too. I mean, obviously, if the Jaguars traded this much and they're going to take Travis Hunter, you have to anticipate that they plan on using him on both sides of the ball. Like he did at Colorado.
And real quick, we will go over this trade. The Jaguars receiving the 2025 second overall pick, a 2025 fourth, and a 2025 sixth. The Browns received the 2025 fifth overall pick, the 2025 second and fourth round picks, and a 2026 first round pick for Jacksonville to move up 3 spots. The pick is officially in now for Jacksonville, and the consensus in the room seems to be that the unicorn, Travis Hunter, is about to go off the board. Chaos already erupting in Green Bay. Let's see what the Jaguars do here. Roger Goodell about to make it to the podium.
I mean, right here it's saying that Jacksonville needs both a cornerback and a wide receiver. So that's that's 2 birds in 1 stone right there. That's actually insane. Jacksonville might have something here. I don't know.
Wonder if they traded up for Genty. What do you think? Think about that.
Could you imagine if they go for Genty here?
They wanted to beat the Bears to it. They were scared that the Bears might trade up and with the Patriots or the Giants to really like.
You're gonna have to book it upstairs if this is Genty.
I might have to book it.
Goodell goes up there and he says, Jalen Milroe.
You're gonna hear some loud footsteps up the stairs.
Adam Schefter saying he is hearing his insight that this is going to be Travis Hunter. The picture of him right there in his pink blazer in the Lowe's green room. This is going to be big, ladies and gentlemen.
One of you guys mentioned that the Twitter account for the Browns was very misleading. I mean,
Me and RJ were talking.
They definitely got us on that one. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
DJ, something to mention. There were 3 players that the Cleveland Browns posted. Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty.
Uh-oh.
That would be probably the boldest move Cleveland has made for a running back since Trent Richardson.
The pick is in. They seem very happy in the Jacksonville War Room.
They're definitely happy with whoever they got.
Especially if you think they might
Well, it still hasn't been re-signed yet either. Nick Chubb has not been re-signed. There's got to be. Four is the running back.
am I gonna have to buy a Browns jersey if that happens?
Automatically, chaos beginning early. The number 2 overall pick begins to trade. We had heard earlier in the day that the NFL expected, multiple GMs said that 2 and 3, it seemed like Cleveland and New York were very confident staying pat. Automatically, the big first swing of the draft happens. Jacksonville has moved to number 2, and Roger Goodell is making his way to the podium for the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 draft.
Here it comes. Walter Payton Man of the Year, Eric Armstead out there too.
While we are here tonight to celebrate the 32 young men entering the NFL, I'm honored to take a moment to recognize a player who's made a profound impact on and off the field. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes one player each year who best represents greatness and compassion both on and off the field and in the community. Tonight, we are proudly joined by the 2024 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Eric Armstead.
First off,
Forgot he's a Jaguar now.
Man
Duval.
of the people he is, huh?
Duval.
As Liam Cohen would say.
thank you to the Payton family and the NFL and Nationwide. And also, too, tonight I want to encourage each player embarking on the NFL journey to identify a passion close to their heart and act upon it. Use your platform to make your community, the league, and this world
RJ, you're killing me.
You wanted chaos.
You got what you
said
asked
were
for.
scared. Are you looking good scared now or are you bad scared right now?
He's got the Armstead with the card in hand.
Always entered the chat.
Boy.
I don't think it's going to be David Putney.
David Putney.
The second pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Big pancake guy in Seattle, Brett.
The second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay. Travis Hunter is officially a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Who would have expected?
I mean, you only trade up like that to get a one generational prospect. And now, the first Colorado player is off the board.
The number 1 player on my draft board and many other people's draft boards, Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / cornerback prospect, the unicorn, has been taken. The Jaguars move up to number 2 to get him. Now we await Hunter's walk to the stage, but this means, Matt, the New York Giants now are officially on the clock. Matt, we'll be heading upstairs into the U92 main show. Let's see what happens. Matt, better hope this trade doesn't get picked on your way up. Travis Hunter now with a grin on his face approaching the stage. He will grab his Jaguars hat. Jacksonville has been very adamant that they have fell in love with Hunter so far throughout this draft class, and now he is officially a Jacksonville Jaguar. The question is, did Hunter even suspect this was coming? Has this been a plan that has taken weeks to construct? Has this been something that has moved in the past couple days? Jacksonville takes the swing under new ownership. Travis Hunter, wide receiver cornerback out of Colorado, is a Jaguar. And you see him and Eric Armstead and Commissioner Goodell brace on the stage. This is our first big move of the night. Now with New York on the clock, we've got to think, guys, the Giants are going to go arguably best position available and take Abdul Carter here.
I mean, I think you'd be stupid if you didn't. I mean, the Giants, they need a quarterback outside or offensive tackle, the guard, cornerback, safety. If somehow Travis Hunter went down to 3, I think that's where you could definitely pick up Travis Hunter. But I think right now the best available player with your needs, I think you definitely go Abdul Carter. I don't think there's any question about it. You definitely go Abdul Carter.
Can we just make sure they don't pan the camera to Shedeur Sanders answering the phone? Can we just make sure that doesn't happen here?
If they go Abdul Carter,
I don't want to see Jalen Milroe on my TV screen right now.
If they go Abdul Carter right here, I can see the Giants making a second trade, possibly for Shedeur Sanders going back in the first round, or I can see them just making a trade and trading Kayvon Thibodeau, who before this has been very highly sought after because a lot of teams have been assuming that they're going to take Carter with this 3rd pick, and it'd be a very stacked edge rusher room, but Kayvon Thibodeau is a nice young edge rusher that a lot of teams could use and put them in their scheme. So if they take Abdul Carter, it's really anybody for the Giants at this point.
You have to note as well, if they have Thibodeau as someone who's an expendable asset, someone they want to use for a trade, that could easily work them back into the first round.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
if you value Carter on a rookie contract more than where Thibodeau is on his rookie contract, then that just might be the most desirable pick as the New York Giants pick is in. This is a nerve-wracking moment for me as I feel like I watch these every year, and somehow we always end up in the same position in the top 5.
The Giants pick now has officially been selected. It is in. Travis Hunter is a Jaguar. Cam Ward is a Titan? Man, already 2 picks in, getting lost. The Giants pick is in. They have not traded the pick. Travis Hunter currently getting interviewed. I do have Matt's player binder here. I want to quickly read off his description of Travis Hunter. On offense, Hunter's athleticism and good hands make him a dynamic playmaker. His versatility and football intelligence allow him to impact the game, especially in yards after catch. However, the demands of playing both positions at the professional level may require careful management to ensure sustained performance on both sides of the ball. That'll lead into the question about Hunter. Do you guys see any concerns for Travis playing both sides of the ball at the next level here?
I mean, honestly, he's a unicorn for a reason, I think. He can definitely play both sides of the ball, and I think Connor was showing me something earlier. I said he probably will play both sides of the ball, and I think he'll definitely be a really, really good asset for shoot, what's the
Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. I saw his hair, and I'm like, I was distracted by his absolutely gorgeous hair. But I think he'll definitely be a really, really good asset for Trevor. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense does need it because, I mean, look at how the Jags have done this past season. It was kind of terrible. And I think you definitely want to start start pretty much anywhere really. But I think defense is a really good place to start with that. And Travis Hunter is a really, really good asset for pretty much both sides of the ball when it comes to that.
I think the biggest concern I have with Hunter on both sides of the ball is that every single player in the NFL knows he wants to play both sides of the ball, and they're going to go after him like they have gone after any rookie in the history of time. They are going to try to prove to him that it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you're in the professional National Football League.
That is very true. And again, the Giants showing their draft room. Coach Dable looks very excited, but also very nervous for this pick. He knows, again, this is a massive year coming up for the Giants Association, as they know this season could ultimately describe the jobs of a lot of upper management. Goodell at the podium now for pick number 3.
With the third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Abdul.
Yep. Expected. Great pick, great prospect, but very
There hasn't been any big surprises yet.
Well, I mean, Jacksonville going up to number 2, but yes.
I'm saying names-wise.
Andy talking about the picks, the top 3 picks, the top 3 players. Maybe the order was all shaken up, but Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Abdul Carter go 1, 2, and 3. This has been the prediction for most people. It is official. Abdul Carter, the newest member of the G-Men in New York. I guarantee you, Matt is very happy with this pick. This is the guy that he wanted. The Giants. Don't pull the trigger and go Ashton Genty, as maybe some Giants fans in this room wanted to. I know, Bryce, I want to get your opinions really quick. Giants don't take Sanders at 3. They take Carter. They go with the safe pick. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think that live look into the New York Giants draft room showed, an anxious Joe Shane and Brian Dable because they know they still need to go get a quarterback in the first round, and they're going to have to maneuver a way around it. And I think Cleveland at 5 is a scary sight for the New York Giants. I think that they think Shedeur Sanders is going to go then, and I think they might be calling New England right now because they might be apt to trading out of that pick. So we will see. I think this is where those quote-unquote explosive picks come into play. This is maybe where we see Sanders go. Maybe Genty's in play here. But I think Cleveland at 5 is going to determine the rest of this draft. License plate guy, shout out him, repping Abdul Carter.
So you think the New York Giants could potentially move back into here at number 4 to go back-to-back and take Shedeur Sanders? This wouldn't be the first time we've seen something like this happen. You think back just a few years ago, the Houston Texans pulled this exact same move. They didn't know who to pick, Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud. They fell in love with both prospects. They couldn't decide. What did they do? They took them both, ended up both players won Rookie of the Year, defensive and offensive, respectfully. It proved to be a big move for DeMeco Ryans in his first year in Houston. Brian Dable possibly feeling like if this isn't his year, could be his last year in New York. The Giants pull the trigger, and Abdul Carter is officially a New York Giant.
And one last thing on that. Thank you to the New York Giants organization for not overthinking it. They took the best player there. They didn't question what position he was. They said, we need the best football player. Number 11 at Penn State. They should have taken Micah Parsons back in the day, but who am I to judge? It's not 2021 anymore. It's 2025. We've learned from our mistakes, and Abdul Carter is going to wreak havoc on the NFC East. If you are an offensive lineman today in the NFC, you are shaking in your boots.
And you can use that comparison to Micah Parsons. It definitely seems like Carter and Parsons, very similar skill sets. Carter, probably more of a pure edge rusher for the Giants, but the Penn State connection, their white upbringings, this is a big pick for New York and a great selection. Now we await the number 4 overall. The New England Patriots are the next team on the clock, and I think this is more of an unpredictable pick of what certain people think. As of right now, I will say the consensus in the room, I believe at least, it's going to be Will Campbell from LSU.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's been the Patriots have picked number 4 in all my mock drafts, and they've picked Will Campbell in all their mock drafts. There have been some rumblings about possibly Ashton going at 4. Kind of, Ramondre Stevenson is a serviceable back, But that drafting Ashton would kind of bring that offense to life a bit, kind of bring Drake May some help. But you know what would help him even more? Some protection. And that's why I had Will Campbell going above him. And I feel like the draft really starts at 5, because I'm very confident about Will Campbell going here. But hey, you never know. Anything could happen. We'll see what happens.
I think New England especially needs to understand the fact that their offensive line was one of the statistically worst offensive lines in the NFL. I think even if you wanted to try and argue Genty here, I don't think that's really possible considering if you draft Genty, you still have the offensive line problem. I think most good teams are built in the trenches, and especially picking this high, you need to get the offensive line correctly. I think Campbell's a great pick, and Vrabel knows it.
I do think it's definitely interesting. Shedeur Sanders, every time they have cut to his draft room, he is doing his draft on site in a custom room. He has not been at his setup. Interesting to see there. Maybe Sanders just taking a little bit of time getting a bite to eat. We don't know, but every time the camera has cut, Sanders has not been in, and the likelihood is will Sanders be with Coach Prime, his dad, Deion Sanders, when his name is officially called and when that camera eventually finds the two Sanders sitting on that couch.
I think it'll be really interesting. I think, Bryce, kind of the thing you kind of talked about with the Browns going at 5, I think trying to get Shedeur Sanders. I think really the thing about that is I think teams are starting to kind of understand that Shedeur's value is starting to get kind of lower and lower. I think a lot of teams were really questionable on him. We had arguably a tough couple of interviews, and I think really if they do go Shedeur at 5 would be very interesting.
Hello? What was the question? I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking. We were having some technical difficulties.
We were talking about Shedeur Sanders, and if you think, is there any concern that he's currently not in that draft room the 2 times the camera has cut to him? But also, again, for New England coming up, we're currently at a commercial break in the real draft. We're going to see what's going to happen with this Patriots. Connor, do you think New England will stay chalk here and take Will Campbell?
I think what I would do if I was the Patriots is I'm shopping this pick around anywhere I can. But if I have to make a selection, I stay chalk, take the best player available.
Yeah, I agree with him. The New England should shop the pick because they have more needs than O-line. I think they should trade down, try to stack picks because Drake May needs the help. Why not trade down from the pick? Get one of those teams first in a second rounder. That way you can get some quality O-line still down the line, even if it's not Will Campbell, and then you can get him a quality running back in the second round.
Yeah, as we were talking about in the pre-show, Will Campbell is the best offensive tackle in this class, and if you're Mike Vrabel, you want to get some protection for your guy Drake May going down the line. If you get 2 young guys in there, you get him comfortable with one of those tackles, you can have a very long franchise duo that can be there for, honestly, who knows how long. But I think the number one thing that you have to do in this draft is get protection for your franchise guy, and Mike Vrabel definitely knows that. Mike Vrabel is very adamant about getting protection for the players that matter most, the playmakers that he needs and the playmakers that he has already been given in this system. But I just think Will Campbell's the no-brainer pick here for the Patriots.
Yeah, and you've got to think with the Patriots going on that free agency spending spree, specifically going after that defense, filling a lot of holes. Mike Vrabel stepping back into the Patriots system as the head coach this time. You've got to think he's going to go try and get the quarterback of the future. Help Drake May had a really solid rookie season last year. The NFL draft back on our TV, and we have gotten word that the pick is in for the Patriots. We are currently waiting to see Roger Goodell go up to the podium. So we've got everybody in. We think Will Campbell's going to be the pick. Ben, you just said it. You think the Patriots should actually trade this pick and go away, move back, build some assets up for the future.
Yeah, I think they should go back because the Patriots not only do they need O-line, but they need some receiving help too, and I'd say running back because Rahammed Stevenson just has not been good the last 2 seasons. So I think you trade back. You still can get someone like Brooks for offensive guard if you go a little bit down the line more, and then you can help fill out because there's still quality players on the board in the second round, and I feel like that would honestly help the Patriots be more effective in the AFC East.
The New England Patriots select Will Campbell.
Yep, there it is.
And the pick goes right there. Will Campbell goes number 4 to the New England Patriots, the offensive tackle or guard out of LSU. That is the pick for, he's got the green pinstripe suit on, looking pretty good for himself. Campbell, on a lot of people's boards, the number 1 offensive, let's say offensive lineman, because still some questions of, is he going to move into guard? Will he stay at tackle? He's a great position. I think Drake May is going to be very happy with this pick, but this means now, at number 5, the Cleveland Browns back on the clock for the second time tonight.
This is going to be a very interesting pick. I think obviously being talked about as offensive line, I think that's kind of the main consensus, but there is a big question mark at a position still for the Cleveland Browns. That position's running back. Not saying that could be a position they could go. It's just an option. Or, like we kind of mentioned earlier, another trade down. I think it really depends on, I think Andrew Berry must have had his eyes set on a certain prospect that he knew he could get at the 5th overall pick.
See, I think there's 2 routes that the Cleveland Browns can go. They can go Mason Graham, or they can go Ashton Jeanty. I think those are the 2 names that in my mind that are sort of floating around right now. And I think Ashton Jeanty is sort of the wild card in the room right now. I think that maybe you could definitely start with Mason Graham, start from something right there. And if you really want to pull some Sonny Weaver magic, you could probably do something with more, or you could trade it down or find something else.
What do we think about Armand Membu? Is he possibly at 5 here, or you think he's more of a 6-7?
I mean, that's also there too. I mean, I have him going to the Raiders right after.
So do
but
I.
There's a lot of routes you can go here if you're the Cleveland Browns, and I think you're definitely licking your chops right now if you're over there in Cleveland.
That's very okay. I was about to say the draft clock just stopped. I was about to say, whoa.
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw that too, RJ. I was about to say.
I really think, though, if you're the Cleveland Browns, and I think even if you reach a little bit here for Mason Graham, which some might not even call it a reach, I think it'd be the smartest decision, because I think for Cleveland, run defense was horrible last year. I think seeing it in person personally against the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of showed me a lot. I really think for the Cleveland Browns, if you do go defensive tackle, you just lost Dalvin Tomlinson through free agency. I think it'd be a really smart move for Cleveland, and you get a bunch of that capital. I think, DJ, you're kind of talking me into this trade. Not going to lie. You're talking me into this trade a little bit.
Yeah, see, I told you.
RJ, I'm telling you right now, Mason Graham at number 5 is an unbelievable pick here for Cleveland. He is, in my opinion, an undoubted talent in this draft. I have him very similar to Abdul Carter. The pick is officially in now for Cleveland. Number 5 was where Jacksonville for a lot of weeks mocked Mason Graham. Could it be the Browns taking him, Andy?
Look, sometimes you got to go back in order to go forward. This could be a start. This could be a start of a new day in Cleveland. You never know. You can only get drafted once. And we could say this about literally every single draft pick in this first round. But you never know. This could be a new day in Cleveland, and I don't know. It's just insane to look at.
A lot of mock drafts too had Abdul Carter going to the Browns potentially, because Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter were kind of going back and forth at 2-3 for a while, and everybody was saying, oh, what if Abdul Carter were to pair with Myles Garrett? Imagine if Mason Graham were to pair with Myles Garrett. You have somebody on the interior and somebody on the outside. I feel like that is just as dangerous. Abdul Carter is a great player, but their skill sets are so much different, and I feel like it would be a huge boost to the Browns' defensive line if they were to take Mason Graham.
Let's put the watches down, please. Please, no.
I think you know what time it is.
Please, no. I couldn't handle it.
It's time to bust down your AP.
Personally, I couldn't handle it. That is not the perfect timing I'd be hoping
You're
for.
out, RJ. So right here at number 5, you are not comfortable if you're the Cleveland Browns taking Shedeur Sanders.
Absolutely not. It'd be probably the biggest reach of the draft.
How about Tyler Shuck?
No, that's even worse. That's even worse. 3 major injury concerns.
If you had to pick one player, who do you pick, RJ?
I can hear you fine.
Here we go. Okay, I think really, you said, what was the question?
I said one player. You can't pick between 2. One player wants in the draft right now. Who do you pick?
Mason Graham. I really think, kind of talking about it earlier, you lost the defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson through free agency. I think for Cleveland, I think Andrew Berry especially knows that run stopping has been a very difficult thing to do. They've tried to fix it through the later rounds. Hasn't really worked. If they go in the first round here and take probably the quote-unquote safest pick, as everybody was kind of talking about, Brett and Mason Graham, I think it'd be a pretty happy squad here.
And you see the reactions from the war room. A lot of watches in the air. RJ hoping that is not a sign of what to come.
That's why he's not in his room.
Listen, I don't know if you guys are like spoiling this or you guys are just messing with him, but I think Shedeur Sanders could actually go here.
He definitely could.
Everyone's too happy in the war room right now.
Well, I mean, that's just Cleveland.
That graphic is really cool.
That graphic is kind of sick.
If they select Shedeur Sanders, where does Deshaun Watson go? Like legitimately.
He's been gone since the Achilles house.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson is.
Here we go.
Deshaun Watson's on the bus. Goodell approaches the podium.
With the fifth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft,
Like Genty.
the Cleveland Browns select Mason Graham.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the pick.
All right. There you go. Are you happy, man?
Safety.
It's a great pick.
That's great.
Can't go wrong with it.
That's a great pick by Andrew Berry. There must have been something I think that he liked in Mason Graham. I think the safeness of the pick must have kind of went through his head, I think. Considering that with Travis Hunter, he knew he could get a lot of assets for a player that could have been on the top of their boards. We don't exactly know. But I'm assuming going there, getting a couple picks down, I think that's beautiful value for the Cleveland Browns.
You know, it's also worth noting that none of Shedeur Sanders' teammates showed up to his birthday party. I think that's really what they had.
RJ,
Called during spring practice?
RJ, I will tell you right now, that is a phenomenal pick by the Cleveland Browns. Every Browns fan should be happy. You are getting a bona fide day one starter, Mason Graham. Unbelievable as an interior lineman, a bully in the trenches. His height is not a factor. With the wrestling background of Graham, he has some of the best hands out of any prospect I have ever seen come through the NFL draft. Yes, I'm a Michigan fan. I'm a Michigan homer. I've seen this pick building for years. I know the talent that Mason Graham has. He is a national champion, a Rose Bowl defensive MVP, single-handedly stopped Jalen Miller on the 1-yard line. This is a phenomenal pick for Cleveland and a cornerstone piece to the franchise.
And to add on to that, they could honestly, Mason Graham is that type of prospect where they could have picked him at 2, honestly, with how good of a prospect he is. But the fact that they got Mason Graham, an additional first-round pick next year, and an additional second-round pick this year, you're talking they have pick 33 and pick 36 this year. And then they also have 2 first-round picks going into next year with the best D-tackle undoubtedly in this draft. Cleveland Browns are looking up right now, I'll tell you that.
Brett, as much as I want to dog on a Michigan prospect because I come from a Penn State household, Mason Graham is an absolute bullet train coming out of the backfield. He is absolutely insane. He's one of the fastest D tackles I've seen in a while, and in a Big Ten, you have to be good in the trenches, and if you have fast players in the trench, him alongside Kenneth Grant was a monstrosity to watch against Big Ten offensive lines. And I mean, slam dunk pick here for the Cleveland Browns. Like you were saying, they get more draft capital and they get their guy. What more could you want?
Also, you're putting pressure on the Ravens and the Bengals, who just upgraded the defense and gave Myles Garrett some help. So now the Cleveland Browns defense looks especially dangerous, where they could upset some teams this upcoming season with their defense.
I mean, the AFC North is notoriously, I think, probably the hardest division in the NFL. Definitely in the AFC, I can definitely tell you that much. I think up there with the division with the Chiefs and the Bills, but
Yeah, the AFC West.
the AFC West, but I don't know, the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Bengals, especially when you had a really good Bengals team a few years ago. I mean, the AFC North, I don't think, is unmatched when it comes to just conference difficulties.
And
Ranked football.
Right, and if you look at now at this number 6 pick, Vegas Raiders have the opportunity. They essentially have their selection of the board, right? I mean, you could have predicted this top 5, maybe not in the teams that selected them, but I think that selection of 5 players, that was the 5 best players you could have argued for this draft. Do they continue it? Do they go take Genty, who is arguably one of those top prospects? Or do they draft for need? Do the Raiders go draft a backup quarterback for Geno Smith? I think the 6th pick might be a little too ambitious for that. But remember, this is the Pete Carroll-led Raiders now.
Did they go Membu?
The GM's son said he said what he wanted, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to be pretty upset.
You've got to think, with what is about to happen right now and how the board has fallen, Vegas has landed in the dream spot. The Jaguars traded out. They went and got their guy. Cleveland goes defense. The number 2 player on my big board still sits there. The greatest running back in college football last season, Ashton Genty, seems ripe for the picking in Vegas. Pete Carroll loves him. The pick is officially in now. We're going to see what the Raiders do. I do think, sneakily, Bryce, Shedeur Sanders is on the board for Tom Brady and the Raiders.
After the 3-year extension that they just signed Geno Smith to, I can't see them taking him at 6. I feel like that's too much of a reach.
You would have to think they would have to move off of
go.
Smith a year after that. I don't know. I think they might go best player here.
Genty.
Wow.
They say never draft a running back in the top 5, so they picked him at number 6.
In the moment of the draft for Matt Fole, you've got to think he may be in tears upstairs on the main show. The Giants got their guy in Abdul Carter, and Matt's favorite prospect I've probably ever heard him talk about. I've heard him been on the train, like you said, before day one. Ashton Genty goes number 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders with Pete Carroll. With Geno Smith, you've got to think Carroll. The Raiders had the worst rushing attack in the NFL last season, averaging just above 60 yards a game rushing. Genty is a Vegas Raider, and that moves us to number 7, and I think more uncertainty about to start with the Jets now on the clock, Bryce.
You have to think, and I know I sound like a broken record here, take the best player. The New York Jets are a team where you could say, hey, improvements essentially everywhere outside of cornerback 1, a little bit of the offensive line, and your quarterback right now. I think if you're the New York Jets, you go take a big-time playmaker for Justin Fields, if you're that confident in him, and go get none other than Penn State's very own Tyler Warren. I think he is one of the biggest receivers, biggest tight ends. He is going to be a dog in the NFL. I know Matt Foley compared him to Rob Gronkowski. I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
I think Brett might like this pick as well on that Michigan Wolverines team. The biggest tight end, Colston Loveland.
Yes.
I think the Jets could definitely go from the Michigan pull there. I mean, you have Justin Fields there. You are building something. I think you have a lot of potential over there in New Jersey, New York, wherever that stadium is that they share with the Giants. I'm pretty sure it's in New Jersey, but regardless, you're building a team there, and if you start with Justin Fields, you get Colston Loveland, you already have 2 really, really big guys that are setting a foundation for this Jets team that if they don't mess it up, they should be fine. I think they should be fine if they don't mess it up.
I really think it's a 2-man race here for picks for the Jets. I really think it's between Armand Membu and Tyler Warren. I feel like those are the 2 picks that makes the most sense for the Jets right now. Kind of new look Jets that you're looking at. If you want to protect Justin Fields, you can do that with Armand Membu. If you want to take another weapon for Justin Fields, you could take Tyler Warren. I feel like it's really a two-man pick for the Jets right now, but I feel like either option would be great for them.
Personally, I agree with Bryce Cohen over here. I love Tyler Warren at 7 to the Jets. I know we were talking about a Rob Gronkowski comparison for Tyler Warren. I like a George Kittle comparison. He's very much so a 5-tool guy. He can block. He can get out in the back. He can block out into run sets. He's great at that. And he led it. He was – I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Did you watch him play West Virginia?
Yes, I did.
I can tell you this much. I was not a happy camper watching him play against West Virginia. I felt the same way about Abdul Carter, so you got to think, if you're scared of watching another guy play, you'd be much happier watching him play for your professional football team.
Matt, you're back down here in the war room. Let's get your reactions. The Giants take Abdul Carter, and the Vegas Raiders take Ashton Genty.
Well, the Giants made the pick that they needed to make. It was a no-brainer. They made the right pick. Get Abdul Carter, bolster that D-line. I think now they have the best D-line in the NFL, and I don't think it's really a question anymore. You pair him with Brian Burns. You pair him with Dexter Lawrence. Kayvon Thibodeau, right now, is still a Giant, so he's going to be able to learn from them and really address it. And then Ashton Genty. Pete Carroll got his guy. He got his guy. The Raiders are going to be back. The Raiders are going to be able to toe the rock. They're bolstering that offense, and Pete Carroll is driving the ship in the right direction.
By the way, the Giants just picked up Kevin Thibodeau's 5th-year option just now. So it looks
there you go.
Hey.
Wow.
Okay.
So New York will
that
commit
means he'll be
to
under
having
contract when he gets traded.
Yep.
And
so you got to think now.
Ashton Genty's alma mater.
Now almost starts the quote-unquote slip for Shedeur Sanders. It's outside of the top 5 now.
I think New Orleans is
right. New Orleans.
If the Saints pass on him, then the next team that's going to take him is the Steelers. Regardless, if a trade happens, but it'll go from Saints to Steelers, if there's nothing between that, you could potentially see him falling out of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Jets are on the clock. I don't know if you guys have talked about that pick yet. Are we all in consensus it's probably Membu now, or maybe Tyler Warren?
We believe it could be Tyler Warren or Membu. Yes, those are our two kind of options right now.
I think logistically speaking, for a New York Jets organization, you can never be too comfortable on the offensive line position. Warren is sort of a luxury, so to speak. I think he is one of the best players, if not the best skill position player that plays just one side of the ball. You have to think, though, the Jets are going to bolster their offensive line for Justin Fields.
That does seem like the play, again, with Membu sitting right there. And that's another thing. If New York decides to be aggressive, go offense, go with the prospect, they seem to like in Tyler Warren. What does that do for Armand Membu? Does that start a little bit of slide for him? You've got to think a team would be very aggressive going after the top or second best tackle in this entire class. He seems like more of a bona fide extreme tackle other than Campbell, who could possibly slide into the interior and play guard. Armand Membu is a right tackle. It's going to be interesting to see now what happens here with the Jets. This seems like, again, one of those picks where it feels like two players are on the board and available. What will New York, under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn, decide to do?
I think this is a pick for the Jets where it's almost like the Giants, where it's like you could take Warren, but like the tight end position for them is not like a desperate need. I think you want to really address protecting Justin Fields. You want to give him a chance to see if he can work. He sort of worked for Pittsburgh, and then the Steelers pulled the plug. He looked like he was figuring it out with Chicago, then Chicago pulled the plug for Caleb Williams. I want to see if the Jets will give him time under new head coach Aaron Glenn. They got him. They have Garrett Wilson. They have some other guys, Alan Lazard, and some other Packer old receivers that I can't remember. But I think you really need to do a job of protecting him. You have Olu Fashanu at left tackle. You have Elijah Vera Tucker. You have a solid offensive line so far. I think you really bolster it and to protect Justin Fields and Breece Hall. And then you also have Braylon Allen, too, who's a great RB2. You saw him do amazing. And I just think this is one of those picks where you can't overthink it. The tight end is a luxury position that you don't need. And the Membu pick would just be the right pick to make.
I think something else, I don't know if we mentioned it yet or not, but Breece Hall is currently being shopped, I think, by the New York Jets. I think a couple other teams into that second round have been mentioned. Not sure if he's going to fetch that high of a second-round pick, but I think still something very interesting if they still go offensive line regardless, or if they try to go a different route with that Tyler Warren that we've kind of been explaining.
The Jets pick is currently in right now, sitting at number 7. Roger Goodell about to make his way to the podium for New York. It seems to us it's going to be Armand Membu or Tyler Warren awaiting the official call from Commissioner Goodell.
Imagine we get Ted McMillan. Imagine.
There we go.
We've gone chalk. All 7 picks. Nothing other than Jacksonville moving up. Nothing surprising has really happened with the picks. It's been the same picks. I think everybody has mocked this so far. Jacksonville and Cleveland just swapped places.
Yep, the top 7 picks have remained the same. We talked to Joey, and he said he expected some chaos. It was too easy to see all of these picks going in the order we thought. Number 7 goes to Armand Membu, and now again, when you look at the Carolina Panthers on the clock, we really think it's going to be Jalen Walker, another, chalk pick.
I mean, I don't know if you guys heard, but Adam Schefter tweeted out that Carolina was looking to shop the 8th pick in the draft. Cody Burton was first on it, per Adam Schefter, upstairs in the main room. But could we see somebody move up? I don't know who would move up now. I think Chicago would have been the only team, but that would have been the 8, and I think they would have only gone after Fugenti. But the pick is in now for Carolina. That was very, very fast.
Hey, we know who's coming.
Jalen Walker.
I feel like this has to be Jalen Walker, the guy that Carolina has been mocked to in pretty much every mock draft. I don't know who else they'd go with, unless they're going to surprise us with maybe Michael Williams, but I think they have to go with defensive. Or maybe it's Ted McMillan. Maybe it's Ted McMillan, and they get Bryce Young, another receiver.
I think Jalen Walker is the second most versatile defender besides Travis Hunter in this entire draft. I feel like Jalen Walker I mean, there's mock drafts where he's listed as a linebacker, or listed as an edge. He can really play anywhere. If you look at his highlight reels, I mean, you can really see he can play in coverage. He can rush the quarterback, especially when he rushes the quarterback. He seems to be lethal. So I really think he is the second most versatile defender on this draft, and I feel like it's going to show with the Panthers. I mean, their pick is already in. It's the quickest that we've seen a pick be in thus far throughout the draft.
Yeah, it has to be Jalen Walker. He's from the North Carolina area. I have quote their general manager even saying he's an outside linebacker for us, and I feel he can do a lot on defense. So this just seems like it's a match made in heaven. With Jalen Walker being from Carolina, I think this is the obvious pick.
Mark Sanchez.
I think another big question mark pick you could see here potentially is McMillan. We do not condone gambling at U92, but a couple hours ago, the odds for Tedero McMillan's pick at 8 went from, I think, plus 1,200 to plus 125. So something to keep a note into.
I think a lot of options are open, but Carolina does not seem to be moving on from this pick with the pick already in. We are still waiting for that selection. NFL draft currently heading to break, so we will get that for you as soon as we can. But so far, like you said, Matt, the draft has been chalk. It does seem like Jalen Walker, to me, seems evident coming right here at number 8. Number 9, the New Orleans Saints. Could we see a shift happen there? Possibly again. Bryce, I know you've been talking a lot. Shedeur Sanders, the likelihood places. If Sanders doesn't go at 9, the big talking point of this draft will be, will somebody jump for him? Will he fall the way to Pittsburgh? Will the Steelers even pounce on him? Will this be a current Will Levis situation? A lot of hype. The prospects didn't like what they saw and a slip down the board. I think this draft now, after this Jalen Walker pick, I think things begin to change because, like Joey said, it's been too chalk so far.
Yeah, I mean, this could be like the Jaguars pick back in 2022 when they took Trayvon Walker. This could be the guy that changes the defense for them. This is the guy that they can mold. He's a little raw coming out of the combine, tested really well. Out of Georgia, SEC school, all that. We've seen these Georgia players improve drastically in the NFL. Trayvon Walker, now it wasn't like Brett said earlier on. Aiden Hutchinson was there, but this is the guy that they can mold. He can be the captain of their defense if you just give him time. And we see Trayvon now. Trayvon's been, like, he's not as good as Aiden Hutchinson has been so far in his NFL career, but he had a 10-sack season this year. Like, he could be that guy who's that hybrid linebacker who could get after the quarterback, but also drop into coverage. We've seen it now that these edge rushers are becoming more and more athletic, where they can drop into coverage, or they can really get after the quarterback and cause problems for offensive tackles.
100%.
I think even talking about it, even those edge rushers, even dropping into coverage sometimes, we've noticed that at least in the NFL, at least the past couple of years, it's been an increase with athleticism, being able to do that. And I think with this pick, if it is Jalen Walker, I think it would really help Carolina in that department.
I think, again, like you said, this seems like Jalen Walker, and I like that comparison you made to Trayvon Walker, again, the edge rusher from Georgia, but I really like that concept of him being more of that raw player. He may not be the most solidified prospect on the board, but clearly they see something in him that they think can be a game record. All the skills are there. It's just time to fine-tune them and coach and get the most of his abilities in a system like Carolina. And again, with Dave Canales now in the system, you got to feel like he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, you feel now with Dave Canales that you've solved the it looked like you solved the offensive problems in Carolina. Bryce Young really turned the corner, it looks like, at the end of the year. He was one of the better quarterbacks through week 14 to week 17. But what was really holding Carolina back in that latter half of the season was the defense. You have J.C. Horn, but you shipped off a ton of front seven guys and a ton of corners besides J.C. Horn. You saw Frankie Louvu follow all the way to Washington. You saw them trade Brian Burns to New York. Like, Dave Canales is now trying to rebuild this defense. He's an offensive guru. He was in Tampa Bay. He solved Baker Mayfield. It looks like he solved Bryce Young now. Now you just got to piece it together with that defense. Really taking a long time with this pick.
They are, and you see they have Mel's best available currently up. Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, Will Johnson, and Colston Loveland. We believe it's going to be the linebacker from Georgia, Jalen Walker. But Carolina, again, the pick is in. Still waiting on Goodell to make his way to the podium. Still waiting.
Yeah, this is really
Carolina really taking their sweet time here.
Still waiting.
They did.
Picking was quick. NFL, you've got to get that revenue. You've got to give time for Greeny.
Money.
Yeah, Greeny's got to get his cash right now.
Have you looked at the chat yet? Brett, there?
No.
For the YouTube? Yeah, Sonny Weaver Jr. is in the chat.
Sonny Weaver Jr. is in the chat.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Hey, Sonny Weaver Senior or Sonny Weaver Jr.?
Sonny Weaver Jr.
Number 8 pick last year was a bit of a shocker. We'll see what happens here.
Oh yeah.
Goodell's at the podium.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select
Wide receiver from
Show the
Arizona.
highlight of him scoring a touchdown on WVU when we did not put a defensive back on him.
Wow. All right, Matt.
Torched West Virginia. We saw it. We saw it on TV. All of us. Now West Virginia did get the win that game, but they allowed it 200 yards to this guy. The consensus, in my opinion, the number one receiver, the pure receiver, besides Travis Hunter, Tedero McMillan, 6'4". I compared him to Drake London. He really reminds me of that guy who's going to climb the ladder, almost like Mike Evans, and get that. And I think that's what Dave Canales saw in him. He's that big receiver that he had in Tampa Bay, and now he brought Ted McMillan to give Bryce Young some help.
I love this pick. Dave Canales, this is the nail in the coffin that Bryce Young is the future in Carolina. And again, you've got to tell the story of Bryce Young. Even this past season, went from it looking like that he might end up in the UFL, benched in Carolina, wasn't going to make it, had a very strong end to the season, and now Carolina at number 8, passes on Jalen Walker and goes with the number 1 receiver in the class, Tedero McMillan, an absolute game wrecker. I think the Panthers just made a really, really good decision.
The New Orleans pick is already in, by the way.
Ooh. Saints pick already in.
I think
Watches are up in the war room.
I think the biggest issue with Carolina at the moment is their weapons. I think that Bryce Young is a really, really good quarterback. I liked him when he was at Alabama. You give him McMillan, that is a great addition for the Carolina Panthers. I think I think this is a stepping stone. This is a brick number 1 of a wall that they're building over there in Carolina.
Absolutely. Brett, what did we just talk about before? Those odds about McMillan. Vegas always knows.
Vegas always knows, RJ.
Mind you, we do not condone gambling.
U92 does not condone gambling, but I can say confidently, Vegas always knows.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll keep a counter. See if somebody in the chat can keep a counter. How many times we end up saying that.
hey, Sonny Weaver might know.
Sonny Weaver might know about that. I really think, though, for Carolina, I mean, like what was mentioned,
we have chat up. I have figured out a way to pull chat up. We have John Hartlove is in the chat. An absolute shout out.
Hi, Dad.
Andy's dad. An absolute
what camera is live right now?
Legend. Right now, Andy, camera 2's live, so you can.
I mean,
I got some trash talk on me. I got some trash talk on me going on.
Oh no, DJ?
Oh really?
DJ talking trash?
Yeah, so the guy in the Devontae Smith jersey.
All my friends in the chat.
I got a trash talker in the chat.
I mean, this is the we're going back to Tedero McMillan. This is that California connection. Hey, Bryce Young was Mr. California football, won Max Preps Player of the Year at Modern Day. You know who also played in California in the CIF Section 7? Tedero McMillan. He
There you
played
go.
at Servite. Powerhouse football in California. You know who also played at Servite, Brett? One of your guys, Mason Graham.
Mason Graham.
Another California guy. Played
A
with
Cleveland
McMillan.
Brown. How do you feel about that?
Oh, how do you feel about that? That's an Ohio team.
I love it. I don't care.
You don't care about it in the NFL.
Grandpa Jim Burner, Poppy, big Browns guy. I know he loves that pick. He wasn't very high on Ashton Genty. He wanted Travis Hunter to win the Heisman, but he loves the Mason Graham pick.
Can you look at it? You now got Myles Garrett and Mason Graham.
Hey, Brett, you know what we're going to teach Mason Graham in Ohio?
He'll never do that. I can't wait to see when Michigan beats Ohio State in that bet when all of the Ohio State players for the Browns have to wear that Michigan jersey.
It'll be a great game this year, though.
It will be a great game.
It's like that George Kittle, Brock Purdy bet. Where like
Yep.
the
Iowa State. Yep.
Iowa State. Yeah.
The Cy-Hawk Trophy. Great rivalry.
What's your favorite college rivalry trophy?
Trophy?
Yeah.
The Notre Dame and Stanford rivalry stick. It's literally a stick.
The
It's
stick?
literally a stick. Or the Apple Cup. The one an Apple
Is
Cup.
there one where it's just a friggin' frying pan?
There's a lot of words.
What's the Michigan State?
Michigan State is the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Michigan also has a couple other ones. Probably my favorite one for Michigan is actually Michigan, Minnesota, the battle for the Little Brown Jug.
That's right.
The story of, again, Michigan took the jug into Minnesota. They didn't trust the water. Michigan left the jug. They called Minnesota to get it back. The Golden Gopher said, come win it.
It's an insane way to start a rivalry, man. That's incredible. The Paul Bunyan Trophy, though, I think is a special one. I mean, you got a whole lumberjack on the top getting the win. I think that's incredible.
I mean, my personal favorite rivalry as a Notre Dame fan, it doesn't really have something to play for because the rivalry is so hated. It's one of those rivalries like Ohio State and Michigan, where there's no cup, there's no nothing. It's Catholics versus convicts. There's a reason it has
Great 30 for 30.
30 for 30.
Absolutely.
One of the greatest rivalries in college football is finally coming back. It is coming back this Sunday, first Sunday of the year in college football season.
They are showing the Saints War Room right now.
All standing.
A lot of standing and a lot of possibly nervous looks.
A lot of looking at the
Did
phone.
they call Sanders?
Did they just?
I think we
time did they-
potentially see a Jalen
I feel
Walker
like
here.
I was about to say 2 other potential picks. Jalen Walker was definitely. I mean, the Panthers passed on him. In a couple of my mock drafts, I had Kelvin Banks going
personally
too,
think this is
as
gonna
a
be
third
Jalen
tackle.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Kelvin Banks.
Calvin Banks.
Ooh, okay. Kelvin Banks goes very high. And quickly before we start our breakdown, Matt, I do want to give us credit. If you go to our PFF draft that we just did in the pre-show, Kelvin Banks at number 9 to New Orleans.
Who had the New Orleans pick?
I think, yeah.
know,
Dom?
Dom
Hey, shout out Dom Brusco.
Hey.
Great pick there, Dom.
I was trying to squeeze this in there before we got caught up in the pick, but shout out Matt Foley with his draft coverage and his preparation.
Absolutely incredible stuff from Matt.
Show the notes.
There's a lot here. If you go through, there's a lot. There's a lot.
I was flipping through it and I said, man, if you put that level of effort into your grades, you might be making the president's list every semester.
Bryce, how's
I've got a 3.5.
yeah,
like, that's respectable.
Bryce, how's econ been the past 2 months?
It's been fantastic.
We're all doing great here at U92.
Bears pick is
in
in.
already.
Pick is already in for Chicago.
I don't know if they know.
Here we go. This is Joey
Gentie's
Bright
off-
right here.
For
I
this
don't even
pick,
know
the
if they
Saints-
know who they're
The
going.
Saints did need a lot, and this is a very safe pick for them. I mean, I want Calvin Banks for a reason. They need protection for their quarterback, whoever that's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler, but that no matter who it is, that guy's going to need protection. They could have gone really a lot of places with this pick. I thought personally, my first mock draft, I had them going Tyler Warren. I mean, they don't really have any weapons that much, considering Taysom Hill does all the workload around there. So I just feel like this pick is specifically for the Saints is good.
What are we laughing about over here, Andy? What are we laughing about?
Nothing. You'll see.
Oh, nothing?
You'll see it on the replay. You're good.
All right.
Oh, God. I can take a wild guess. Is what I
Yeah.
think it is, Andy.
Maybe.
Number 10, Bears pick is
It already
in.
happened. It already happened.
Oh.
Sorry.
Could have took a wild guess. I think, though, Banks at 9 is a very interesting pick for New Orleans because my question is this. You have the offensive tackle prospect that can go to guard if needed, but who's under center? Do they trade up?
I mean,
Spencer Rattler. Connor,
Derek
how do you
Carr
feel
could
about-
still be healthy going into the
Yeah.
year.
Connor, how do you feel about that shout? Spencer Rattler.
I love Spencer Rattler, man.
Rattler.
If anybody
Bad
watched, if
personality.
anybody used to watch, what was it, QB1? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Oh, schedule release.
Oh, what's going on here?
Ooh.
We have an announcement coming out.
I think there's a schedule release.
It's Laura Rutledge and Colin Wolfe here.
Beautiful blazer there from Lauren.
Great save.
It's a great save there.
Hey, we're really dragging this out.
Bears got the pick in early. You got to
I
fill
think
the
they're
time
just trying
somehow.
to figure out whether Gentie's on the board or not. Still.
Where's Molly McGrath when you need her?
The Bears draft.
Do you think are the Bears taking Tyler Warren here?
But very
Feels like the writing's on the wall.
They very well could.
Brett, you know who it could be? 2 Michigan men in the top 10, potentially.
It could be. Coastal Loveland.
How would you feel about that, Brett?
2 Michigan men.
I'd be fine Coastal Loveland going to the wagon that is Chicago.
As Joey would say, we don't know what wagon yet.
Tyler Warren is such a better pick in this scenario. Tyler Warren is such a better pick. If you're going tight end, Tyler Warren is such a better pick, though. Especially with Cole Kmet. I feel like Tyler Warren and Cole Kmet has a good ring to it because you can put Warren anywhere. I feel like he's more versatile than Loveland. I'm not saying Loveland's bad, but Loveland, he's not as versatile as Warren.
Can I flirt with a kind of crazy idea here?
Go ahead.
Okay. What if San Francisco drafts Shador Sanders with at the 11th pick? You have Brock Purdy in a contract year.
Brock Purdy's $60 million. He's asking for like 50, 60
I mean,
million.
listen, if you think Shador Sanders is a good thrower of the ball, you know Kyle Shanahan can make it work.
I was going to say, keep him sort of on the West Coast.
That's right.
If anybody could develop him, it could be Shanahan.
That's correct.
I would just like to say, if the Niners do end up doing that, I will not be going home to my apartment because my roommate is a Niners fan, and I know he would not like that.
These picks going.
They just announced something. May 14th. I don't know what they technically announced.
Schedule release.
Oh, schedule release.
Game.
Oh, that's fun.
May 14th.
All right, let's get the Bears
I
pick in.
thought they were going to announce the Bears.
We got a lot of booze going on right now.
They are in Green Bay, so there is no love lost between these teams.
Great rivalry, these two.
Omari and Hampton.
Joey
What
would
if?
lose it.
Omari and Hampton right now?
Didn't want it right now.
That would be insane.
It seems early for Hampton. Two running backs in the top 10. Yeah.
Remember, Brett, it's
Ben Johnson did take Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12.
It's the NFL draft, Brett. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's the glory of this time of year. Goodell is at the podium in Green Bay.
Pick is in. Here we go.
Yesterday, the NFL family lost a true legend, Bears Hall of Famer Steve McMichael. My heart is with the McMichael family during this incredibly difficult time. Misty, please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. Mongo's remarkable contributions to the game and the community will never be forgotten. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. 50 years ago, with the 4th pick in the 1975 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected one of Steve McMichael's teammates and closest friends, Walter Payton, running back, Jackson State.
Even some applause in the Green Bay crowd.
To rush for nearly 17,000 yards and 110 touchdowns over 13 seasons, all with the Chicago Bears. As you heard earlier, the NFL continues to honor Sweetness not only for his performance and excellence on the field, but also his commitment to give back to his community with the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. So with the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft,
There come the booze.
There, the booze.
At least they're respectful.
Thank you, Walter Payton.
Wow.
Here we go! Hail to the victors, valiant hail. Look at that! Chicago and Ben Johnson, no talent. Colston Loveland
got their tight end
is
duo.
the first tight end off the board. That's for you, Joey Bray. Let's go.
What do we say, Brett?
I think our mock draft is perfect right now.
Let's take a look, Matt. This is amazing. Colston Loveland goes to Chicago.
I think we're perfect.
We had Jalen Walker going to Carolina, so that's our own. We're 9 of 10 right now, but the
Niners pick is already in.
Niners pick is already in.
If it's Walter Nolan, I'm gonna cry.
That was like maybe 30 seconds.
If it's Nolan, I'm gonna
The
cry.
clock starts after the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clock usually once the pick is in, I think the clock then starts for the next team. So usually with that, it gets pretty iffy. But wow, we talked about it, Brett. Sometimes with Ben Johnson, if he wants his player, he doesn't care about the rankings.
Yeah. Our mock draft is looking pretty good, other than one pick. I mean, Chicago wanted more offense. They've got more offense. They could be running 12 personnel with Kmet and Colston Loveland with all those wideouts that they have. I'm a little questionable who's at the running back position. Are they going to keep DeAndre Swift? Could they pick between that loaded running back class in the second round?
I think they try to usually go the running back towards in this draft. You'd probably look the second, third round. I think for Chicago, I think they really wanted to get another great pass catcher for Caleb Williams, kind of help him, and I think even run blocking as well.
Yeah.
I think that'd really help for Chicago if they get that back in that second or third round.
We saw Chicago really improve the offensive line this year. They signed Joe Tooney to really protect Caleb Williams. They really want Caleb Williams to be that future in Chicago. But The 49ers are on the clock. Who do we think it is?
I mean, you could go pretty much anywhere here.
Yeah.
They need a cornerback. They need an edge rusher. They need defense. I think you probably might see some sort of lineman here go. I don't. Who's the best available on defense right now at the moment?
Probably Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I'd say you mix
Walker.
between Jalen Walker, Walter Nolan, maybe Will Johnson.
It could go Mike Green too.
Mike Green could also be a.
You know,
Could be Mike Green.
that could be a good. You know, that might be a really good feel if Mike Green goes here.
If we want to go off the mock draft, that so far has been 9 for 10. I think it's very impressive.
That's 90% right there.
So far. Connor, you probably don't want to hear, but it is Walter Nolan at that
Don't
pick.
say that. Don't say that.
We
He's
could
a
see
Bengal.
Walter-
Don't say
that
that.
could
He's
be
a
a
Bengal.
dangerous position for Kyle Shanahan to get. I mean, we could also see Will Johnson. They did lose Travarius Ward in free agency. We could see them pick up a new cornerback 1. Will Johnson plays a lot of zone coverage. What Kyle Shanahan loves to run is that mixed zone coverage with a lot of pressure. We could also see them go linebacker, replace Dre Greenlaw. We saw them lose a safety also in Talanoa Hufanga. This 49ers team took a real big hit in free agency. I think they're going to stick to defense, and Kyle Shanahan's going to look to reload at the positions that he lost.
Yeah, I think even that Jalen Walker, he's been falling so far. So if San Fran really does believe in his ability, like you said, losing Greenlaw, I think if they want to go best available in their opinion, which could be Jalen Walker, I think that'd be a really smart pick. But I think as long as it's defensive side of the ball, whether that's secondary or linebacker core, I think it'd be a great pick for him.
Yeah.
Jalen Walker is a hybrid player as well, right?
He is.
He
That
is.
would fit a lot of needs.
Linebacker, edge rusher, kind of mixed. Kind of like what Micah did, but obviously different players, but still kind of that same idea.
Yeah, we saw Micah get drafted as a linebacker and then shift to the edge position. That could happen with Jalen Walker. Another thing that I did want to point out is I think with Jalen Walker, it was really only the Panthers were that high on him. I think a lot of other mock drafts that didn't have the Panthers taking him had him falling a bit. I don't know what the 49ers could do. Their pick is in early, but they're going to go to commercial breaks for like 10 minutes because, they want that money.
You got to get that ad revenue.
I love the ratings.
Yeah, and
That was
like,
in the second the clock started, too.
Yeah.
They were ready.
and like you said about them losing Hufanga in the offseason, there's a rising safety in this draft.
Yeah.
After the combine, we could see a Nick Emenwari go at this spot.
Emenwari's
That's
still-
a bit of a sleeper pick for the Niners here.
Same with Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks is also still on the board. But the safety position's really become dynamic for that San Francisco team. Noah Hufanga was also was a box safety too. Like he'd drop into the box and he'd get after the quarterback. But I mean, we've got the Cowboys up next, followed by the Dolphins and Colts. I think the Colts are pretty much a lock for Warren. I think right now there's no Loveland on the board unless somebody jumps them. The Dolphins are a little bit of a wild card, and the Cowboys right now, I think we mocked them to take Teteroa McMillan. He's now off the board. Could we see Matthew Golden, the Texas guy, come up and be that Cowboys?
What about Amari Hampton for the Cowboys too?
Yeah,
They
Amari
need-
Hampton.
They need running back bad.
Yeah, they do.
You could see some defensive help going there as well.
Yep, that is an option. I think that what was being reported earlier this morning, I think even early into the afternoon, was Dallas was trying to make a big trade. I just think, unfortunately for them, nothing really has came about unless it was talking about a trade down, which, I mean, obviously you never know, but I think Dallas are going to think an offensive weapon for Dak. I think it's mainly been reported by Schefter and ESPN. So I think really look towards that potential Matthew Golden.
Yep.
Or do they think Luther Burton, that vertical threat for Dak, would be better? You never know.
You never know. I mean, you'd think maybe Jerry Jones loves to connect the Texas guys. He could keep Matthew Golden in Dallas, where he played at UT. Could we see their connection there? But I think the Cowboys would look. Could the Cowboys pick Will Johnson? Maybe get a new cornerback 1. Pair him with Trayvon Diggs and that loaded. 49ers are still on the clock, I guess. They're gonna.
Shadur's happy.
Shadur Sanders, I think is this the first time he's been?
I was gonna say this is the first time I think he's in his room.
We've seen him.
And listen, at the end of the day, Shadur Sanders falling in this draft would be an absolute plus for him. If he goes to a team that has a foundation around it, has a functional head coach and organization, he will be better off. We've seen this happen. Think back to Aaron Rodgers being drafted. He was somebody who slipped in the draft, went to a good situation. I think you could say he had a pretty successful career.
I mean, you want to look at someone who slipped in the draft. Ravens legend Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Went to
Who's that guy? Never heard.
Right. You know, I think he went, 26th, I believe?
Right.
And, I mean, he was quite successful, 2-time Super Bowl champion. I mean, like,
look at the jersey you're wearing right now. Did that guy not fall in the draft?
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, that he did.
Threw a trade up.
And all of a sudden, that guy was someone who came in, essentially played in a quarterback competition with Joe Flacco, and was able to inherit a team and then lead them to the playoffs in his first
You also
season.
had Ed Reed fall too.
Right.
Absolutely.
So.
Something's coming up.
We got a video.
Yeah, they got a video presentation.
Service members stationed at Yokota Air Base
Right.
in Japan.
Hey.
I'm Sergeant Mitchell Johnson. I'm here with service members from the United States Army, Marine Corps, and Navy. We are proud to announce that this year we are celebrating our 250th anniversary. We are grateful for the opportunity to partner with the NFL Salute to Service and the USO in introducing the San Francisco 49ers 2025 draft pick.
With the San Francisco 49ers draft pick, back to you in Green Bay.
Gotta love the
Yep,
the
gotta
service
love that
shout out.
Great shout to
Service
the U.S.
shout-out.
military.
And now Goodell is walking to the stand.
USA champs.
Love the
too.
USA
Say
champs.
chance coming from Green Bay. The pick is now in.
Anybody but Nolan, please.
Thank you to our men and women who serve in the United States military for your sacrifices to defend our country's freedom. With the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select
Michael Williams.
And they go edge.
Okay.
He's an edge rusher from Georgia.
Hey, that's not bad.
No Jalen Walker.
Still
No
a-
Jalen Walker
Still a good
yet.
fit to put alongside Joey Bosa, though.
I mean, this is another step closer for Shedeur Sanders donning the black and gold.
It is.
I think
It's another step closer.
currently, if you don't count a trade-in partner, that is the most likely scenario as of right now if Pittsburgh stands pat and not having to give up any draft capital.
Yeah. I mean, this now, Shedeur continues to fall. I think this was a pick that maybe could have seen Brock Purdy's coming up on his fifth-year option. The 49ers could drop it. The next pick could happen. You could see maybe Dallas picking him. There's been talks about Dak being traded. But, hey, Dallas is almost run out of time. They're down to their final minute. I mean, I don't know how this Dallas team could work. I mean, you could either go Matthew Golden, Amarian Hampton.
Do we see an
Pick is in.
okay,
Pick is in.
okay.
Pick is in.
Because that happened to the Ravens, I think, in 2011, where they ran out of time.
Yeah.
And the pick went to the next team in line. But I thought we were gonna see history again. But hey, you never know.
Maybe Jared Jones' internet connection died from
Yeah.
whatever yacht he's drafted this.
The fax machine that he has.
Jerry Jones forgot to call in the pick, and now the Cowboys are going to be stuck with some like the last guy in the draft.
Yeah. I think what Dallas was trying to do is they were trying to shop the pick. I really think if you're taking that much time out of the clock, you're trying to see your best available option. See if somebody wants to jump up. You could maybe Shedeur. I think it may be a tiny bit too early, but I think just looking at even if Jalen Walker, a team really likes him to try and jump up. But I think so far Dallas staying pat could be an offensive weapon.
Yeah. You think Dallas needs to improve that offense? Like the defense is sort of good. You sort of want to help out new head coach Brian Schottenheimer. You want to make it easy on him. Dallas was one of the worst teams in running the football. Amarian Hampton could fit in perfect with that offense. You saw it with Zeke when he first got to Dallas. He was really heavily involved in both the run game and the pass game. Could you go Matthew Golden, the local kid? But I don't know. Maybe defense. Who honestly knows what Jerry Jones is thinking come
you have
draft
to
day?
understand that they are going to do things unconventionally. The way they pick their head coach, unconventional.
Yeah.
The way they pick their players, unconventional. It's truly one of those spots where, unless you're trading out of it, you really don't know which way they're going to go. If I'm them, you got to pick up another playmaker for Dak, whether that's in the form of Warren. There's so many receivers on the board too.
Oh.
But
Here we go.
Here we go. The pick is in, and the commissioner is at the podium. Whoa! Offensive lineman Tyler Booker from Alabama is off the board.
Zach Martin's replacement.
Zach Martin's replacement. That is right.
That has to be their only thought process. At this
Honestly?
point. If they decide to not get a running back, not get a wide receiver, and go with guard, this has to be their only thought process at this point.
I'm honestly not mad at that pick. I think Dallas really needed. Oh, that's right, DJ.
DJ loves it 'cause
Never
it
mind.
sucks. It's such a bad pick. There's so much talent.
But Dak gets more protection on that offensive line. You lose Hall of Famer probably Zach Martin, and now you pick up Tyler Booker, one of the better offensive linemen this year. I think second-team All-American, and now he's in Dallas.
This is great.
I totally thought he was going to say Warren.
Yeah, I did too. When he said Tyler, I was like,
we heard some cheers.
Yeah.
We heard some
Whoa.
and on.
I think that's a really high. I think I had him going 15, 16 of that Arizona Cardinals pick, and even I felt that was a reach, right? So
Yeah.
I think Booker going to Dallas at 12, I think is really interesting. But I think kind of what we talked about, that Zach Martin replacement, I think they must have thought it was a very, very high need, and they decided to take what they needed.
I got to agree with you, and I also think it's one of those picks where it works if it works, right? And wow. You want to flex that real quick, Mr. Foley?
I did mock draft
Tyler Booker to the Cowboys
on February 3rd. Now, I did change that pick, but I did think because I did forget, I think, at that time that Zach Martin had retired. This also might have been pre-retirement because he did retire a little later than that. But they find his replacement. Again, Dallas was one of the most penalized offensive lines last year, and now they fixed that with Tyler Booker. That is if y'all remember, this is a Nick Saban guy. He was recruited by Saban. So I wonder if Saban whispered in Jerry Jones's ear, hey, pick this guy. He could really be the future.
I think they really also want to keep Dak protected. Coming off that hamstring injury, I think it's a big concern of keeping Dak healthy. If you're worried about that offensive line, I think it's a great pick for him.
Yeah. Now, Miami is on the clock. I don't know if we want to jump to this already or we want to keep looming on the Dallas pick.
I mean, I think he's a great. I think he's one of the bigger reasons why Jalen Milroe became Jalen Milroe. I mean, if we think about a few years back, Alabama sort of was in a little bit of a kerfuffle when it came to quarterbacks just in general, and I think he's a really, really good Tyler Booker. I think he's a really good reason why Jalen Milroe became the man who actually is Jalen Milroe. You know, it's one of those things that it's just really cool to say. But yeah, I think we've got about 5:30 left in the Miami Dolphins pick here. Our host has returned.
Brett Burner's back.
Brett Burner is back in the house. Welcome back. Okay.
Brett, how do we feel about a really boring pick for Dallas here?
I don't think it's a boring pick.
I think it was a good pick. They didn't overthink it.
Me and Joey talked about it. I don't think this is a bad pick at all for the Cowboys. Tyler Booker, now I did not foresee him going number 12 to Dallas, but he is my second-ranked interior offensive lineman. I've seen him firsthand at the Rose Bowl. He has extreme size and strength and is a very solid pass blocker, but run blocking to me I think is where he's really going to succeed. The question is, in Dallas, who is he going to be run blocking for? The Cowboys, I think, really had their eyes set on Teteroa McMillan. He goes to Carolina. The Cowboys pivot. It might not be the most flashy pick, but I do think it's actually a pretty good pick. And before we go any further, I do want to shout out U92's GM, Max Clark, down here in the war room with us.
Max?
Good to see you, Max.
Yep.
Camera 3, you're right there.
Camera 3!
Let him know, Andy.
Max currently waiting for the Buffalo Bills to take their pick. If they decide to take a pick, he will be waiting a little bit longer.
Yeah. Still got a while.
Remember, if we're talking about reaches so far, Emin Wari to Miami here could be very possible. I had it in my mock draft, I think, for a while now. I think it could be a potential pick.
Did anyone see Tyler Booker absolutely booking it to the stage?
Yeah,
Look at him go.
I love the energy.
The cameraman is absolutely going.
Slapping the Dallas Star, too.
This is something that Dallas locker room needs. They need an injection of fun, and it looks like Tyler Booker, he looks like that right now, as the Dolphins pick is now in. But I know I said it's a bit of a boring pick. Picking an offensive lineman like that is a bit boring, but I do like the energy that he's bringing so far.
You know who he reminds me of? Landon Dickerson from the Alabama Crimson Tide. He reminds me a lot of him.
Okay.
He is a really, really big Eagles guy. He brings that energy, and he always brings that energy, even in college. And I think it's energy guys for football teams are massive. And I think you definitely want to have that energy just in general. It's almost incredible to see.
Real quick before we see this Dolphins pick actually up there in the main room, I'm going to bring down a discussion they were having. Jalen Walker falling down the board right now. We predicted him at number 8. Haven't really said his name much. Tanner Mount's very frustrated that Walker is falling this low. He really thought that Niners pick was going to be, and they go with his teammate Michael Williams. But you've got to think Tanner Mount's a Miami Dolphins fan. Jalen Walker sitting available right here at 13. I feel like that could be the serious play, but you've got to think Miami. Could they address cornerback here with Will Johnson or Jade Barron?
Well, if it's Mike McDaniel picking, I think you all know how I feel about this. If you listened into the 2-minute drill, hosted by Quinn Roby here at U92 Sports, you know how I feel about the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. So as long as he's not picking, I think the Dolphins are safe.
Yeah, it's this next stretch of about 5 picks is going to be very telling because there's a lot of talent that has been sliding down the board. I think, like we were talking about earlier, Indianapolis at the next pick at 14, you got to think Tyler Warren's going there. That's pretty much what I would say a lock at this point. But Miami, like you were saying, Jalen Walker could be in play. Like RJ was saying earlier, Nick Emenwari could be in play here. And then you could see possibly Jalen Walker going to the Falcons. Jalen Walker in that Falcon system would be dirty. But the next picks are going to be really, really telling of this first round.
You know, prior to this, I ran like 10 simulations. Like I had a simulator that had a bunch of mock drafts or whatever, and it was absolutely convinced that Shedeur Sanders was going to go to the Falcons. I have no idea why it did that, but for like I think 9 times out of 10, it said that the Falcons were going to pick Shedeur Sanders.
I think we can confidently say here in the war room down here,
that is not what
Atlanta is not going to pick Shedeur Sanders. Now, we did say this last year about Michael Penix, and the rumor is that Kirk Cousins is on the trade block, but it seems very, very
Who else was on the reaction show last year for that?
I was.
I mean, that was big time.
That was massive.
The roar, I think it broke the sound barrier in this room.
Straight up.
The Dolphins pick is in.
Could the
I don't know if
Dolphins
it's been in for a little bit.
Could the Dolphins draft Josh Sims? Because Taron Armstrong just retired.
That is true. They could go tackle. I don't know. I feel like the Josh Simmons pick is a very Kansas City Chiefs pick, and where like they're the only team that would take a really big of a chance on him because he is coming off injury concern.
But you have Tua, he's always injured though.
Yes, that is true.
And you have one of your offensive tackles just retired. So
I mean, Jalen Ramsey is still on being traded right now. So we could see them replace him with Jade Barron, maybe Will Johnson. They did lose also Javon Holland in free agency. Could Malachi Starks or Nick Emenworthy? I think we mocked Nick Emenworthy to the Dolphins.
Could we
so
potentially?
Could we see them go DB? The commissioner is making his way to the stand, and the pick is in. Kenneth Grant!
Oh!
Let's go! Defensive tackle out of Michigan. Kenneth Grant.
Sing the song.
I might have to go back upstairs. Hail to the
We might
victors.
lose Brett again.
I cannot believe Kenneth Grant, 13. I could never imagine Grant going this high. This seems insane. Kenneth Grant goes before Will Johnson, the Miami Dolphins. I cannot wait to go up there and see Tanner Mounts. Actually, I think I'm going to make my way up there right now, Matt.
That's
Colts
incredible.
pick is already in.
Connor, we talked about it. Mike, stirring the pot. Mike McDaniel and reaching for prospects. We discussed it a lot. I think Kenneth Grant here, it's a reach. But I think if Miami thinks they have their guy, I think kind of going off the talent pool, if they think he's the guy and they think they have a lot of potential, you got to take him.
So Michigan now has 3 players picked in the top 13. Does anyone? I mean, they must have won the national championship last year, right? Right.
You would think, but hey, we could see 4 in the top 15.
They beat Ohio State, so that's basically their national championship.
Oh yeah.
Could we see?
I had Derek Harmon and
God, those are some ugly jerseys. We just saw a replay of the Illinois game. I believe that was Illinois. I think.
Those are some really nice looking jerseys there.
Those weird Illinois helmets. Oh my jeez.
I'm honestly surprised Mike McDaniel didn't want any more offense.
Yeah, you know.
I had Walter Nolan. I had Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon both above Kenneth Grant in my big board rankings. So the fact that Kenneth Grant went 13, I didn't even. I had a bunch of edge rushers ahead of Kenneth Grant too.
I think I dropped Kenneth Grant out of my top 32. I think he was a second-round pick, maybe a fringe first round.
There were a couple mock drafts that I did that Kenneth Grant, but he was always around that 25 to 32 range. If he wasn't in that 25 to 32 range, then he was dropping to the second round. If not, then I'm gonna pass it over to Connor.
Hear me out. What's the one thing that people have been talking about, at least in fantasy football? The Kyle Pitts experiment has not worked.
You think
Could
they go
we
tight
see
end?
Atlanta go Tyler Warren?
Well,
if he
I
doesn't
hate
go
to
the
tell you,
Colts?
This is why we pay him the big bucks.
Yep.
I hate to tell you, the Colts are ahead of them, and I think the Colts are going to take Tyler
They
Warren.
could take Jalen Walker.
Does
They
Daniel
could
Jones,
take Jalen Walker.
Does Daniel Jones get his big time target right here? Does he?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is a pretty safe. I feel like this is the safest pick so far. That besides out of the top, like
they laugh, but
7.
Daniel
What?
Jones and Anthony Richardson is a legitimate quarterback competition, and with
Yeah.
Tyler Warren in the mix,
Yeah.
man, give me DJ 8. Or
The
whatever
pick is
number he's
in.
wearing. I could appreciate him too.
If you have a young quarterback, I feel like the safest thing to do is get them a reliable tight end.
Yeah.
That's the one person that you want them to build a relationship.
The pick is in, and the commissioner is walking to the stand.
It's got to be Warren.
Yeah.
It is Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State.
Is that the early steal of the draft? They didn't have to move up for him.
It was actually
Ebron.
was Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron. There was one year in fantasy football where Eric Ebron was a fantasy legend.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he got me to the fantasy championship that year.
Yeah.
But
Tyler Warren, it would have been Colston Loveland.
yeah,
Loveland's gone.
Loveland was gone.
I mean, if he wasn't taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in every mock draft, if they had Tyler Warren going in the top 10, Loveland was going 14.
Let me tell you, this guy was a problem against Notre Dame. Literally was the only reason that Penn State was remotely in the passing game. Otherwise, Penn State literally was getting clamped.
There was a stat that Drew Aller did
Yeah.
not have complete pass to wide receivers. You know why? Because he was passing Tyler Warren. the entire
Yes,
time.
but we're not going to go on to Drew Aller. That's for next draft where we
Yeah.
get to make fun of him.
I will say.
I mean, we also here at West Virginia can't talk too much about Drew Aller. He did kind of carve us up.
Yep.
Kind of. 2 years in a row.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. Wasn't great, so we honestly can't really talk much about Drew Aller. But the Colts finally get their tight end of the future. They establish a permanent pass catcher for whoever knows who's throwing the rock at in Indianapolis. It could be Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I will say that.
Hey, Brett Burner is officially back. We'll get his take on on Tyler Warren.
Oh no.
No, this
Before-
is the last Wolverine take for a while.
Before Brett gets
Not
back.
really. Will Johnson could get taken
Yeah,
any minute.
Will is the last Wolverine on the board, and if you would have told me that Will would have been the last Wolverine available in this first round, I would have been seriously taken aback. But I just had
Still
a
Josiah Stewart.
Josiah Stewart. Oh man, he's a great player. I just had a very pleasant conversation with our very own Tanner Mounts.
That's Tanner Mounts' team, too.
It is very Tanner Mounts' team. He was a little confused by the pick. He murmured that he thought it might be Will Johnson if they weren't going to go Jalen Walker. Mounts still very upset. No Jalen Walker yet. We are at 15 now for Atlanta. This has to be
a quarterback. It has to be a quarterback. It has to be Shadur Sanders.
This has to be where Jalen Walker goes. But Kenneth Grant going 13, a absolute monster on the defensive line. And I think the Colts just got a massive steal in Tyler Warren at 14, arguably the best tight end prospect in the draft. But man, 3 Wolverines in the top 13. You love to see it, but even better, no Buckeyes yet to be seen in this first round.
Wow. That's the second round for you. Brett, we already taken a massive counter?
Well,
massive counter starting?
Mass counter starting? How many mass we have to? I've heard myself say it once.
I think we're at 2. I swear
I think we're at 2, yeah.
What are we talking about?
It's Brett Burns' famous.
Yeah,
saying.
RJ thinks I say massive a lot on the air.
You do. It was a Cincinnati broadcast.
RJ, do you know what else is massive?
Anyone?
What is it?
No, we're not doing that.
Somebody do it.
Oh, no, we're not doing it.
I
No,
wish
no.
John Dodaro was here because he would have done it for me.
Shout out Beyond the Map.
Shout out Beyond the Map.
Yeah, speaking of massive, in the first 12 picks last year, you had 6 quarterbacks fly off the board. You only have 1 so far, and that came in the first pick. When are we going to see another quarterback? Listen,
21.
I don't want to say I root for quarterbacks being drafted, but I mean, I root for quarterbacks being drafted, all right? I'm all for the trenches. I'm all for the offensive line and the defensive line. That's great. That's cute. Protect the quarterback, but where's the quarterback? I'm looking for him right now.
Yeah.
I want to see Shadur's off the board. I want to see Jackson Dart. I want to see Mr. Jalen Milroe. Can we get some action going here, please?
Who goes first? Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, or
Shadur?
Shadur.
You think Shadur?
Well,
Obviously, Tyler
I think
Shaw.
we're at the point now of Pittsburgh at 21 being the landing spot for Shadur Sanders. I mean, it just
somebody else. Could always be somebody else.
We have our resident Shadur Sanders hater over here, and Steeler fan.
I think what's really interesting, though, what was talked about before this draft was teams trading up to get a quarterback. However, the quarterbacks are falling. Do the teams really necessarily have to trade back in the first round if this consensus keeps going of the quarterbacks falling?
I don't know if you guys heard it, but upstairs when I was watching the TV, you can hear a little bit better in the main show room. Adam Scheffner did report it about pick 11 that quarterbacks he is hearing are supposedly falling, and Shedeur Sanders has a likely chance of falling completely out of the first round is what he is hearing.
Remember when he said he was going to be the first overall pick?
Who?
Shedeur.
Hey, man.
He
Didn't
said
happen.
Cam Ward may be generational, but I'm legendary.
Yeah. I personally, I've been very high on Jackson Dart from the start, but I think, thank you. But I think, if Jackson Dart were to go in the first round, I can see the Rams potentially taking them, or if the Steelers don't go Shedeur, I feel like they go Jackson Dart. Or Broncos have been open. There was a report the other day. Broncos are open to taking the pick at 20. Ironically, it is the pick right before the Steelers. So if a team were to jump up ahead of the Steelers, if they really think that the Steelers are going to take Sanders, anything can happen when it gets to that late teens, 20s pick.
Connor did say something earlier that I don't want to take credit for much. It's just kind of like Malik Willis with Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a fair comparison.
Mount said that.
A lot of hype and excitement.
He's gonna be upset.
But he just started like Malik Willis.
Jalen Walker to the Eagles.
Nobody really knows where he's
Watch that too.
I don't
Tanner
think,
said it's going to happen.
I don't think Shedeur falls out of the falls to the third round like Willis.
Yeah.
maybe second.
Yeah.
We were talking upstairs. He was like, Tanner said if Jalen Walker makes it to Philadelphia, he might walk out.
I will be the happiest man.
Some team has Atlanta's pick is still not in, mind you.
Brett, you know why I would be happy for more than one reason if Jalen Walker goes.
Yeah, well, those are reasons we can't say on air.
I do want to point out, Atlanta has not had a pass rusher get more than 8.5 sacks since 2017. So,
I didn't know that.
What a stat pool.
That's crazy.
That's good stat pool.
I would just like to shout out the Penn State players that have gone so far. I love my Penn State boys. Two of the best value picks in the draft. If you get Abdul Carter, in my opinion, at any point past the first overall pick, you get a steal. I think personally he's the best player in the draft. One of the steals, and I mean, shout out LaSalle College High School in Montgomery County. That's my area, my neck of the woods. But Tyler Warren falling all the way down to the Colts. They don't have to trade up. Those Penn State boys are nice. They're great in the trenches, and two very good value picks. The Atlanta Falcons pick is finally in.
And they just showed it right there. ESPN's draft day predictor just showed that Jalen Walker had less than a 1% chance of making it to pick 15.
Wow.
Geno Smith, right there, top of the board. West Virginia Mountaineer legend.
Shout out Chad Pennington.
Brady Quinn, Notre Dame legend. Shout out my brother Brady. He's named after Brady Quinn.
Shout out BQ. Notre Dame is also recruiting a guy named Brady Quinn. No relation to the actual Brady.
Probably just a fan.
Hopefully.
Shout out Bengal
Hopefully
legend Boomer Esiason.
That'd be awesome. Wait, you also see who's right there, 2000. Chad Pennington.
Yep.
University of Marshall. Legend.
Boomer.
Yep. Boomer.
Speaking of
Pick is in.
Picks in. We're still waiting for
Could we see
Atlanta.
Mike Green, speaking of Marshall.
Mike Green could go again. You've got to think this is going to be Jalen Walker.
It's got to be.
They stay at home in Georgia.
Keep him in Georgia. You feel like that has to be the plan.
This feels like a home run pick for the Falcons. This was dream scenario that Jalen Walker is available for them at 15.
Especially for all the criticism that they got last year.
I'm surprised no one's bought into Mike Green yet.
Because last year when the Falcons took Michael Penix, I had them going with Dallas Turner. And Dallas Turner ended up falling after that. I say that they finally take their edge rusher and they do get Jalen Walker here. That'd be a crazy pick, but I can't believe he fell to 15. That's
hopefully the Falcons don't overthink this pick. Like they've overthought a lot of picks lately, but this would just be like you get your established edge rusher of the future. Can't remember who's the last big edge rusher in Atlanta? Can't remember.
Man, I mean you've
Matt
got to
Judon,
think.
Consider Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, Matt Judon.
I mean
Grady Jarrett.
Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
Who was the Falcons player they thought was just going to be the answer in Atlanta?
Tack, right?
Did you even say Vic Beasley?
Vic Beasley, that's who I was thinking of. Vic Beasley, great pull, RJ. They really thought that Vic Beasley was going to be the answer of the pass
Here we
rush.
go.
Picks in for the Falcons right here.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Jalen Walker.
Here
Yeah.
it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Good
An
for them.
amazing pick for the Falcons.
They didn't
That is-
overthink it. They got their guy.
Crazy value.
In almost every mock draft, I know that a bunch of us had Mike Green going to the Falcons. The fact that they got Jalen Walker to fall to him, not saying that Mike Green is a bad player, but Jalen Walker, I mean, for him to go 7 picks past from what we all basically had him projected, that's crazy value by the Falcons. Props to them.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons get their established edge rusher of the future, hopefully. And you really look to improve that already loaded Falcons defense. Their secondary is second to none. You have Jesse Bates back there, A.J. Terrell, and all those guys. You really look to build that front seven. You really look to get after the passer and make a push at that NFC South title. You really got to look to dethrone, honestly, the Bucs. And the Panthers look to be a wagon now. They look to be a wagon. We don't know what type of wagon, but they look to be a wagon.
And you got to think.
Could be a wagon with a
You
couple
hope it has
of
all of
wheels.
its wheels
True.
on it.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe a
about to say.
two-wheeled wagon. But now Arizona Cardinals on the clock with pick 16. Is this going to be another playmaker, or are the Cardinals going to take a safe pick and go with the lineman? I feel like Arizona, a lot of alleys they could go here.
Absolutely. I think, Connor, I think you said this when we were doing our mock draft. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State could be a potential pick here. We saw him talk about linemen rising. I really think for Josh Simmons, he would have been up there with these top tackles in the class had he not got hurt. I think that's really what Atlanta looks at. You already have Paris Johnson out of Ohio State on that offensive line as well.
Yeah. We could also see corner. I think the corner is a huge need for Arizona. You look to bolster that. 2 of the best corners still on the board. Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron, still on the board. We could also see maybe a trade. A team could trade up. I think the Cardinals are in a spot where they could trade back, maybe get some more draft picks, and assess this later. Could we see like a team that's desperate for a corner who could, or maybe a wide receiver? Add a wide receiver to that weapon. Maybe Matthew Golden. Add that to Marvin Harrison, and I don't even know who else is in that.
Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch.
Jihad Campbell is praised for running a good 3-4, and Arizona runs a 3-4 defense a lot.
As an Eagles fan, Jonathan Gannon, I know Jonathan Gannon's defense very well. I could see Jihad Campbell or one of the corners, whether they view Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron better than each other. But like you said before, there's a lot of routes that they can go here. I think they should go corner, but you never know. The draft is crazy sometimes.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dom on this one. Jihad Campbell kind of makes sense here. With the loss of Kaiser White in this year's offseason, I think they add that to, like you said, a 3-4 defense that desperately needs that one great linebacker, and I think Jihad Campbell could definitely be that for them.
Yep. I mean, Cardinals are on the clock. They've gone through we're down, getting into the 4 minute, 5 minutes gone.
A lot of teams have sort of done this.
Yeah.
Are we approaching Mike Green territory?
I think this could be a Mike Green spot.
I can see Mike Green going to the Bengals, too.
Yeah, I think Mike Green territory could be within the next 2 picks, or I think he might fall.
And I also need some help here, guys. Who is in the Seattle Seahawks quarterback room?
Sam
Sam
Darnold.
Darnold.
And
Sam Howell.
They got the
And Drew Lock. Drew Lock just resigned to the.
So why don't we add another quarterback?
Shadur Sanders. After paying Sam Darnold $100 million, they're gonna go after Shadur Sanders.
How about Bo Callahan?
Bo Callahan.
Hear me out on this one. I think that we are going to get the most controversial quarterback room next year. We're going to have the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers and draft Shadur Sanders. The AFC North will be an absolute movie.
I would love for that to be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I'm about
That
to
would
say,
be
give
great.
Pittsburgh Hard Knocks.
I might need to take a year off.
Imagine if we go back in the second round and get Lank too.
The pick is
Oh,
We
man.
get Shadur and Lank.
Now that would be something.
Not even Aaron Rodgers. They just go 2
Picks in.
quarterbacks in a draft.
Pittsburgh said they were going to get 2 quarterbacks, Shuck and Shadur Sanders.
Cardinals pick
How
is
about
official.
that?
Cardinals pick is officially in right
They
now.
trade up to get Shuck too.
Oh, my God.
Hey, we've passed top 15. Quinn Roby can breathe now about Tyler Shuck.
That is very true.
It's Matthew Perry.
Wow. This draft has been something, though. We're about halfway through the first round. A lot of surprises coming out of this NFL
First 7
draft.
was really chalk. Now everything changed.
Matt Foley, you wanted the chaos. We got it.
Yeah, first 7 was too chalk for us, and now it all started with Carolina, a team that I don't think anybody really thought would start the chaos. I think everybody was pretty sold on Jalen Walker.
The 8th pick again.
Yeah, the 8th pick seems to be a common theme now.
We're showing Matthew Golden on the TV right now.
Matthew Golden could be an interesting.
I think Matthew Golden is a sleeper pick right here for Arizona. I actually think in one of my mock drafts, I had Golden. Mock 2 Arizona right there. Cardinals taking Matthew Golden at 16.
To pair with Maserati Marv?
I don't think it's a bad pick whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. I think it'd be interesting, though. We're talking about teams going off in needs, and they don't really care about reaches, which I think was also reported. If they want their team need, they're going to go get it.
And again, waiting now for Commissioner Goodell to take the stand. The Cardinals pick is officially in. A lot of different ways they can go with this pick. I don't think really anybody in here has a consensus spot. Jalen Walker, the slide falls, going 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. We've had some surprising moves at 12 and 13 specifically. Tyler Booker and Kenneth Grant going a lot higher than expected. Here comes the Cardinals pick.
Wow. Walter Nolan. The Cardinals address their run-stopping problem.
I think that is a very good pick for Arizona. One that we didn't really talk about a lot in here, but Walter Nolan making it to 16. A lot of boards already had Nolan off at this point, but now we're seeing some of these elite defensive linemen slipping a little bit and taking the picks now. Jalen Walker, Walter Nolan go back-to-back. The big defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. This seems like a home run hit for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in stopping the run, and they got one of the best interior linemen to get, interior defensive linemen to get. Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham already off the board. Who do you get? The next best guy. Feels like a Jonathan Gannon pick. You really need to address that run-stopping problem. Really build that defense to really help the Cardinals' offense. It's been a problem. The Cardinals are one of the worst teams in holding on to the football, and now you get a person that can really force havoc and create turnovers.
Yeah, in my mock drafts, there were really only 2 teams that I mocked Walter Nolan going to. It was 11 to the 49ers and 17 to the Bengals. I really didn't factor in the Cardinals, but I really like this pick. I originally, a couple weeks ago, when Walter Nolan wasn't really hyped up as much and his draft stock didn't rise up, I said that he would be a great pick for the Eagles. Obviously, he flew up on the draft boards, and I really think, as an Eagles fan, Jonathan Gannon is going to love this pick, and he will use Walter Nolan kind of like how he used Jalen Carter and how he used Fletcher Cox when he was in the system in Philadelphia.
And with Walter Nolan now off the board to the Cardinals, that means the Cincinnati Bengals are officially on the clock, Connor. What is Cincinnati now thinking?
See, the 2 people that I wanted was Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant, and both of them are gone now. So one of the worst run defenses in the NFL last year, we were getting torched on the ground in a division that is very run-heavy usually. So you got to think we go corner here. You have to think that the Cincinnati Bengals go some type of secondary now, and I think, personally, I would want a Jahdae Barron here. I want Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson. I absolutely loved Jahdae Barron's game. I think he won the Thorpe for a reason. He was the best corner in college football last year, and I think that this team that needs pretty much every defensive position, you have to take one of them. You have to take a shot on either Johnson or Jahdae.
Did you see Mike Green going there, getting an edge rusher? Trey Hendrickson is rumored to get traded.
Could be.
Could they find their replacement? Maybe trade Trey Hendrickson this draft. Maybe get another first-round pick this year. Maybe get in a second-round pick. Who knows?
Could get also the Oregon defensive tackle. That could also be an option.
Yeah, Derek Harmon is still an option. Cincinnati does have options open. It does feel like, though, they are going to address the defense. The pick is officially in. Cincinnati did not trade this pick. I actually thought that was a very realistic possibility. The Bengals could look to move down from a spot with some of their possible guys they have had circled for a long time would be gone at this point. I think the Bengals now are definitely going to be interested. What do you have to show me about?
All 5 are still there.
All 5 of DJ's picks for the Philadelphia Eagles are on the board still. DJ, you know you got to be a little bit worried about that.
There's still a solid 17 picks or 15 picks.
You also have a Super Bowl ring in your back pocket. I think you're doing just fine.
We'll be just A-okay, Mr. Brett Byrne. I think we'll just be
Okay.
A-okay.
Okay, I respect your opinion. We'll keep
Howie
watching.
Roseman.
The best draft pick in the NFL is the 32nd pick. I mean, everyone knows that.
Yeah. You have a lot of flexibility, especially when you have a GM as good as Howie Roseman. I will talk about Howie Roseman day and night, 24/7. I will talk about how good he is, literally all the time.
I'll never forgive them for letting Jalen Carter fall to the Eagles.
Yeah, and then drafting Nolan Smith the same year. You see how he's come up. Jalen Hunt in the 3rd round last year. He
I
got a
think we
sack on
just need
Patrick
to, like-
Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
I think we just need to prevent the Eagles from drafting any more.
I don't think so. I like the run that we're on right now. Come on, our Super Bowl window's wide open.
Drafting criminals.
All right. Let's
Whoa,
go.
Matt.
Let's go back to the pick at hand. I just want to say that this is the second year in a row that the prospect that I fell in love with for my favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals, has gotten picked the pick before. Dallas Turner last year. Because the Vikings traded up to get Dallas Turner 1 pick in front of the Bengals. And now Walter Nolan's off the board 1 pick before.
That's a Hall of Fame segue, Connor. That was perfect.
Yeah.
I was actually about to mention that to you before we got sidetracked into the discussion because I know we were watching the draft last year, and I think your face drop was almost very similar. And, man,
yeah.
What, 2 years now? You talked about it too earlier when we were walking over here.
I can't fall in love with the prospect anymore because then they're just gonna get picked right before. But please give me Jahdae Barron.
You got to go for the Mayock Riser that's projected 3rd round, then goes up, and you're like, oh, I want that guy. So then somebody trades up and gets him.
Although knowing the Bengals front office will pick Shadur Sanders here.
Oh my God.
They'll give you another receiver. They'll go Matthew Golden.
I would walk out.
Why?
I'd resign.
There you go.
I do feel like Derek Harmon though would also be a great value pick.
Yeah.
He's that defensive line guy you need. Good at stopping the line, disruptive.
It all just depends on who the front office, like what part of the defense the front office values more.
Me and Cody Burt maybe in shambles.
Anybody defensive. Anybody defensive.
Anybody defensive?
Yep. Anybody but offense.
Would you take Gray Zabel?
No.
Offensive guard out of North Dakota State?
No.
Offensive line?
No.
No?
No.
Josh Simmons?
No.
Connor wants nothing offensive.
Yes.
They don't need anything
Okay.
offensive.
I respect it.
We got absolutely D-Dayed on defense last year. We got shelled.
If they pick somebody on the offensive side of the ball, that might get them one more touchdown away.
If we had a better defense last year, we realistically could have been 13-4.
DJ Schefter?
Connor, did you hear what they just said? Adam Schefter reporting that Cincinnati has gone no closer to a deal with Trey Hendrickson, so edge rusher is a prime target right here.
Yay. Mike Green's a Bengal. Yay.
Roger Goodell making his way to the podium for the number 17 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Right here on U92 The Moose.
We're gonna pick Amari and Hampton. I guarantee it.
Good job picking up the solid name.
Chase Brown was 1 yard short of 1,000. That's why.
Luther Burden.
Hey, defensive. Hey, that's a defensive end.
That's a great pick.
Okay.
Great pick.
Okay.
Defensive end from Texas A&M.
All right.
It's only a reach
That's
if it
fine.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Hey,
I love it right now. If he sucks, I'm gonna be so mad.
hey, one of the better combine prospect really boosted his stock in
That's
the
what
combine.
I don't like.
Tested really
That's
well.
what I don't
Well,
like.
A bigger defensive end. I think he's one of the bigger guys in this draft. Really long arms.
Yep,
Yeah.
Connor,
I
you
think
will
when-
like this. He had similar measurements to Myles Garrett. Just something to point out.
And he went to A&M.
He did.
He did go to A&M.
He did go to A&M.
The battle, the Myles
Some
Garrett
similarities
prospects.
right there.
The battle
Shamar
of-
Stewart goes number 17. That puts the Seattle Seahawks now officially on the clock. But I do like the Bengals going out and getting an edge rusher. But Cincinnati fans, that does have to grow concern, especially with the report from Schefter that a deal with Trey Hendrickson has gotten no closer to happening. It does feel more and more as each day goes on that Hendrickson's days as a Bengal could be limited now, possibly drafting his predecessor in
Shamar Stewart clocked a sub 4.6 at 270 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a very large man running very fast.
Do you guys think we could potentially see a Trey Hendrickson in a trade up?
Maybe.
Good.
I would love that.
Who would you trade up for, though? That's the
I could
question.
see
Maybe
it.
Commanders.
Who would
the
you trade up
Commanders.
for?
Jahdae Barron. Get a corner.
That would be a perfect scenario, I think.
Yeah. But that's not going to happen because do you know our front office? Our front office is from the Stone Age.
Mike Brown, yep.
You still have all the quarterbacks on the board.
Always hype. Always hype. I like that. That's AFC North energy right there.
It's AFC North energy right there.
Dom, there are 4 picks left till the Steelers are on the clock. Just hope you're ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Perfect timing times 2?
Yeah.
I'm not ready for it at all. Oh, Brett, I got a great pick here. If Seattle,
What do you think, RJ?
If Seattle goes the Marshall product, Mike Green.
Mike Green, I actually think that is a very reasonable explanation. I think Mike Green, not maybe necessarily falling at this point, but Mike Green is a very great talent. Again, he led the NCAA last year in sacks for everyone. I think he's an elite talent, had one of the best Senior Bowls along with, I think, is Seattle's target, Gray Zabel. I think this is where I have mocked Zabel going, building some protection for Sam Darnold. I think this is a very likely landing spot for Zabel.
Maybe go more offense, get Matthew Golden, add another receiver to that receiving core. You get JSN, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Golden.
That's what they did with JSN a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They had
It's very
Tyler
true. They had
Lockett
DK
and
Metcalf and Lockett.
and they decided to add JSN. Everybody was like, why do you need a third receiver? It's looking pretty good now.
Yeah,
They traded DK for, a second-round pick?
Yeah.
Now they have JSN and Tyler Lockett. He just signed a one-year
Titans.
graveyard deal with the Titans.
I mean, he
But
was already pretty
I could see them doing the same thing here.
So we're getting some reporting now that both the Bucks and the Seahawks are open to moving back for a team that may be interested in the quarterback. Obviously, Seahawks are now no longer in that business with their pick being in.
Seattle's
Watch
pick
Tampa
is
Bay
in.
now at 19.
Wow. That's a good report, Brett. I think that'd be really interesting. Kind of start before you're getting into the 20s. Kind of around where it could have been projected for QBs to trade up. Pittsburgh's pretty close as well. So maybe jump in Pittsburgh for the quarterback.
And, looking at New York for myself and Mr. Foley, they might be in a position now where they can just wait until the second round to pick their quarterback
Get
from the
Shedeur
bunch.
Sanders at 34.
Right, that honestly doesn't seem so far off at this point.
What, Bryce? What doesn't seem as obvious so far?
To Shedeur Sanders falling to the second round to the New York Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the reports are coming in from Adam Schefter that is a likely possibility that Sanders falls. But you've got to think still with the Steelers sitting at 21, that still seems like a prime landing spot, and teams like the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns trading back in, especially Cleveland getting some of that extra draft capital from the already trade back with Jacksonville. They can move in and take Sanders near the end of this first round. We are on to the 18th pick, over halfway done here in the 2025 NFL Draft. We've had some surprises. The first 7 stayed chalk. After that, a little bit mixed up, and then probably that 11 through 14 range got a little crazy with Tyler Booker to the Cowboys, Kenneth Grant to the Dolphins. I feel like to me that may be the biggest shock so far, other than the Jaguars pulling the trigger and moving up to number 2 to get Travis Hunter. But the Seahawks pick is in. To me, it feels like this is Gray Zabel, but another team now, we're getting into these later picks, a lot of options to go with.
We're getting very dangerous to teams trading up. I think if we're going to see a team trade up, it's going to be within the Buccaneers to Broncos. Maybe go after Shedeur Sanders, maybe.
We have had one trade so far.
Denver's been very open to be trying to get a trade out, too.
Yep.
Look trenches
Here we
here.
go.
With the 18th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Gray Zabel.
Wow.
Let's go, Brett. Great
Gray
shot,
Zabel.
Brett.
Burner.
Guys, Gray Zabel is a Seattle Seahawk, and I like the pick. Now, Matt, I know we've talked about Zabel as a prospect. I am not absolutely the biggest fan of his game, obviously with North Dakota State, but we talked about Joey earlier. This is a program for North Dakota State that you trust talent coming out. They have put out some great talent. Joey brought up the Cal safeties. There's just some positions that certain schools know how to produce. Offensive line 1 for NDSU. Zabel, now a Seahawk, and I think that definitely Sam Darnold, I think you love this pick. Getting some extra protection, and I like what Mike McDonald's doing, taking after his, mentor in Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, you saw what Minnesota did. They were able to get him get Sam Darnold some weapons and some protection, and now you're trying to recreate that with Seattle. You lose some people. Seattle already had a not-so-good offensive line last year for Geno Smith. Geno Smith was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, you give Sam Darnold some protection, you give him some weapons, and you see what he can do. You saw what he did with Minnesota. He led him to 14-3 and a playoff appearance. Now, he didn't win that playoff appearance, but hey, Seattle's in a much easier conference than the NFC North. That conference is sort of wide open right now, with the Cardinals sort of like trying to get back into contention. The Rams are probably the mainstay in that division, and the 49ers look to be tumbling a little bit.
With Tampa Bay now officially on the clock at number 19, still, Matt, have yet to have one of the cornerbacks go off the board. I think this is a prime positioning for Tampa Bay with either Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson, or Nick Emlarie still sitting there as well.
I honestly don't think they're going to go DB. I think they're going to go and replace Levante David. They're going to get Jahad Campbell. I think this has been a pick that is pretty, like, I don't want to say a no-brainer, but, like, you get your Levante David replacement, you get that sideline-to-sideline linebacker from Alabama. Really was one of the better linebackers this year. You really build, like, you have Antoine Winfield, and then you upgraded with, I mean, you did lose Carlton Davis, but, hey, I mean, there are still corners available. Could you imagine if Will Johnson fell another pick to the Broncos?
That would be an amazing pick. Again, Denver could have their choice of cornerback right now, but I don't want Will Johnson's name to be mentioned for a while because at this point, dream scenario is still alive. The Lions sitting at 28, and I was very adamant in saying this. If Will Johnson makes it past pick 20 in Denver, I think Detroit should be aggressive and go get him. The Michigan prospect, we'll have to see what happens there. But Jahdae Barron has not been off the board either. These cornerbacks are having to wait to hear their name called. I think Tampa Bay, interested to see what they do. Pick is currently not in yet, but Bryce just talked about this is a pick that could be traded for one of those QB-needy teams willing to go up and get Shedeur Sanders, possibly. Maybe they want Jackson Dart. Maybe they want Jalen Milroe. Maybe they want Tyler Shuck. Still a lot of options available in this draft as we are about to hit the 20s, our last pick in the teens.
I mean, honestly, I think we're going to see a lot more corners flying off the board within the next, 19 to 24 range. You have the Packers who are in need of a corner with them possibly shopping Jair Alexander. The Vikings desperately need secondary after free agency, losing Byron Murphy. I think Harrison Bader is close to retirement. You could see a safety, Nick Emenworthy's been rumored to them. The Chargers could always need
Tampa's clock is stopped right now. Just something to mention.
Tampa's clock is stopped. We have seen this a couple times tonight where there have been some technical difficulties with the clock, but
technical difficulties or a trade.
This is big time right here. You've got to think if Tampa Bay trades this pick, this is a QB-ready team about to jump in. The clock is being paused for a long time right now. Still has.
Is there a trade in the mix?
Is somebody trying to skip Pittsburgh?
Shefty just tweeted,
Do we have
Buccaneers picking ...
That's scary.
Buccaneers picking. Oh.
Whoa.
And a big reset there. That could mean we might see a graphic change. We're still waiting.
I think that
see
means
what's
a trade.
gonna happen.
And the pick is in.
Pick is in for Tampa Bay. They reset it. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, interesting there. But Tampa Bay, as of now, the pick, it says it is in. The NFL draft resuming from a commercial break, maybe going to get some clearance on what just happened there.
I don't want to see your spoilers.
No. I was checking to see if it was
DJ,
straight.
quit spoiling it.
Quit spoiling, DJ.
Everybody else shoot the messenger.
There's Aaron Rodgers talking about another quarterback who fell a good bit.
Of course they showed Aaron
And
And could go to the Steelers.
I'm waiting for the Big Ben pick as we passed on him for Kellen Winslow. Yeah. Mac product, Big Ben.
Hey, Mac product. You got to love the Mac. RJ, I know you're a big Akron guy.
Yep. Big time Miami grad.
Another kid from Akron.
There's, again, Shedeur Sanders, the graphic on him right there. Does not
7% to the Steelers.
Definitely doesn't feel like that.
Do we think that the Buccaneers have to go defense here, or could they go offense?
I don't think they really need offense.
I have seen rumors of Tampa Bay being interested in Matthew Golden.
Even though they just re-signed Chris Godwin to a
You have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and you can't forget about McMillan
so kind of
from
like
Washington.
we were just talking about the Seahawks.
Yep.
They get a third receiver. I don't hate them. Yeah, but they just got they have McMillan.
You got to think you have McMillan. I do think this feels like a defensive pick.
Because the only other secondary player, the only good secondary player that they have to mention is Antoine Winfield Jr. I really
like. You got Matthew Golden, maybe Ibuka. Is there a little short guy in there?
Mecca Ibuka?
I personally, I like Ibuka more than Golden.
Probably the best route runner of the receivers in this class.
I had Golden as my fourth receiver. I was not high on Golden. I just don't like how you really didn't hear about him before the combine. All of a sudden he runs a 4.29. All of a sudden draft stock rising. Not saying he's a bad player. He was really good at Texas, but not as good as Luther Burden, Emeka Ibuka, and obviously Tedero McMillan.
Pick's in.
Pick is in. We're currently waiting. They do have the stage set camera angle. It feels like we are about to see Commissioner Goodell making his way to the podium. Here comes pick 19, which also means the Denver Broncos are on the clock.
Watch out for Luther Burden.
Whoa!
Okay. So
Great
Tampa.
The rich get richer at offense. That's a crazy pick.
Tampa goes offense, Matt. There you go.
We have our second receiver off the board if we're not counting Travis Hunter. You get Emeka Ibuka to already impact that loaded wide receiver room. You add him to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan. Like, Baker Mayfield's going to have 4 receivers to throw to, plus Cade Otton, Bucky Irvin, Rashad White. Like, oh my.
The Bucks offense continues to load up.
Dynamic trio, or like four receiver room in the NFL. Like, Emeka Ibuka is one of the best college wide receivers to come out of Ohio State. I mean, they produce someone every year. Like,
he's the latest in the line.
I think what's really incredible here, thank God he did not go to the AFC North, because I think the Buckeye trend almost every year there is a great Ohio State player that ends up going to Pittsburgh or Baltimore. So I think really happy about that. But I think talking about it from a Tampa Bay perspective, I think a lot of people were usually in the conversation of, well, he was behind Marvin Harrison Jr. and obviously Jeremiah Smith this past season. I really think for Ibuka, and I think what gave him more opportunities was Jeremiah being that one. And you have that cornerback 2 on Ibuka. I think even him not being that one, he's still getting a lot of those targets because I think he always beats those second cornerbacks. And I think really for Ohio State, for Ibuka, you kind of predicted if he would be the one receiver 1, this past season, he would have been around the mid-teens anyway. So just a couple picks later, I think is interesting to some because Golden, they had a lot of that pre-draft hype obviously going in. I think people tend to forget that with the Ohio State receiver factory, I think he kind of got snuck in behind. But I think for Tampa Bay, you want that route runner, best route runner in the class.
Completely agree there, RJ. I think Ibuka is an absolute steal at 19 for the Buccaneers. I don't know. Again, Tampa Bay loading up on receiver when, again, with guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin exiting their primes and aging out of the NFL, you're bringing in guys like Jalen McMillan and Emeka Ibuka to be the next 2 stepping stones for that Buccaneers squad. But now the teens are over. Denver currently still on the clock. Again, this has been a pick heavily talked about, a trade possibility, but not to look forward. If the Broncos do decide to send in a pick here, I do not believe it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think we can say that pretty confidently. The Pittsburgh Steelers draft plan may be a success. Standing pat, not jumping, and getting their guy, very similar to when Kenny Pickett fell right into Pittsburgh's lap.
Could we see the Broncos go offense? Add to that young core. I mean, you have Cortland Sutton, you have Troy Franklin, and you have a bunch of other plethora of receivers. But there is really no running back in that running back room. Audric Estime is there, Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams is gone. He's now in a Dallas Cowboy. Could they add defense? Both of the cornerbacks are still there. Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson. Imagine Will Johnson goes to the Broncos defense. Imagine having to go against Will Johnson and Pat Surtain. Like, that's just going to be a nightmare for teams' receivers. Like, that's 2 of the best quarterbacks out of the past 5 years to come out of college.
But I like where you're going with that first point, Matt. Omari and Hampton to Denver. This feels like, again, the 2 running backs going in the top 20 is something we don't see that often. But how good this running back class is, I think we could see it right here. I think Hampton is a really good fit in Denver, who Sean Payton really wants to get that rushing attack going. I think that's a very likely pick. But I completely agree with you on the other side of the ball, too. Defense is a need, and cornerback could be an amazing pick.
Yeah, the Broncos are RJ, go ahead.
No, I'm looking. They're still on the clock. There's about 2 minutes left for Denver. I think the trade partner conversation, I think, are trying to still go on. They're going to try and take it down to that last minute. If not, I love the running back talk that we were talking about. Denver does not have a running back, and if you want to make life easier for Bo Nix, you need to give him a rushing attack. I think having a guy like Garrett Bowles, kind of like an example for that offensive line, you have a couple pieces there for Denver, but you don't have the main piece in running back. I think if you get him that for Denver, I think they'd be in a really great spot. I think leading up to Pittsburgh, this is where the question mark's going to start happening again.
Yeah. I mean,
clock's
winding down. I think the Broncos are calling around. I think they have their pick if they need to, but I think they're making all the phone calls needed to see if anybody wants to move ahead of the Steelers to really get Shadur Sanders.
And that's a great point to mention, is that is kind of indicative of what the Steelers' philosophy at 21 is. It's certainly quarterback. And I think the Broncos are calling around and saying, hey, if you want your pick at the bunch, because you're essentially getting the entire quarterback class minus the consensus #1 overall pick, this would be the spot where you would be jumping the teams that would begin to have interest in those later first-round quarterbacks.
Clock is currently under a minute. Dom Brusco seems to be really nervous sitting over there. I'll switch the camera to him in the top left of the screen. Wave hi to the camera, Dom. Dom, are you hoping that Denver the pick is in for the Broncos? Here we go, Dom. Shador Sanders could be available for the Steelers.
I don't really want Shadur, and I hope that the Broncos don't pick Amari Hampton. He's honestly one of my favorite players. But Connor says, like Connor, what happened to Connor? I'm in love with Amari Hampton. Therefore, the Broncos are probably going to take him away from me. I'd be fine if they pick a receiver here, too. That'd be cool. You know, they need a receiver. What do they got? Troy Franklin and Cortland Sutton? Yeah, give Bo Nix another guy, you know? Or a defensive guy. They got Mike Green on the board, right? Anybody but Amari Hampton here would be nice. Or, hey, maybe you draft Shadur. I don't know.
Denver's drafting Shadur.
I think Bryce mentioned this, but Shadur,
perfect timing of Mile High.
Shadur in the 21 year with Kenny Pickett. This seems too similar to a situation that I do not like it at all. It's giving me deja vu. I really wanted Malik Willis that year, and unfortunately we didn't pick him. I feel like everybody's skipping out on Shadur for a reason. There's good reason behind that. There's a lot of reports coming out. I feel like we can get a lot better of a value pick here. We don't really have a running back. We have Jalen Warren, got rid of Najee. Amari Hampton would make sense here. But, you know, Broncos are probably going to pick him right now with my luck.
Denver currently on the draft show. They are showing Matthew Golden with phone in hand.
No way.
With Roger Goodell about to come to the podium. It was not up to his ear. It was currently at his face. We will see what Denver's about to do. I think the Broncos really have the pick of the litter here. That might be Hornswoggle up there for the Broncos cheering him on. Shout out Beyond the Mat. If you love wrestling, tune in to Beyond the Mat Wednesdays right here on the U92 podcast.
Wow. Well, it would be a great shot from Don Brusco if it is a receiver.
And the NFL is proud to support the life-changing wishes that Make-A-Wish grants. Yes.
Great foundation here. Make-A-Wish for the NFL.
Wishes will be coming true right now. Sam is a 17-year-old Bronco.
Bless you, Dom.
My apologies to the audience.
Scared me.
Dom sneezes always scare us, man.
Oh, in the apartment every time, man. It hits.
Yep.
We're
It's
getting
like-
serious here. We're at U92.
It's either a smoke alarm or Dom's nose. It's always something.
We're in the 20s, so it is getting late here.
Tune into
Time
my
is at
podcast.
10:20.
That's not bad.
We're actually kind of moving.
Good amount of Denver faithful.
Matthew Golden.
20th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron.
Jahdae Barron.
Oh, okay.
Corner. They pass on Will and go Jahdae Barron.
Denver with the pick of cornerback goes with Jahdae Barron over Will Johnson to pair him beside Patrick Surtain.
That's a scary duo.
That's a really
That's
scary
a
duo.
really like the Denver defense was already a top 5 possibly top 3, and like maybe the best. You pair him with the defensive player of the year. You throw him in the slot. That's scary.
We just talked about Tampa Bay, the offense, the rich get richer. Denver goes opposite, their defense get even richer. But we'll throw back, Dom. You are on the edge of your seat. Omarion Hampton as well as Shador Sanders is on the board. The Steelers currently on the clock. But I want to get your opinions first on this Denver pick of Jahdae Barron.
I feel like Jahdae Barron is a really good choice for this Denver defense. I mean, you already picked up how many guys did they poach off the 49ers? They got who?
Hufanga and Greenlaw.
I mean, that's already a good start to build that defense. You have PS2 on there. You have Jahdae Barron. That's going to be a really tough defense to go up against. And I feel like it's a great value pick for them. Their defense was a dominant force last year. You just made it like 3 times better.
Absolutely. I think it'd be a little bit too early of a comparison, but I think building defense, you kind of think of their former Super Bowl opponent, the Seattle Seahawks. And not saying Legion of Boom, but you're having a great,
like a no-fly zone type of thing.
No-fly zone. You're getting a hard-hitting quarterback. And I think from Barron especially, I mean, you got him and PS2. A pretty incredible duo, I think, for the secondary for Denver. Not going to be a problem for them once at all.
And, again, they still have that running back issue to address, but they can obviously do that, second round, third round. There's a lot of guys still on the board, not just Amarian Hampton. You have Dylan Sampson. You have Cam Scatterbu. Many guys that will probably fall into their hands around their next pick.
Pittsburgh's clock is still winding, 5:15. I think really if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have two options. You have Shedeur Sanders and you have Amarian Hampton.
Well,
I think
you could go Derek Harmon.
If you're Pittsburgh and you were in this luxury position, could the Steelers look to trade this pick and continue to build some capital? They think they can wait even longer for Shedeur Sanders.
The Steelers also love picking defense. They
There's a
love
lot of cameras on Shedeur
I
right
could
now.
see Mike Green going here.
There are a lot of cameras. The pick is
that's
officially in.
I could see Will
I want to
Johnson
see
going
if they
here.
keep this angle on Sanders. A lot of cameras.
Please don't pick up the phone, Shedeur. Don't pick up the phone, buddy.
The Steelers draft room.
If anybody can lip read, try to see.
They seem pretty happy.
Hey, this is perfect timing.
A lot of talks here.
Is that Jackson Dart?
That is Jackson Dart.
No
That
way.
is Jackson Dart.
He's not on the phone.
At 21 right now.
Pick up the phone, Jackson.
He has his phone in his hand.
It's not.
Yes, but he's
Well,
still
there.
like-
Well, yeah, I think a guy who's about to get drafted in the NFL is going to have a phone in his hand.
Pick up the phone.
Wow.
It's Jalen Milrow.
No, it's not. If Jalen Milrow falls out of the first round, he's going to be a Cleveland Brown on Friday night. Hopefully. You could look a couple of options here, though, for Pittsburgh, I think. Really looking. ESPN spent a lot of time on that Shedeur camera. They did not do it for many other picks. I mean, a lot of being talked about has been the Pittsburgh Steelers and potentially trade up. The trade-ups did not have to happen. They're standing pat, I think. Even if, Dom, I will say this. If you do end up picking Shedeur, at least you didn't have to trade any capital away to
All
get
right, that is a fair point. They just mentioned the point that we have not won a playoff game in 9 years. Something's got to change here. Either whether that be a playmaker, whether that be somebody on defense, could be Will Johnson, could be anybody. There's a lot of players that Pittsburgh needs here.
Could say the rich get richer has been a theme so far, so I think your pick of Derek Harmon could be
Roger
potential here.
Goodell is at the podium.
Timing?
Please don't be Shedeur.
Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon.
Oh my goodness. Maybe the shock of the draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers have passed on Shedeur Sanders and take Derek Harmon at the 21st overall pick.
So where does he go?
Second round, dude.
Somebody check on Quinn and Joey right now.
The question now becomes, will a team want to trade back in to this first round to go after Sanders? The two teams that immediately come to mind are the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. But the question still remains, could Pittsburgh trade back in to still get Sanders later in this draft? Are the LA Rams still an option for Shedeur Sanders? The crime time kid now maybe gets the shock of the night. The Steelers go Derek Harmon. Dom, you get your wish.
I'm very shocked that my pick actually came true. Derek Harmon has been one of my favorite prospects. He's disruptive. He's somebody that will cause offenses problems. And obviously the Steelers need the fit. We got a lot of guys that are going out the door. The Steelers don't know if we're going to be able to keep T.J. Watt for a little while longer because he wants to be paid about as much as
more than
Myles Garrett. I don't know if the Steelers have the money to do that. And Cameron Hayward is also going to be out the door soon when he retires. You need to
That's
begin
a great
to fix
point
this
that I did
defense.
not think about. I think that's the best point I think about this pick that I did not think about. I mean, it's
Derek Harmon can mentor under him. He's still got 2 years.
Everybody just assuming is Cameron Hayward's going to play till God knows how long, but I think Dom kind of mentioning that he's going to retire soon. You thought it would have been years ago, but he still kept playing, and I really think Pittsburgh's thinking defensively. They know how to, I think, get the best out of their defensive prospects, and I think they go the way no one really expects them to go, Dom. I think you kind of can, as a Steelers fan, attest to that. The past couple,
we always go defense every time.
The past couple of years, though, when you're mocked a certain prospect, you guys usually go to a different direction, whether that's trenches or usually even maybe a potential cornerback. But I think for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, I think it's a great future investment pick because I think they kind of noticed everybody falling down on Shedeur Sanders. I think unless there is a trade-up, he's falling out of the first round.
I mean, I love this pick, though. Over the past few years, the Steelers have taken Peyton Wilson, Nick Herbig, and this just adds to the building and making that roster new, putting in the new guys because we're starting to retire out the old guys. I love this pick. It's rebuilding the defense the way it should be.
Yep.
And I feel like this guy will be great in the blitz package as well, something the Steelers have been lacking in.
Absolutely. I guess coming of age, I got out with the old, in with the new, I really think, for Pittsburgh. And I think doing that, I think Mike Tomlin's done a great job of getting the best out of his players, as great of a head coach as he is. But this Chargers pick now is very interesting. They are still on the clock. We're still going to have to wait and see what they end up doing.
I'd probably assume that they would go with wide receiver here. A lot of guys on the board.
I don't know.
Is Matthew Golden happen to still be on the board?
Yeah, he's still on the board.
He's still on the board. I feel like any receiver really that's on the board for the Chargers would be a great decision. I mean, you'd add him in tandem with Ladd McConkey here.
I can still see him going with edge rusher too with Mike Green because Khalil Mack's getting up there in age too.
Mike Green is still on the board.
I'm very surprised.
They also lost Joey Bosa to Buffalo as well.
You've got to think with the Chargers right here, what is L.A. going to do with this pick? You guys have talked about Mike Green as possible option. There are still some edge rushers going. Could cornerback Will Johnson, Jim Harbaugh's kid, still on the board?
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah, there was a mock draft that I had a Michigan guy going to Harbaugh in Kenneth Grant, but Kenneth Grant got taken way earlier than any of us anticipated. If they get away, I mean, right now I can see Will Johnson getting picked here because the Chargers haven't re-signed Asante Samuel Jr. yet. He is still a free agent, and he was cornerback one. They got the steal of the draft last year, one of the steals of the draft last year, in that Tariq Still. He ended up faring out pretty well. I think he was like a 4th or 5th round pick, but totally unexpected star for them. I think that's a reason why they haven't re-signed Asante Samuel Jr. yet. But Will Johnson, Michigan guy, cornerback, has anything that you want in a cornerback prospect. Reminds me of Quinyon Mitchell for the Eagles last year, number 22 pick, falling to them.
No.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, if Will is going to go anywhere besides 28 to Detroit, I would love for him to be reunited with his college head coach in L.A., but notice the Chargers now about to have 3 minutes left. They are still on the clock. The pick is not in. Up after the Chargers is the Green Bay Packers. I think that's another one. They could go a lot of different directions. Possibly Shedeur Sanders. We know they like taking quarterbacks of the future in the first round. I don't think Cody Burton would be very happy about that upstairs. I think somebody would have to take his spot on the main show for a couple minutes if Sanders went to Green Bay, but I don't foresee that happening yet. It does feel like, though, Mel's Bales available. Shedeur Sanders still sitting at the top. Behind him, Will Johnson, Amarian Hampton, Josh Simmons, and Matthew Golden.
We've only lost one. Shamar Stewart? No, Harmon.
Could we see the Chargers go offense here for a guy like Matthew Golden needing receiver help?
Hey, Brett, what's the one position that Jim Harbaugh loves?
What's he love? Offensive lineman.
On offense? No. What's one skill position that he
Tight
loves?
end.
No, he loves running backs.
He does love running back. Amarian Hampton is sitting on the board.
They did just sign Najee Harris.
They'd sign Najee, but again, Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, it's a wishy-washy.
JK's a free agent.
JK's a free agent.
Amarian Hampton could be a sneaky good pick here, falling into Jim Harbaugh's lap.
Get that 1-2 punch.
The camera's still on Shedeur Sanders. You've got to think now again with the hats that Sanders has in his custom draft room. Are the nerves starting to build for Shedeur? We will have to see. L.A. yet to place the pick in. They are still on the clock. I'm looking actually at this Chargers fan section. I don't see the main Chargers fan, the girl you always see at the games with the ridiculous reaction. I don't think she made the trip. We do see the Chargers draft room. We see Coach Harbaugh right there in the main seat. They definitely look like they have a bit more comfy chairs than we do, Matt, but we won't comment on that. Chargers still waiting here, a minute 15 to go, and no action yet.
I want to go back to Shedeur Sanders. I think kind of something that was reported kind of later was talking about how certain interviews, I think he did not perform as well, and I think a potential backfiring of him potentially wanting to go to a better situation, you might have fell out of the first round due to that reason.
100%.
I mean, the Chargers are definitely fielding calls. I think Harbaugh's got his guy in mind. I think it is Will Johnson coming up. But I mean, I honestly I don't think a team's gonna. I think a team's gonna wait a little bit to trade in. Like, I don't think it's gonna be within the next 3 picks. I think we could really see something around the Rams pick. Maybe Detroit, maybe the Commanders, maybe trading out, maybe into that early second round. We could see the Browns or the Giants trade in. Assuming they think one of the others going to trade, wait.
They're really waiting here, huh? They got about 20 seconds left on the clock.
Buzzer beater pick.
Clock continues to tick.
Come on,
It is starting to pause a little bit.
Let's make history. Come on.
And it goes for the win.
I'm honestly surprised Mike Green hasn't gone yet. I mean, he's executed
That's
a
another
lot
sneaky
of
pick,
parts
yeah.
of the
Mike
game.
Green, obviously with Joey
That'd be a
Bosa
great pick for Philadelphia.
leaving LA,
I
this
mean,
could be a sneaky
17
spot.
sacks in the Sun Belt.
Clock is
he
at
did wonderful in the Senior Bowl.
zeros.
Wow. We've seen our
Pick
first
is
zero.
in.
All
Pick,
right.
pick is now in.
Buzzer
Yep.
beater pick.
Jim Harbaugh getting a little bit dramatic here.
We saw our first triple zeros.
Harbaugh waiting till the last minute. I want to shout out Booger McFarland's all-purple and lavender suit here on his draft show. I wish I had that suit in the arsenal. We'll take what we can get.
Isn't he from the Bayou?
Who? Booger?
McFarland?
He might be. Is he? I don't know.
Somebody look that up.
Let me look that up. Booger McFarland. Shout out. Absolute legend. We'd love to have you on the draft show next year if you're able. I know you're probably a little bit more busy, but hey, Dad always said, you always got to ask. Worst they can say is no.
Or I might be thinking.
He is from the Bayou.
There you
He
go.
was. Wow. I might have been Spears even.
Winsboro, Louisiana.
Chargers still waiting here. Pick is in. We're waiting on Commissioner Goodell to make his way to the podium. I think there are a lot of different ways that LA can go here.
I would think defensively would be the main look for the Chargers. I think that's been a really struggle for them in the past. Has been obviously secondary. I think DJ mentioned Samuel not being re-signed. Or going the edge rusher Mike Green. You did lose Joey Bosa. You know he's going to be a lot of money, a cost-efficient replacement if you could decide to go Mike Green.
Well, I might have just spoiled it for myself.
Matt,
It popped
don't.
up on my Twitter.
Don't,
I'm
Matt.
not going to say it.
I mean,
Don't
Mike
say it.
Green is definitely a player to get excited over.
Mike Green is would be a great pick for Jim Harbaugh
gonna be
here
what? It was
at
gonna be what?
22.
I mean, it was going to be what, Brett?
What? It's a great pick.
Brett,
It's a great pick.
if you were to put Mike Green in the big leagues, I'm sure he'd make some plays.
Mike Green is a big leaguer, Dom. I'll tell you that right now.
He definitely deserves to go in the first
You
round.
almost,
He's
you almost
worked
said
for it.
massive, Brett. You were really
Well,
close.
I don't know what you're talking about, RJ. I think we've had a couple close calls tonight, but I think we've kept the massive counter down just a bit.
There
There it goes. It does
3,
seem
4.
like the LA draft room's still on the phone.
Looks like
They
they're quite
seem
happy about
pleased
it.
That's very
with the
interesting.
pick. Here we go. Here comes Commissioner Goodell with LA's
Jim
pick.
Harbaugh frozen in time.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Omarion.
Oh!
There we go.
Shout
Connor.
out, Connor.
1-2
Bradford for the call.
The Chargers take the second running back of the
Harbaugh
first
loves his
round,
running backs.
Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. 3-year starter at North Carolina. One of Mac Brown's guys. He was there. He got to sit behind Michael Carter and Javonte Williams for a year, and then really exploded the year after that. My second running back on my big board, only behind Ashton Genty, but it's hard. I mean, if you're behind Ashton Genty, you're probably still a good running back.
Probably, I think it's a pretty safe bet. Omarion Hampton is a great running back, tallying over 1,600 yards last season at UNC. I love this pick from Jim Harbaugh. Connor, an amazing pick. Harbaugh loves an amazing running back, and Omarion Hampton is just that. Now you pair him with Najee Harris, the Lightning and Thunder. We've seen Jim Harbaugh run that two-back system very efficiently with some guys like Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. We know Jim Harbaugh can make a two-back system work. I think this is a great pick for LA at 22.
And shout out his running back coach at the University of North Carolina, Larry Porter Jr., who is now on staff for WVU as its running back coach. Can we see West Virginia produce another talent like him?
There is Jaheim White.
Yeah.
You never know.
Hey, and Ty Edwards. Don't sleep on Ty Edwards this year.
He was looking for an NFL trainer in the Maryland area.
He was. I mean, Now, I think what's also amazing is you get to pair 2 receiving backs as well. Najee, big receiving back, and Amarin Hampton is a sneaky receiving back. They just showed a graphic of him catching a screen pass for a touchdown against Florida State. Now, could you run split backfield? I know Jim Harbaugh loved to run that at Michigan and this year with the Chargers. He would sometimes have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards on the same on the field at the same time.
Absolutely. I think Brett, kind of confirmed this to me here was I think Harbaugh was still around the coach when Edwards and Mullins were in the same backfield, correct?
Yep.
I think that's something also to mention. I think they were both. I mean, would you call Mullins necessarily a receiving back or could be a receiving back?
Khalil Mullins, you could consider him really a do-it-all back. He, had some big receiving plays, definitely more of that downhill runner. Khalil Mullins also a sneaky passer, completed a couple passes against Ohio State a couple of those years. Those are some great plays.
Quarterbacks this year weren't throwing the ball very well.
Definitely not. But this brings up number 23, the Green Bay Packers, the home turf pick here. You've got to think the Cheeseheads are going to be up and ready for this pick at 23. And yes, Matt, like right there, Will Johnson to me seems like an absolute miracle send to Green Bay that he is there right now with Jair Alexander, the rumors of his health, the rumors of his future with the Packers. Will Johnson seems like a great pick here, and it would be the second Wolverine going to a division rival in this draft. We saw J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings last year. Kenneth Grant's gone to Miami. We've seen Colston Loveland to the Bears. Now could we see Will Johnson to the Packers? We're about to see what Green Bay does. They're still on the clock.
The rumor of them going receiver as well. Like we saw Josh Jacobs speak out earlier about how the receiving room in Green Bay was lacking. It was a huge discussion between the Packers fans and the Packers organization. Matthew Golden is still available. Luther Burden still available. Could we see them take a wideout, maybe an edge rusher? Like Green Bay's known to have
Green Bay loves the defensive line in these first rounds.
Out of this position? Yeah. That's really the main question.
Bryce, I think that's a really good shot. I think the Packers are a team 4 minutes now left on their draft clock. I think this is a prime position for Green Bay to look to move back and build some extra assets. With GM Joe Gutekunst, he's going to make a big move.
Oh, absolutely. I think something even to add on to that, the Green Bay Packers have also been usually in those discussions for those potential George Pickens trades. If he were to get traded, I think you could see develop tomorrow. But I think for Green Bay, if you're not going to draft a first-round wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers throughout his whole career in Green Bay, do you really draft one this early for Jordan Love? I don't think so.
For Jordan Love or Josh Jacobs, I think that's a good shout. Ben?
Breaking news from Adam Schefter. Will Johnson has a knee injury, and that has a ton of teams concerned about it.
Oh.
Is that why
Makes sense.
Will Johnson, yes. Will Johnson, we just got word from Ben that Johnson is experiencing a knee injury. That is why he continues to slip. Injury concerns have been the main factor of why Will Johnson has been falling down. But I still think the upside of Johnson is there for one of these later teams to potentially be aggressive and go after the high upside ability of him.
You know what would be really funny, Brett?
What?
There was a guy a couple years ago who also had injury concerns due with his heart. That's correct. Could there be 2 Michigan men on the Cleveland Browns roster? Potentially. I would. No, I'm saying Will Johnson.
Yeah.
Also pairing up with Mason Graham. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
You don't like that? I feel like that's.
I feel like the cornerback.
I feel like Cleveland would win the draft.
I feel that too, but
if you get Milroe and Johnson.
Big Joe Milroe guy.
I feel like
now that would be massive.
Cornerback room is pretty loaded. Like you have Martin Emerson, you have Denzel Ward.
Newsom's on the trade block.
Greg Newsom.
Newsom is on the trade block.
But
possibility.
A lot of stuff going on. Green Bay still on the clock here. Pick not in. 2 minutes left.
I would think Green Bay, especially looking at secondary, I think even if, could you see a potential even a riser like a Revel even potentially be here? I mean, also injury concerns could
Revel
be.
also has a knee injury,
About to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Maxwell Harrison. That's
Harrison.
Yeah.
You see a Trey Amos?
Maxwell Harrison. Yeah, I know.
I mean, Green Bay's been known to have some pretty confusing picks that nobody can really piece together.
Like Jordan Morgan.
The one thing.
I mean, that's an offensive lineman.
The one thing we can all agree on is that this will not be a wide receiver.
Oh, what a great shout in the chat.
It should be a wide receiver.
Steelers by Joey. Saying hello to us in the war room.
Hi, Steelers by Joey.
Was that before or after the Harmon pick?
That's a great question.
Oh, Nico is joining.
Nico, too. Okay.
Is that my... That's what people teach.
Which one? This one?
Nico say
what up,
howdy,
Coach
fellas.
G?
Mr. Nico Corretto up at the main show broadcast. Hope it's going off well for you, gentlemen. Green Bay still on the clock. Approaching about a minute. Let's see I wonder how Cody Burton's feeling upstairs as well.
Cody's definitely got to be a little bit worried here. Pick is in now for Green Bay. You've got to think this crowd is going to erupt if they like it, but Packers fans will be very adamant if they do not like this pick.
My brother's tuning in, trying to. My brother's a Packers fan, so he's probably on the edge of his seat right now.
What do you think they're going to do here?
He wanted a corner. I was telling him before, like when I was talking to him over winter break and spring break, that BMO was his guy. But I don't know what he wants. I think he wants a corner. I think he knows that Jair's on the way out and that they need another corner. But they love to take their sweet time.
That is very true, yep. Pick is in, a lot of phone lights, a lot of cameras being shown. That's why a lot of these fans here to see the Packers take this pick in Lambeau. This could be a big moment. RJ, what are you seeing here? What are you hearing for the Packers?
I think really you got to think cornerback. I think especially with Jair Alexander, but he was on the trade block a while. I mean, nothing really has developed really as of lately. But I really think for Green Bay, it was a big emphasis and a big struggle. If you are not going to go receiver, if we're going to go off the pass in their history, how they have drafted, I think you really got to go somewhere in that secondary to help kind of boost up that defense and help Jordan Love from getting more opportunities.
And you hear the Packers faithful singing along, a little bit of a go Pack go going through the crowd.
Thank you, Jack.
It's got to be a good pick. It is on their home turf.
Thank you, Jack. My bad.
It's just get doxxed.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Delete that, please.
Matt Foley picks in here for Goodell. He's at the podium.
Sonny Weaver Jr. has logged a prediction for Bobby Boucher to go with this pick.
Great shout, Sonny Weaver Jr.
Sonny Weaver Jr.
Thank you, Sonny Weaver Jr.
Where does Forrest Gump go, though?
That's a great question. Where is Forrest Gump?
President coming out, Mark Murphy.
Wow.
Mark Murphy. We're just getting word about the Packers are on. The Thunder down 27 in their playoff game. This better be a good pick for Cody Burton.
Cody's probably live tweeting.
For the only publicly owned team in the NFL.
Look at all the phones out. You wouldn't see that at Augusta National.
Yeah.
No phones allowed.
No phones allowed. That's why we love Augusta.
Brett Burner would know.
Brett Burner was there, but didn't really get to see much of the
Didn't get to see much, but it got the merchandise.
Hey.
Did you get the discounted menu items too? Did you get a ability of that too?
Didn't get to get any of the menu items.
Oh, man.
Rain started too soon. Picks in here.
Oh my God, get the pick up. Sorry, get the pick.
We know.
We get it. You own 49% of your team.
Yep, we know Green Bay.
Oh my God, guess to the pick.
What if everybody raises their hand anyway?
Can I own?
Oh my God. Oh my God, bro.
I feel like we should take a win.
Oh my God, bro.
I think it's around like $200 to get a steak.
Put the fries in the bag.
Oh, God.
No.
Here we go.
Double Johnson.
Oh my.
Oh my.
They took a receiver.
What? Oh! What? It's Matthew Golden.
It could be Burden.
The Packers get a wide receiver for the first time since 2002.
That took
and
a
it's
while.
my least favorite receiver in the class.
I cannot wait to hear Cody's Burden reaction to this. Green Bay starts the Go Pack Go chant. Matthew Golden goes off the board at 23. Aaron Rodgers pleaded for the Packers organization to take a receiver for years. Josh Jacob speaks up, and Green Bay goes receiver, as Matt just said, for the first time in 23 years.
I mean, that took a while. That presentation took a while, but that was worth it. When he said for the first time since, we were all like, oh wait. So it was long, it was worth it, but Green Bay is so excited right now.
I think what is really interesting, if you would check in on McAfee's show, because he has Mike McCarthy on.
Oh, wow.
If any other supposed words would be said, considering he was the head coach, the Green Bay Packers along with that Aaron Rodgers era. But I think finally for Green Bay, I think Mark Murphy and company realized you needed to get a receiver for Jordan Love. You have to kind of expand on that potential. You picked really early for him in that first round. And I think passing up, that was the draft where they passed up on Justin Jefferson, wasn't it?
This is.
I believe it was.
This really crowds.
Minnesota's pick is in.
Vikings pick immediately in here.
I mean,
This is-
Green
this
Bay
has to
gave
be-
him an extra 10 minutes.
This has
so.
to be Will Johnson.
Stop, man. This again feels like
Or
such
this
an
could be
obvious spot
Eamonworthy.
for Will Johnson.
Eamonworthy's been mocked to them a lot. But
Nick
I think
Eamonworthy.
this has to be a secondary.
Fireworks.
Green Bay, the
The
fireworks are
Vikings
off.
pick
A
is in.
receiver has been taken in Lambeau. It took the draft being there for them to take a wide receiver. Matthew Golden in his full gold suit loves
I'm not going to lie, that's tough.
the Packers. Get a
That's
cheesehead on him right now.
This does really crowd the Packers receivers room. You have Christian Watson.
He won't be there next year, and he's injury prone.
I'd say
Still,
Wicks.
Jaden Reed, Dontavius Wicks, Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs, Shane Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson. You have
Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave.
a lot of what a people would say B receivers, and is Matthew Golden going to be that true separator? He really seems like, to me, he fits the mold that all of those other receivers fit,
seems like
the
another-
number 2 option.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. I think Jaden Reed.
Well, he's got the mic.
Oh, Mike.
Going off script here.
You're not him. That was
Not often do you see that, but the
That's-
Packers pick takes the mic at the podium. I love to see that from Golden,
that energy.
and the crowd really responding with that Green Bay. I think Packers faithful seems to be very happy with Matthew Golden.
We were talking about the energy earlier on in the show, and I mean that's a whole lot of energy right there. And if you can get a guy that brings that energy every single day, that's a great draft pick right there in my book. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely. I think the Packer faithful, kind of with that response, they have been waiting for a wide receiver for years. The organization not really listening to them and just taking off an offensive tackle or other team need. Finally go with a receiver. It took their running back, Josh Jacobs, to publicly plead and say, we do not have the receivers, and kind of say something. I mean, Jordan Love didn't really address it too much, but I think still it was just enough for Green Bay to finally pull the trigger, take a wide receiver, and I think a receiver like Golden, who we kind of break to fall down a little bit further, finally get picked by Green Bay.
Matthew Golden goes number 23 to the Green Bay Packers, and now their NFC North rival, the Minnesota Vikings, on the clock. Actually, the pick is currently in. The pick has been in for a good bit, as the NFL currently previewing Golden's skill set. Matthew Golden probably had the best showing of the combine out of any of the receivers. The speed that he possessed really outshining. Going into the year, he had a phenomenal year at Texas with Quinn Ewers. Isaiah Bond got a lot of the hype coming into the year, but by the end, Matthew Golden was that true number 1 receiver for Texas and Quinn Ewers. Now, a Green Bay Packer going to Lambeau to be paired with Jordan Love.
Yeah, the Houston transferred to Texas and really put on for Texas. If you remember that Arizona State playoff game, he had that huge catch with no time left that was able to send that game to overtime. Really allowed Texas to make it to that semifinal game against Ohio State. And he's an explosive receiver. He tested extremely well at the combine. Ran a 4.29. Like, it's another speed demon. But as we discussed, he sort of fits the mold of Packer receivers that they already have. It's sort of like
The Giants are trading back up to the first round.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm assuming that would be Houston's pick that they'd be trading up for, correct?
I just saw
Rams
that
are trading up too.
Yeah, the Rams.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I think the Rams are going for the Vikings pick.
Sonny Weaver, are you
No.
in the chat still?
Goodell's.
Minnesota's going right now.
So
I got this pick
Houston,
spoiled.
LA. What if they're going dark before Rams?
Oh, what a reach!
Wow.
Offensive
What a
guard.
reach! The offensive guard out of Ohio State.
That's such a
being
way.
taken.
Eagles GM is trying to trade up too.
That's what I heard.
Now he's trying to trade up.
Wow.
Yeah. Go Birds.
Trade
That's
Eagles.
right.
Trade Philly.
This is
Okay, here we go. Hold on, guys. Before we talk about any trades,
The Texans are on the
Houston is currently on the clock. The Minnesota
Trade alert
Vikings.
just showed up.
Trade alert.
Okay. The Texans have traded their pick.
To who?
The Giants.
Matt Foley is out of the reaction room. Hold on. We have to discuss first. Minnesota takes guard Donovan Jackson.
$34.99 and a third.
Wow.
But
Is that pick trade?
the breaking news: the
Wow.
New York Giants have traded with the Houston Texans
gonna
to
be
jump
Jackson Dart.
back
Gotta
to
be Jackson Dart.
25.
gotta be.
The belief
gotta be.
has to be that New York is going to take quarterback here, and the question becomes: is it Shador Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe? The question now: Matt Foley has darted, no pun intended, upstairs to the main show. We are about to see what happens. This, in my opinion, is probably the biggest move so far tonight. We have not seen a trade since the Jacksonville moving up to 2 to get Travis Hunter, and now Brian Dable already on the phone.
still win
Which
3 games.
QB is he going to call? The camera hiding Shador Sanders right now.
They had to have some belief that the Rams were going to take a quarterback because, I mean, I've seen in some mock drafts that they were going to get the successor to Matthew Stafford. They had to have some sort of talks or some sources that said that the Rams were going to take a quarterback for them to give up this much.
I think, if you really even talk about it, we talked about it in the pre-draft show. L.A. and that Matthew Stafford situation, that contract for 2 years. If you really think about it, for L.A. to potentially get an out after the 1 year of that deal, I think Jackson Dart is looking like to be the pick. Everybody's looking around him. Cameras on Jackson Dart. And I think also something to mention was Jones' son posted a Jackson Dart highlight reel last night that quickly got deleted in the private. So I think that really kind of spoiled a little bit of the Giants' plan about going after Dart, but I think they saved themselves in the end due to the fact that the quarterbacks kept falling. I think the potential situation was that the Rams wanted Dart. Giants found out, jumped over him. I think for the New York Giants was the correct trade needed to make.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And this is the question now that it becomes with New York going to 25. Could we see back-to-back quarterbacks with Jackson Dart or Shador Sanders, and then the latter being taken by L.A.? The pick is officially in at 25 for the New York Giants. Andy.
I have the terms of that trade.
Okay.
The Giants get the 25th pick, while the Texans get pick number 34, number 99, and a 2026 third-round pick.
Wow.
So New York gives
That was a huge deal.
New York trades a lot of assets. That 34 overall pick is a very valuable pick in the second round, and then as well as, what did you say, a third round and then next year third?
Third-round pick, and also
Pick
picks
99.
33 and 99 this year.
So they essentially moved back 9 picks. The Texans moved back 9 picks to get pick 99 and a third-round pick. I think they could have got more. Honestly, for a deal of this
I feel like that's a pretty good deal for Houston.
I think it's a good deal both ways, but I feel like Houston could have got a little more. Regardless, Giants got a great deal.
Regardless, the Texans can take these 2 picks and build up that O-line. You need to protect C.J. Stroud here, and that's what I've been saying for the past however long it's been. Like maybe since last year when the Ravens played the Texans in the playoffs. The Texans have become a very scary team, and they're going to become a scary team. And if they can just build up that offensive line and protect C.J. Stroud, they can have an extremely terrifying team that can send nightmares to literally every team in the NFL.
Absolutely. Remember that Laramie Tunsil and Kenyon Green both got traded out of that, so they need a guard and a tackle. I think if you really look at this situation, Josh Connerly could still be on the board in that potential second round.
Josh Simmons, too.
Josh Simmons as well, I was about to mention. I think you have a couple of tackle prospects you can fall on while still getting a lot of future capital. That 2026 third-round pick,
That could be big.
I think that I think that really seals the deal, and I think that's why the Texans probably wanted that pick next year to finally make the jump. So I think for D'Amico Ryans and company, that's a great trade.
And we're about to see what happens currently the NFL draft in a commercial break, but the Giants pick is in. we have to assume as soon as this commercial break ends, we will see who New York is going to take at 25. The Giants already had the number 3 overall pick and took defensive end Abdul Carter out of Penn State, and now they've jumped back into the first at pick 25 to what seems the absolute assumption that a quarterback is going off the board. The question will be when Roger Goodell gets that name, is it Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart? That's what we await here at the 2025 NFL Draft, streaming right here on U92 The Moose.
I think something really to mention, it's going to be Jackson Dart. And I think really you looked at those two camera angles. I think Shedeur not being present, Deion's face, you could even kind of tell he was not pleased. And I think really what that means, does that take L.A. out of the picture? Because there is a lot of conversation about Jalen Milroe to L.A., which I hope is false because I want him to be a Cleveland Brown, obviously. I think if Milroe goes here in the next pick, it'd be what, pick 26? As much as I hate to say it, I think that kind of locks in Shedeur Sanders being a Cleveland Brown.
It's going to be crazy. And like you said, RJ, now with the Giants moving up, could we see Cleveland do the exact same thing?
I don't think
The Rams just traded with the Falcons.
The Rams and Falcons.
The Falcons? What?
The Falcons.
Mike Green too?
The Falcons are
That
moving
could
back up
be.
into the first round.
Now that
The
you say that.
Falcons. So LA has traded their pick to the Falcons?
Yep.
Yes.
Falcons
Okay.
are moving back to the first round with the Ram. They take the Rams spot at 26.
Where does LA fall?
There's no terms just
No
yet.
terms?
I just know the
All right,
trade has
more
been made.
more breaking news here. Ed, the pick now, the New York Giants, the pick is in. We are waiting for it. The chime's about to go off, but breaking news at number 26, the LA Rams have traded that pick to the Atlanta Falcons. And RJ, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think New York really wanted Jackson Dart. It feels like he's about to go off the board right now, so they now are going to move back and wait for a prospect they might like. We haven't seen a trade since number 5, Jacksonville, to number 2, now getting
Goodell's coming
back to
up.
back.
Texans have traded the 25th pick to the New York Giants. With the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jackson.
So
I love it. I love this pick so much. To get to learn behind Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, and if all goes wrong between those two QBs, to have Jackson Dart, who I think is a pro-ready QB right now, I love this pick. I love the trade value, and I mean, hopes are up for the Giants. I'm an Eagles fan. I don't like the Giants, but their draft is going pretty good right now.
I think Matt Foley is really excited about this pick. So if you really consider about it, Shedeur falling, I think New York realized that, and they were like, you know what, we like Jackson Dart better. I think there's obviously some concerns between both Sanders and Dart that you can kind of compare depending on what you decide to talk about. I think Dart obviously being sometimes about moving in the pocket and taking sacks he doesn't need to take.
So this says that the
Trade alert.
Oh, here comes the trade alert. Okay.
Let Schefter speak. Let
Now-
Schefter speak.
Okay, Falcons.
Out of all teams,
Okay,
Falcons.
not hearing much.
I wonder what they could want.
So
I think for Atlanta, I'll kind of take that over. I think for Atlanta, you look at these couple of teams that are coming up: Baltimore, Detroit,
the pick is in already.
Washington, Eagles, edge rushers. I think they do not want to let
think
Mike
they're
Green
going for
fall.
Johnson.
I think if you really look at this situation, Atlanta realizes you have a great edge rusher that led the nation in sacks last year. You're going to want to take him before these other teams, like potentially even Detroit could have taken him as well.
I think that you are hit once again, RJ. That is a great prediction. Atlanta loving Mike Green. He had been mocked to him at 15. Now the Falcons with a chance to go get him here at 26, trading back in. Matt Foley is back in the war
Welcome
room.
back, Matt
We've
Foley.
got our guy.
Jackson
Malik Neighbors
Dart.
has his guy. Jackson Dart, and we didn't give up a first-round pick to move back in.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him.
Book it.
Book it.
Malik Neighbors has his guy.
Oh my God!
think-
Look at him move.
Something if the Falcons end up getting Jalen Walker and Mike Green,
That's ridiculous.
that'd be crazy. Because Jalen Walker was projected to go 8. Mike Green was projected to go 15. Jalen Walker falls to 15, and then Atlanta gets Mike Green at 26. That would be absolute masterclass of a draft right there.
Absolutely. I think really if you're Atlanta, I think trading up for a guy with character concerns like James Pierce Jr., I just don't think would be necessarily the idea. I think Raheem Morris, kind of has an idea on who he wants. I think with Mike Green having a little bit of concerns, I think people would have to do the research on that one, not something I can necessarily discuss. But I really think, though, for Atlanta, they're going to want to try and go Mike Green. You're going to have to go with the guy with explosiveness, and I think the ceiling for Mike Green, I think, might be just a tiny bit higher than James Pierce Jr.
The trade terms just came in. The Falcons get the number 26 pick and a third-round pick. The Rams get the number 46 pick, next year's first-round pick, and a seventh-round pick.
They gave up a
Whoa.
first.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. The
So
Rams.
so the Giants just got a great package.
Yes.
What a move by New
Yes.
York.
Wow.
But it went.
Joe Shane has saved his job.
Joe Shane definitely just saved his job.
They better. So the Falcons better pick a good pick here if they're expecting to not have a first-round pick
The
next year.
question is now with Atlanta, again, you've talked about that pass rush. That was a weak spot. You already have been gifted Jalen Walker at 15. Can you now go get Mike Green
Are they
at
just getting
26?
greedy? Are they just getting
This
greedy?
could be really impressive.
Something we've seen in this draft, Brett, the greedier keeps getting greedier. I think we've kind of talked about it with a couple of teams. And looking at it specifically, does Atlanta go the same route? I don't necessarily see what other prospect you would necessarily give up, especially a first-round pick next year. I think that is a very interesting implication, thinking if they like Michael Penix's development and think they can go a little bit farther to give up that first-round pick, that could be that some could say if Penix could obviously go down a lower pick, or if Penix kind of outdoes that potential and it could maybe be a middle to late pick.
I want Mike Green in the black and purple, but I want James Pierce Jr. in the black and purple more.
You would rather have James Pierce Jr. over Mike Green at this point in the draft.
I would too. I also wouldn't mind Malaki Starks. He's also like Kyle Hamilton.
Malachi Starks is also still available. A lot of high names still available in his later picks. Here comes Goodell
Pick 2-6.
for the Falcons pick.
This could very easily be a safety.
Emin Warren.
This could be Emin Warren.
Paired with Jesse Bates.
James Pierce Jr.
First-round
off
pick
the
for
border.
James Pierce Jr.
Wow. The Falcons must have had some great info on him.
You know what?
Wow.
You know what? I love it. I love this pick. He fits right
is in
into
shock.
Atlanta, man. He just feels like an Atlanta edge rusher.
Dallas Turner last year,
Yep.
James Pierce Jr. this year. Wow. That is incredible.
Uh-oh, Andy.
Wow. Andy had two pictures on his screen. One was with a heart around Mike Green. The other was a heart around James Pierce. I said, can I delete it? He said yes.
Half the heart
The
is broken.
Falcons,
Wow.
we'll go over the trade one more time. The Falcons, the 26 overall pick, which turns out to be James Pearson, a third-round pick this year for the Rams, getting a second-round pick, a seventh-round pick, and a next-year first-round pick. Atlanta going big. They already have Jalen Walker and now secure James Pierce Jr., edge rusher out of Tennessee, what seemed to be a top 10 talent at the beginning of the year, but character concerns drove him down the board. Atlanta and Raheem Morris must have saw something they loved, because the Falcons jump to 26 and get Pierce. This puts the Baltimore Ravens on the clock at 27 with players like Mike Green and Malachi Starks on the board for the Ravens. This is about to get interesting. The NFL draft really heating up in the latter picks.
Wow.
Hey, Andy, you've got some explosive happenings here. The Ravens need to go defense here.
Andy, there's a lot of uncertainty at quarterback, right, for the Ravens? You guys take Shadur, right? Yeah, right.
Perfect timing.
Right.
Well, I think kind of contradicting my word, which is shocking.
We're disrobing.
Whoa, wait.
Oh, he's switching.
Oh,
Maybe.
putting the
A
Jackson
whole lot
back.
of uncertainty at quarterback for the
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens. A whole lot of uncertainty. for the Baltimore Ravens.
Uncertainty.
I
of
love
playoff
this
status.
pick by Atlanta.
Brett, something to talk about here. Are the concerns with Mike Green potentially worse than Pierce's?
Yeah.
Very well could be. Again, with Atlanta trading up to get James Pierce. Now you've got to
first-rounder.
believe Mike Green continuing to slip. The Falcons gave up a pretty penny to go get their guy. Now Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. both going to Atlanta.
Would you, if Mike Green is not picked here by Baltimore, Brett, would you want him in
Absolutely.
Detroit?
Absolutely. The Lions are going to have the pick of the litter right now. Mike Green or Will Johnson. If you would have told me at the beginning of the night that either would be available at 28, I don't care if one has a broken leg and one has character concerns. Take one of them.
If the Ravens pass up on Mike Green, I might leave the studio. I
Could
feel
be
like it's
Malachi Starks.
It's gonna be Malachi
Okay,
Starks.
you know what? Malachi's a good thing, but if you pass up on both, I'm going to leave the
We
studio.
need one of them. We need one.
We need one right now. But
Nick Emin
Because Imagine Malachi Stakey with Kyle Hamilton. We would be stacked.
You need defense right now. You need
The
defense
Ravens,
right now.
3 minutes on the clock. The pick's still not in.
I think you guys should draft him. I think you should draft him.
Who's left?
Three. It's getting down to
We're in North Carolina wideout from last year.
Six more picks.
We have 50% chance.
Yeah.
This draft has been absolutely electric.
If we traded up for Malachi Starks or Mike Green, I'd be fine with the trade scenario.
Dude, if Philly gets Mike Green.
I would be so happy. Keep him in green. Keep him in the green jersey.
Pick is in. Baltimore is going to
Baltimore's pick is in. Here we go. We are currently on a commercial break, but when it returns, the Ravens will have the 27th overall pick in the NFL draft.
Please be Donovan Ezraku. Please be Donovan Ezraku.
That would be pretty interesting. If
That
they
would be
decided
great
to go
for
that
me.
route.
That would be great
I
for
think
me.
if
Mike
they go-
Green and Malachi Starks still on the board.
No.
And one off my board.
Malachi Starks, man.
I think if they go Ezraku
Jahad
off,
Campbell's still on the board.
if they go Ezraku off the board, that must mean something with Mike Green must have been serious enough to turn all these other teams away. It had to have been something else.
See
Sonny
Jihad.
Weaver, it could be Bobby Boucher, like he said earlier.
It could be Bobby
That's
Boucher.
true. That's true.
Sonny Weaver Jr. That's what he said.
Shout out. Shout out.
But now you also look back into it. Does Washington trade their pick?
Real question
To
is,
Cleveland.
will this
Could you
help the
imagine-
Ravens
For Jalen
in the
Milrow.
Super Bowl
For
final?
Jalen
I'd be so excited.
Will this help them to end their playoff struggles like the Steelers?
Baltimore drafts Jalen Milrow. I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry. What do you
That'd be
mean?
great.
That means my team's gonna take Shadur. No.
Oh my God.
No.
No, but just think about it. Two rushing quarterbacks, same team. What's the point?
My watch will be thrown in the river. I don't want that perfect timing. Are you kidding me?
So basically,
Respectfully.
nobody here really wants. This is like hot potato, but we should.
Okay, but if we do end up taking Shadur, at least we didn't have to give up Cap. I mean, yeah.
He has his own song too.
He does.
Perfect time. That's what's terrible about it.
If he doesn't make it to the NFL, he has his record deals.
One might say it's not so perfect timing for Shadur today.
I was tripping.
I think his clock's broken. You know what?
I want to see like
Broken clocks right twice a day.
Students at the Colorado games being like, that was so perfect timing, is it, Dion? Dion's so pressed.
Dion would hate to.
Yeah.
Dion, what happened?
Dion, like,
We're going to see what
Dion,
happens
like,
here.
hates
27th pick
confrontation,
is
bro.
in for Baltimore. We are still awaiting.
So many commercials. Shador Sanders.
Shadur Sanders
Watch
could
it be
be the
Maxwell
next
Harrison.
quarterback for Baltimore. They clearly need a franchise guy. I mean, Lamar Jackson's only so good at slinging the pigskin around.
They're going
They
Shadur
need more
Sanders.
talent.
They're going Shador
They
Sanders.
can only make it to the
My
playoffs
dad
every
sent me
year.
a text during the Chargers pick. He wanted Amari and Hampton at 33. That would have been a steal. Now,
Oh my
That would have been
God.
an amazing steal. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Who said that?
my dad. He cooked because a couple years ago when Kamara was in the draft and he saw him, he wanted Kamara out of that draft. I'm like, no way. Now looking back at that,
I thought he was
like
like
third,
third,
fourth.
That's what I thought.
All right, here
So
we
they-
go.
That running
The,
back class was stacked.
the
I don't know
NFL
if he was
draft
the later
back
ones.
on. The Baltimore Ravens
Cleveland
pick
passed up
is
on him.
in. We are waiting for Commissioner Goodell to make his way to the podium. A lot of ways Baltimore can go. It seems like a consensus is going to be defense.
Please be defense.
John Harbaugh looking for a needle mover late in this draft. A lot of very valuable assets still available.
You think defense would be
There's
the way
some
to
fans
go?
from the flock right there.
I don't
You'd
think.
think.
You got D-Hop. You're fine.
Don't. Okay. Let's not act like D-Hop is the same player he was.
Yeah.
Luther Burden is now
Could
calling
this
your
be
name.
Luther Burden?
I was just about to say that a deep
Here we
threat
go. Here we go.
because of Bateman.
Zay Flowers is also going to be out a little bit. He still's on that ACL. Isn't he?
With the 27th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Malachi
Starks.
There he goes.
There you go.
All right.
The
Malachi
Ravens
Starks.
select safety from Georgia, Malachi Starks.
To pair up with Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, to pair with Kyle Hamilton in that loaded secondary with Marlon Humphrey, and you add to that defense with Roquan Smith and all those other guys.
You know what?
It's a great
I will
pick.
leave the studio happy.
Absolutely.
But not now.
No, I think it's a great pick for Baltimore. I think
That's a
consider
great pick.
that's where Baltimore and they also lost the cornerback for the Jets. Someone remind me.
Brandon Stevens.
Yes,
He
Brandon
was
Stevens.
awful.
Thank you.
He was awful.
Yes, I think kind of even replacing that in some form in the secondary, running the two safety box. I think really for the Baltimore Ravens, I think could be really good. I think for the value they were set at, and they didn't have to trade up for him if they liked them enough. I think a really great pick for Baltimore.
Yeah.
This was a terrible pick. I hated that pick. Malachi Stark should have felt so much more.
You like that pick.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, part of me does.
Ravens just got Kyle Hamlin 2.0.
Baltimore
Now,
defensive
all I'm
picks.
saying is Baltimore could just trade with the Commanders and get Mike Green.
Wow. Honestly, I'm really surprised you guys didn't go quarterback here.
Why not? No, I'm joking.
I'm just shocked.
I think that at that point would be.
You're fine with Malachi.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
I really do think you're fine with
Baltimore
Malachi there.
develops really well, especially with their edge rushers, I
Yeah.
think. So
No,
I don't
definitely.
think that's necessary. Could Mike Green be a Detroit Lion for Brett Byrne?
I don't know. Brett would love that.
Brett would get excited about that pick. I'm honestly, there's still a lot of great defensive talent left on this board.
Yeah.
I know there are some questions about Will Johnson and Siobhan Revel, but I feel like they're going to go soon.
The Will Johnson, it could be.
Could be Will Johnson. You could see Siobhan Revel both going in this round still. I
great
feel like
suit.
the Buffalo Bills, whenever they come up, that's a great decision.
Malachi Starks has a great suit. That's a
That is
That is
The
beautiful.
Eagles logo was sitting right there for him.
It's a beautiful.
Hey,
And he's going to walk right past it, too.
Yeah,
you know what?
Yeah,
It's the better birdie hit.
Ooh.
Can you remind me who the 2025 Super Bowl champs are?
So,
Can you
the
remind me?
Lions- so
Can you
the-
remind
so
me
the Lions
what
are at
Lamar?
28, right?
Oh, geez.
Can you remind me what Lamar Jackson's record is in the playoffs?
He's pretty.
Can you remind me how many MVPs Jalen Hurts has?
I can tell you he has a Super Bowl MVP, something that Lamar Jackson doesn't have.
Alrighty.
I mean, Lamar Jackson has never made it to the Super
We're
Bowl
getting
either.
that
man.
crowd
Neither
pretty
was my
good.
team. It's pretty cool, though.
We have 10 concurrent viewers.
Hey.
Hey, shout out
Pretty
to,
good.
Shout out
Shout
to
out.
every single
Shout
one.
out to the 10 people listening. It's 11 o'clock here
Sonny
in
Weaver
Morgantown.
Jr., if you're still
Mom and
there,
Dad.
shout out to
If
you.
it's mom and dad, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
I mean, we're having a great time here.
Any
Yeah,
Steelers
regardless,
fans?
We're having a
Thanks
great time.
Thanks
5
for
more
showing
picks
us.
left.
Beautiful.
We have
John
the
DeFeo,
Lions,
you
then
there?
Washington, then Buffalo, then we go to Kansas City, and then Philadelphia. Malachi Starks is officially off the board. 5 more picks left in the night.
Personally, I'm excited for Buffalo Bills. I'm excited to see what
that
that
could
pick
be-
Buffalo never
I
has a
think-
first.
I
Jahad
think
Campbell.
Buffalo's gonna
Jahad Campbell, yeah.
Trey Amos.
Ooh.
I
Who
think
is
that's
Trey
Jahad
Amos
Campbell.
there?
I think Johnson's going in these next 2 picks.
I don't know if I gave my full opinion on the Malachi Starks pick. I hate how much I like it. It fits so well. Like we were saying
that
in
the
the
Lions
pregame,
pick?
he's another Kyle Hamilton.
No.
The
They
pick is
play,
in.
and those types of players play so well congruently that it makes so much sense
that
in the
was the
secondary.
Ravens.
Yeah,
That's the key to a good secondary is a great safety duo. We had it in Cincinnati when we had Von Bell and Jesse Bates on the same team making that Super Bowl run. That's what anchors that secondary. And if you're a Ravens fan, you should be thrilled by this pick.
I mean, Ben was right the whole
You
time.
definitely are. I mean,
That's big
seriously, but I mean, like, you could definitely pair him up with a linebacker like Roquan Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Back there in the line. He's a great secondary asset. I'm not mad with him. That's a great call there, Ben.
What about forgotten? Is it Odway that plays for the Ravens or no?
Yeah.
Odafe Owe, Penn State legend.
He does not get an Odway does not get
You
enough
get at
credit.
least
He
one of
gets-
those.
He's gotten
does his
really good.
bits.
He had a great season.
He definitely does his best.
Crowd's
Matthew Owe
booing the
does.
Detroit Lions pick. We do not know who it is yet.
Commissioner
Mike
might be
Green.
coming to the
graphic
center.
is
Division
blocking.
rivals.
You never know with Dan Campbell.
Fun fact: the
Never know.
last
It could
send-off for
so be
Aaron,
Will
the,
Johnson.
the last send-off for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay was against the Detroit Lions.
I could also see Nick Emmanwari go here.
Could so be Will
Emanwari
Johnson.
could be going here, but they did just re-sign Kirby Joseph
And Brian
You
Branch.
think that's
and
right?
Brian Branch. So I feel like it's going to be either an edge rusher, maybe an offensive lineman.
Could
They did
definitely
lose.
see Mike Green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike
I
Green
said, I
does
said
seem-
that
just
last
scary.
time.
Some
Look what
scary
happened.
makeup.
Mike Green with Hutchinson. That's a good
I like the
combo
shirt.
right there.
I don't like the sound of that. I don't.
A big patch guy, like jersey patches, man. Especially some teams pull them off really well.
Yeah.
Well,
This feels like a Mike Green pick. If I'm being honest.
You could see a Mike Green at
He feels like a Dan Campbell guy.
That'd be a win for Detroit because,
I
like
really
we
hope
said with James Pierce, if anybody can fix those character concerns, if those are the
Yeah, James
kinda
Pierce
issues.
is gone. He's
So-
gone though.
I mean, so far this draft, I don't think anybody in this room has been
Jokes, are
super
there any Ohio
disappointed.
State guys that the Lions
Maybe
can pick
Connor
right
a little bit.
Good
Josh
pick,
Simmons.
Josh Simmons.
I like
the
the Shamar Stewart. pick.
I like Detroit.
I like
great.
Josh Simmons, but
I feel like Josh
I don't
Simmons
hate
is a
Detroit.
chief. He's a chief.
Shefty just made a good point on Twitter. He just said after tonight's trade, the Rams and the Browns both own double first-round picks in the 2026 NFL draft.
Awesome. That's great for
Whoever
Cleveland.
made the joke.
The Rams are gonna end. The Rams are gonna end up trading both those.
I was
Picks.
about
Let's
to
be
say,
honest.
Matt, was it you in the beginning that was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's shocking if the Rams have their own"?
I told you.
first-round pick?"
I said it
Now
on the
they have two.
I said it on the main show up there that Shocker, the Rams traded their first-round pick.
But hey, they do well without him.
This next upcoming pick for Washington, for me, my eyes are going to be open on this.
Here we go. Commissioner's at the stand.
Gotta be Mike Green.
Could happen here.
Yeah. Tyleek Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State! Oh, Brett is so happy right now. Wow. This is a shock.
That's a great pick. I love that.
It's a great prospect.
Pairing him with DJ Reader. I like that better
Yep.
than Mike Green, I think.
That's a great shout that you said that.
Yeah.
Connor, with
Pairing him with
Reader.
DJ Reader.
Tyleek Williams, a guy that
And Malik McNeil. Wow.
McNeil, too.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
surprised.
pick.
A guy like Tyleek Williams brought a lot of pressure for the
Yeah.
defensive tackles, especially
Big
even in the
run
run
stopper.
I didn't
Big
have him
run
going in my
stopper.
first
So
round, but
essentially-
I
I didn't
feel like
either.
he's a first-round
Essentially,
talent. I like it.
essentially, if you're a coach for Detroit, you can run anything
Yeah.
on defense. Now
Yep.
you have
Honestly,
every
yeah.
single position filled up. I love this.
Yeah.
I think a notable one especially was against Penn State in the double backs.
Yeah.
I think Tyleek Williams that game played amazing against teams with multiple good backs, like let's say the Chargers, like
Yeah.
Najee and Omari and Hampton.
Hey,
you have
in
guys
division,
to stop them.
Josh Jacobs. Let's see who. Josh Jacobs. DeAndre Swift for the Bears. Aaron Jones for the Vikings. You needed a run stopper. You're going against some great running backs. So the Lions take defensive lineman Tyleek Williams out of Ohio State at the 28th pick. We're going to get Brett Burner's reaction when he comes back in. But Washington is on the clock. They're 6 minutes in.
I think
I
they're
love the
taking
pick.
Donovan Ezraku here. I have pure belief that they're taking
Please
Donovan Ezraku.
be a trade. Can
I
get
feel
that,
like-
can I get that IHOP trade alert for the Cleveland Browns?
I was
please?
going to say,
Please.
Our sports director Cam Scott was hoping that they'd either take Ezraku or trade out of this pick. I know
Mike Green?
my dad really wants an offensive lineman, or he wants them to trade the pick.
I think Tyleek Williams, I think the original spot that I would have thought he would have went would be Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams, or even Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I
I think
not as much, but
I think the Chiefs are slotted in for Josh Simmons. I think they're going to get their tackle of the future. They've had problems there, and it's a projectable
catch up with
pick.
these Michigan first rounders. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
If not, they're
That
going to get
works.
Connerly.
A lot
Yeah.
of guys here that have fallen.
Man, if Jalen Milroe survives out of the first round, I'd be so happy, man.
We are 4 picks away. We have 5 more picks? Yeah. No, 4 more picks. Washington, Buffalo, Kansas City, and then Philadelphia.
Commanders could go Maxwell Hairston.
They could. They could go corner, but
Yeah, I mean,
Revel
if
also
they're
on
going
the
to go
board.
corner here,
they might go Will
If
Johnson.
they don't go Will Johnson here, something has to be
They could
really
link-
wrong.
they could
there
link
was
up.
an injury that they
Yeah,
were.
no, but that must have to be a really bad knee injury for him to fall out of the first round, potentially.
I mean, if you really think about it, like I said with JOK, I kind of have a little bit of a scenario with this. I think the teams really usually wait a while and they do more and more tests after the draft, and then they usually end up finding, oh, it is something that is bad, and they usually get a little bit of recovery, or that it was a little bit of scares, and that the team that drafted, like, so say if the Commanders go Will Johnson here, it would be an absolute steal of a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Browns take a chance on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who supposedly had heart problems, but turned out to be fine, I think.
Yep.
And he's been an all-pro. I sort of knew that. He was a Notre Dame guy. I thought he would be a top 15 pick in that draft. I didn't even know about the heart problems. But this could be another case of that where, like, we see a first-round talent fall to the second round and somebody makes a steal of the draft.
Another example of that recently, Nakobe Dean. Out of
Yeah,
Georgia.
Nakobe Dean.
I remember he was projected to go in the first round. He was actually projected to go to the Eagles in the first round.
Yeah.
He ended up second round. Nobody picked him. Everybody was shocked. Third round, the Eagles ended up taking him, and he had a breakout year last year
Yeah.
along with Zach Bond in the Vic Fangio defense.
Yeah.
And although he got hurt against the Rams, I mean, like I said, he had a breakout year and ended up being a pretty good steal because he was a first-round talent with concerns and ended up falling to the third round. Which was actually pretty insane.
Well,
Howie Roseman's the type of guy to go for those risks, and
Yeah.
I think especially hitting on a lot of
Yeah,
them.
the Commanders' pick is in.
Okay.
We are now waiting for the commissioner to go to the stand.
So bad. I hope they sell so bad.
The Commanders had a breakout year this year, making the divisional championship.
They did lose
Jaden-
Dante Fowler.
They did lose Dante
Crazy.
Fowler. This could be an edge position.
I have
Mike
no
Green is
clue.
available. Donovan Ezraku is available.
Also cornerbacks, though.
Corner, Maxwell Hairston, Will Johnson still available.
I think if Gabe was here, something to be specifically
Yeah.
talking about was that cornerback room.
I was going to say they could also boost the linebacker room. Bobby Wagner probably doesn't have a few.
Jihad Campbell. Yeah.
Jihad Campbell's still available. One of the
Could
best
jump
linebackers
Buffalo
in the
for
draft.
him. Oh, I see.
Yes.
Benjamin Morrison.
Ben Morrison is still available. They could also maybe go receiver, add a third receiver.
Burden.
You
That
could
makes sense.
Burden. You could add him to
Yeah.
Debo Samuel and
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin. That could be a dangerous room. Offensive linemen could always be a help for the Commanders. This was the first year where they weren't one of the most sacked teams in the league. They really addressed that, and they could bolster it with Simmons or Josh Connerly.
They really could. Honestly, bold pick. They could go Travion Henderson here.
They could get a running back.
Robinson Jr. is not a sure 4-down back.
Yeah.
If they don't go running back here, I wouldn't doubt that they go second or third round with a running back. But don't be shocked if they go something like that here.
Oh, they showed the roster of who the Commanders picked up. They added Debo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, Javon Kinlaw, and Will Harris. Don't know Will Harris.
I think the main thing in there is cornerback not getting it in addition there. I really think for Washington, I was shocked they didn't trade out, or maybe they tried to attempt to and nobody bit.
Yeah.
Because I believe they don't have a second-round pick.
They don't. They do not. I think they only have 5 picks this year. I believe they traded a lot. I feel like they traded a lot.
Tunsil and Debo and
Yeah, and well, they didn't trade anything. Did they trade stuff? They traded a 5th for Debo.
Oh, might have
7th.
been. Yeah, never mind.
But it was, I think, for Marshawn Lattimore they gave up a bunch.
That's right.
They're showing
Yeah,
Mike
but
Green on the screen.
That Emmanuel Forbes pick really hurt them because they were supposed to have that cornerback in the future. They
Christian
have Lattimore
Gonzalez was there.
Yeah, you're right. Christian. Yeah, that was an all-time.
My dad hated that pick. That's why he doesn't want Maxwell Harrison.
Yeah.
That's why I also don't
Your
like
dad
Griffin.
might know something.
My dad's an old school football fan. He
Dad
wants an
knows-
offensive lineman.
Mr. Foley knows ball.
Mr. Foley does know.
Well,
ball.
here we go.
Win in the trenches.
Yeah. Here it is.
Ooh.
Oh, it is an offensive lineman.
Wow, okay.
Offensive tackle Josh Connerly from
like
Oregon to the Commanders. My dad is happy right now. They picked an offensive lineman. They didn't draft an 180-pound corner soaking wet.
Holding a brick.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
They didn't do it again.
What a show.
My dad is happy.
Man,
What a
I
shout.
think a team that's really mad right now is the Houston Texans. I
Yes.
think they might have thought that Connery would have dropped that second round. I think.
Yeah, but don't remember, Simmons is still up there.
He is.
I mean, we talked about how Kansas City
He
is
could be
kind
a
of
chief.
written
though.
for him.
I think this is John Campbell's dream spot with the Buffalo Bills, is who I had going in my latest mock draft.
With Matt Milano.
I did.
And,
I think really.
Who's their other guy that they have at linebacker?
I'm
He just
blanking.
re-signed an extension. He just had an extension.
Who?
Bills linebacker. Not
Matt Milano.
No.
Oh, the Terrell Bedford.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Good pull.
Yeah, the Commanders draft Josh Connerly, one of the better tackles in this draft from Oregon. Really anchored that Oregon left side against some very good teams
Just
in
showed
Ohio
up blocking
State.
Abdul
Yeah,
Carter.
Abdul Carter. Let's see. He also has the ability to play guard. Not that I think that's where he could slot in with that Laramie Tunsil signing, because they are without who got hurt in the Philly game. He tore his ACL.
Oh, is there really good
Cosby.
guard?
Yes,
Cosby.
yes.
Cosby's going to be out for a little bit.
And they missed him a lot in
Yeah.
that those playoffs as well.
Yeah, and you could also move Brennan Coleman in, who they picked last year from TCU, was a big part in their offensive line development.
Something I'm thinking for Buffalo though, they recently, not too recently, but traded Kyrie Elam.
Yes,
Could
Kyrie
this be a
Elam.
Will
Could
Johnson
this be
pick?
the-
They did just re-sign Tre'Davious White though, if he even
He's
still
old.
can play.
I was
yeah,
about
know.
to say.
My God, I remember when he was a great
Yeah.
corner.
Trying to think what other route Buffalo would go.
They could get another linebacker maybe.
I was thinking
maybe Luther
Campbell was-
Burden. Luther Burden, graded receiver to stretch the field.
Could vertical threat guy could help Josh Allen because he has a cannon of an arm. So I mean,
Yeah.
I could see it.
What was it?
Luther Burden.
I had him going to Buffalo in a couple of my mock
Really?
drafts.
Same.
I'm not
When
gonna-
I started,
if-
that's who I had.
If I had Burden, I think honestly the only time I had him going in the first round was to Buffalo. I don't think I had him going any higher, and I only did first round mock drafts. So
Oh, here comes Brett Burner.
Brett Burner's back.
He's looking very
You take that. I'm not
happy.
getting up. You happy? Oh, Brett Burner's back.
you have to be
Hold up.
50-50. You have to be 50.
Brett Burner's back, and they took an a defensive lineman from the Ohio State. I'm sure Tanner Mounts was giving him lots of grief up there.
So, Tanner did, yes, Mike Green, Will Johnson on the board for the Lions. However, you have to think with concerns growing around them that the issues could be more. But you take a guy like Tyreek Williams, a great player at Ohio State, a big reason the Buckeyes defensive line was considered one of the best in the entire nation. It is not a bad pick whatsoever. But I personally do not think that defensive tackle was a Lions need with DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil.
It does give you depth though. After I mean,
does
you guys,
give us depth. That's
you guys
what I
were
talked about
really
with Tanner.
You guys were really banged up this year. You lost a lot of them.
Yeah.
Bills
Isn't it
pick is
kinda
in.
funny that
The Bills
Browns
pick
took
is
a
in.
Michigan guy
Who took
and the
what did
Detroit
Washington
took an
take?
Ohio guy.
What's his
I
Conley.
was
Yeah.
about to
Off
say
the
that,
line.
Brett.
Good pick.
We are even. You
I was
taking
gonna
a
say-
Buckeye, me taking a Wolverine, man.
I was gonna say
Except
that's
you got
something.
Mason Graham and I got Tyler Williams.
You and Tanner
Both defensive
switched.
tackles.
They took
Same position.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Tanner's people also took a defensive tackle. That
yeah,
was a
they
Michigan
did.
man.
As much as I hate to say this, I think we got the better one. As much as I hate saying that.
I just have it like this, so it's 1, 2, and 3, right?
All right, this Bills pick, you could go a couple different
I was
ways.
gonna say there's a lot of different routes for them.
I had always okay.
No, cornerback.
You guys are in a spot where like it doesn't like.
I think
Will's there, but, like,
originally when I put out my first mock draft a while back, I had put Siobhan Rebel in here for this Bills pick.
I honestly do. Think
That is a good
That's
pick.
an Andy
I
Hartwell
feel like it's
video.
Will Johnson, yeah.
You have
Hey,
fun- you have fun over there, Andy?
DJ,
Thank you, Andy.
2 people left.
Very, very much needed
3 more
morale
picks.
boost.
Emin Worry and Raku.
Yeah.
Emin Worry would be nice
Both
here.
are very possible.
And I don't.
Izaraku, you need a D lineman to replace Brandon Graham.
I know.
You know how funny it would be?
And Milton Williams and Josh Sweat.
As much as I would hate this, how funny it'd be if Cleveland trades with Philly for 32.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
No.
That'd be amazing.
Well, after they gave up 33 and like a 6.
I was about to say, imagine
they
they,
just
they,
switch
they trade
picks.
up 1 pick for Shedeur Sanders, thinking that
No,
Philly's gonna take
no,
Shedeur Sanders.
no. I think we
That
meant
There it is.
That would
That'd
be so funny.
It'd be so funny.
Yeah, DJ had a technical difficulty.
It's
He
like,
meant,
oh, yeah, by
he
the
meant
way.
to say Jalen Milrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say DJ wants Lank. He wants Lank. He wants Lank's taking the tush push in Philadelphia. In
They're
case
actually
Jalen.
going to do 32 and 33 back-to-back, Milrow
Yeah.
and Sanders both.
Oh my God. Man,
That'd be
that would
pretty
be
cool.
something.
And we can see the commissioner making his way.
Oh, with the Nike Dunks on?
Nike Dunks.
Nice.
Yo, those are fire.
Those shoes are fire,
Matching
dude.
the Bills colors.
Stepping up to have an even greater impact as a wish maker for Make-A-Wish. For the second time tonight, we have the opportunity to grant a wish for a deserving
Hey, that's still
young
cool
man
though.
to announce the first
That's sick.
Awesome stuff.
I love the
Awesome
fit.
stuff.
I'm not gonna. I love the fit.
I love the
He's dripped.
the turtleneck and chain.
Turtleneck.
That goes so
I was gonna say if I
hard.
was wearing a turtleneck, I'd be dying. In here.
Yeah.
Get the crowd up.
It's so much
Yeah.
worse upstairs, though.
Yeah.
It's so much worse.
Attaboy kid, attaboy kid.
Great stuff.
Okay, you tell him, Andy.
Is that fan still on? Or did we
Yeah,
turn it
it's
off?
like-
Sorry.
Yeah, that's the one.
16-year-old living with a neuromuscular disorder is a huge Buffalo
God, the
Bills
U92 in
fan,
the back is just
and he's
glorious.
here with me to make the announcement for his beloved Bills. Go ahead, Donnie.
And the pick is in. Here we go.
Oh, they're chanting his name.
Good on Detroit.
Attaboy kid.
I mean Green Bay.
With the 30th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison.
Oh!
Okay.
Over Amos and over Johnson?
Okay.
Wow!
Wow.
I had to go with
On with the
Amos.
shout.
Well, if the Bills pick Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky, the cornerback, as you can tell,
How you feel, Matt?
I don't like
I know
Maxwell
we both
Harrison.
don't like this pick.
We
Brett,
really both don't
We
like this.
picked this in the mock draft.
We did pick this in the mock
We
draft.
did?
Well,
Yes,
I'm
we
pretty
did.
sure.
What a
We're gonna
shout.
go back to our mock draft. We did select.
did.
We
Give me
did
my-
select
give me
Maxwell
my-
Harrison.
Give me my theme
Good
music.
job, guys.
Wow.
I think kind of what we mentioned when we were talking about, Matt, the Elam trade, I think
Yeah.
really thought Buffalo was going cornerback just due to the fact to get that replaceability and kind of take a bolder chance on Maxwell Harrison. I think if it pays off for Buffalo, it'd be a great pick, and that's a trade alert.
Trade.
Please say Cleveland. Please
Yeah.
say Cleveland.
There's a trade alert.
Please say
Oh,
Cleveland.
wow.
Please
There's
say
a trade
Cleveland.
alert.
Please say Cleveland. Please say
Ravens,
Cleveland.
Ravens.
Alex Let's go! Yes! Me and Brett are happy for a reason that we can't
We're
say.
so happy for DJ that these Philadelphia Eagles
Eagles-
are trading
Wow.
up. in
They
the
trade
NFL
up one
draft.
pick. We were talking about them trading back.
Is that Mike Green?
One whole pick.
One whole
It better be
pick.
Mike Green. It better be Mike Green.
It's got it.
DJ. Oh,
Mike
what a
Green-
wow.
Mike Green
What a
seems
good
good for-
way.
Dude, one
Yeah.
pick, dude?
One
I don't
pick.
under-
That's
All
awesome.
right.
I don't know, man. I love love you, but one pick. What is the thought?
Hey, I'm happy for. Hey, you'll get your.
That's a great move.
You'll get your guy earlier.
The
though.
Eagles straight up one pick. They received the number 164th pick from the Chiefs, and that's it.
That's it. That's it for one pick. A 164.
The Chiefs.
We don't even get a second or a third, bro.
You weren't getting a second or third for one
I don't.
pick.
164 is outrageous.
Straight up one pick.
What
I
is
had
that?
this for Shador Sanders.
That's a fifth round. That's a fifth round pick.
Oh my God, that's a
you got a
fifth.
fifth.
Wow. That's a
It
steal.
better, dude, it better be my green.
Is that fifth rounder in this draft?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Before we go into the Eagles, we're dancing around over here.
I was one pick away.
Okay, let's say there's no tackle needs, is there?
DJ,
Or
what if they take one of the players?
Yeah. What if they make one of the players?
Can we double down?
Yeah.
Picks
Can we
in.
double down?
The pick is
what,
in.
what defensive tackles are
What
left?
was it? Ezra Aku and
What defensive tackles are
Evan
left?
Worry? It was Ezra
What
Aku and
defensive
Evan Worry?
What defensive tackles are left? I'm
I
curious.
don't know. There's been
It
4
was-
off the board.
It was it was Ezra Aku and
All the
Evan
ones
Worry.
that were mocked within the first
Mason Graham, Kenneth Graham,
start of the
Walter
second
Nolan.
round,
No, it's
all
not.
first
Five.
round are
Five.
all
That's what
gone.
I'm actually-
Tyler Williams.
Josh
I'm
Simmons.
gonna crash out. I'm gonna destroy that new studio upstairs.
Yeah.
Whoa.
If
I'm
they-
trying to
if they
think
draft
That's a
Shador.
nice studio up there.
Kayfabe-wise, they're not drafting Shador.
Yeah,
You don't have to worry about
That's
that.
what
Justin Simmons.
Hey,
Oh, no.
you never know.
I think this could be
DJ.
Justin Simmons. Why not?
Jihad.
I feel like it would be Josh
It
Simmons.
makes sense.
Or Jihad.
Pair up with Zach Bond?
Yeah.
Jihad
I don't
Campbell
think
is
Kansas
still
City
there.
would have took
I
him.
will only be happy if it is Jihad Campbell, Mike Green, or Will Johnson.
Could be Josh Simmons.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You did lose Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, but he was a guard.
I mean,
guard.
but Lane Johnson only has like 1 or 2 more years.
Lane
I know,
Johnson's
but I
getting
think
out
I
there.
thought we would spend more of a.
I'd take a Buckeye. Could
later
actually
pick on
semi.
Or it could be like Mike Green.
I love a Jihad here.
I would.
Yeah.
I personally think this Harrison pick is great for the Bills. He's been known to be a big vibes guy, and that is essentially the entirety of
I
the
mean,
Bills
the
team.
Bills needed a corner. If it
And
turns
they need a
out
good
great,
corner.
I'll be proven wrong. But like, I don't know.
Will Johnson better be seriously
Speedster.
hurt.
Yeah, there better be some serious concerns of why teams.
But
are
I
passing.
think though you would have found that out already.
Yeah, I feel like
What
this
you
should
think?
The only
Was there
issue-
anything before, Brett?
The
that-
issue
had a
that
foot and toe.
The issue for me is he missed the last 6 games of the regular season with a foot/toe injury. Then he misses the draft process because of an apparent hip injury. Now it's coming out that the teams are concerned with a knee injury. So I don't know if this all lines up or if it's a massive injury
I mean-
that they are just not really combining into 3 little ones. I don't know, RJ.
You would hope not, because I think if that is the case and you see the second round and he starts to fall even more, you would have to think something serious at that rate. Because for a guy that we had, I had him probably going for San Francisco at 11.
At that point, it's similar to the TJ Tampa situation of last year. Everybody had him mocked in the first round, but then that guy fell. He took a hard
Kind of
fall.
like David Ajobi when the Ravens
Oh.
drafted him, like a guy with first-round talent and then injury.
David Ojabo,
I
that was
wanted-
an amazing pick.
I
for the
wanted
Ravens.
But he had an Achilles
David
injury.
Yeah, an
Ojabo
Achilles
so
injury.
bad.
He tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
There's reasons for him.
Man,
I mean,
another
I
He was
Yeah,
knocked
two
like top
picks left.
15 before he tore his
2
Achilles.
picks left
If-
in the 2025
If
NFL
the
draft.
Los Angeles Rams trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to cry.
Why? What do you think?
It's going to be for Jalen Milroe.
Oh,
Be for Shador.
I would cry. I would
That
cry.
would be a crusher.
him
Rams.
mentoring under Stafford would be great.
LA.
That means Shador would be the only
Because
noteworthy
they have the New York
quarterback left.
Giants' second-round pick.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Tyler
going to. You
Show.
know what? We're going to
The
quit.
Texans,
Tyler
the
Show.
Texans have the second-round pick for the
Oh,
Giants.
wait.
I don't know.
Oh, wait, no, that is right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
What
know
does
if
LA
Shador's
have?
character concerns
They have the
necessarily
Falcons.
take him to that level.
first next year.
And a third.
First,
Could be a
Okay, so there's no
possibility.
second.
Personally,
for
I
no,
think
first,
they
second,
Okay.
first, second, and
Personally, I think Shador goes to the fourth round.
Yeah, I think it was like 46 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they traded 26 for 46, a 7th, and a first.
Please don't take Shador over Jalen, please.
seven. Picks in.
This has been a
Pick
good
is
time,
in.
Matt.
It's been a great time.
This
We
definitely
are
tells you something.
approaching.
It's been a
Great
time.
crew.
We're
Great time.
approaching on 5 hours here. We are 30 minutes away.
Great time until approximately 1 pick ago.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
Cody
Yeah,
sent
that is
something.
right. Wow.
DJ, do you follow an account called No Context Philly?
I do.
They posted something that I think you would find kind of concerning, and it says, "Think about it, ... with a picture of Jalen Milroe.
That would make zero sense.
God, please no.
That would make
God,
zero
please no.
sense at all.
God, please
No,
no.
because that'd be the same thing when
no.
Carson Wentz was franchise quarterback. They took
terrible.
Jalen Hurts in the second round. If they think they're going to take another Jalen
Please
to
no.
replace again after we
DJ,
just won the Super Bowl,
DJ, how many other Philly teams do we see make?
I think it's
boneheaded moves in
Jahad.
the draft?
I feel like it's
All of
Jahad
them.
Campbell. I feel like they wouldn't have traded up.
It's about
Every
time.
single one of
Jahad
them.
Campbell's a good pick here for Philly.
It's not happening, but it'd be really funny.
I mean, how long's N'Kobe Dean?
Eagles still have a second round pick. It's not out of the question.
Yeah.
How long's N'Kobe Dean gonna be out, DJ?
Think about
How
it.
long is Dean out?
It just says QB factory.
N'Kobe Dean,
after
how long
that.
is he out?
Can't be too long.
I gotta
He's
go back
approaching
to
a
it.
contract year.
Yeah.
Is he approaching a contract?
Yeah, he had a knee injury, but it wasn't a torn ACL or anything. I want to say.
I mean, they can
wanna
only
say
s-
he'll probably be back. If he's not back for training camp, I think he'll be back for week 1.
Campbell's also gonna be a hybrid because he was a big hybrid guy at Alabama. Like he got after the passer. I'm pretty sure he had like 5 sacks.
I know.
don't
He
even
had, he had a bunch of TFLs too.
I didn't really
Look at
think
his TFLs. He had a lot of TFLs.
I'd say taking
TFLs
for
are always
Kansas
great.
City, I don't think that would really be the way they'd look. I think Kansas City would have went offensive line regardless.
They need to.
I think Philadelphia offered him that tiny offer, and they
DJ,
accepted
he had
it.
11.5 TFLs and 5
Yeah, but that was a
sacks.
second round pick.
And he ran a 4.52
Wentz
40.
had injury concerns.
119 tackles.
Oh man.
So happy
I
though
think
that
it's-
Gray Zabel has gone early.
Yeah, he went to Seattle
He
at
went to
what,
Seattle.
19?
I want
Yeah.
Campbell, Green. I'd be fine with Emin Ward.
I don't think
no,
Green.
No,
I
I'm not
don't
fine
think
with
Green. I don't think Green is going in the
It's
first.
gotta
round.
be.
Green is-
It's
Yeah,
gotta be
I'd be fine
Jihad,
with
man.
Green, Johnson, or Campbell.
I cannot believe Mike Green has fallen this far.
I will be
It's
mad
definitely
for
the
I
any.
just-
Because I
definitely
don't.
character
Kansas
concerns.
City, besides
As
really
well.
I
Chris
just feel like
Jones,
he's
never
gonna
really
try to
any
bust
older
him.
edge rushers.
I feel like Jihad makes the most
He's
sense.
a first round projected. It might fall
That is
back.
true.
Getting that linebacker to pair with Bond.
Yeah, the
Okay,
fifth-
going
makes so
going
much
over
sense.
the trade. The Philadelphia Eagles received the 31st overall pick, and they trade the 32nd overall pick and their 2025 fifth round pick, which is the 164th overall pick.
That's a pretty.
I'm glad that
Quite a haul,
That's
Howie.
such a
Quite a
boring
haul.
trade for me to lose.
Quite a haul,
That is
quite a haul.
such a boring trade for me.
Buzzer beater.
Let's see,
they can
Commissioners
take
come
the
out
commissioner's
like that.
walking to the stand.
It's gotta be Jihad.
Jalen Milrow.
Nick Memorial?
That's why I hated that scene because I can't see anything.
With the 31st pick
God,
in the
Campbell.
2023
Couldn't be Luther Burden,
NFL
right?
draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jihad Campbell.
There you go. Good pick.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Jihad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama, with the 31st overall pick, trading up one pick for Jihad Campbell. Probably one of the best linebackers in the draft behind Jalen Walker. DJ, what are your thoughts?
I honestly really like this pick. Connor made a really good point. I honestly forgot that Campbell was on this board because in a bunch of my mock drafts, I had him going anywhere in the 16 to 20 range. I really didn't have him falling this deep. I did see a couple mock drafts that I saw him falling this deep, but to think about the N'Kobe Dean injury and to think about how good Zach Bond did in the Vic Fangio offense, and Brett, you just mentioned he is more of a hybrid linebacker. I feel like Campbell has all the tools that he needs to succeed in this Vic Fangio offense. I mean, as you saw last year, Vic Fangio really made anybody
Oh,
look
thank God,
good.
Pixie, thank
Made
God.
We're
made
moving
anybody
fast
look good
here.
on that defense, but I really like this pick. I didn't even think this was a possibility, but I really do love this pick.
I know it's just stopped streaming there. We're just at that. Do we need to
No
sign?
way.
You got to sign off with anything? And,
You Kansas City's not going quarterback. You don't draft it back.
and then radio jars.
Yeah, they'll take
Radio
Shadur.
I go offensive lineman. I think Josh Simmons out of Ohio State here might be the pick that I think everybody's looking at.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like
Connolly
it's Josh
gone,
Simmons.
I don't really know.
They really think?
Do they
Did
need
the
anything
Eagles
on
really
defense?
think that Campbell was going to go to the Chiefs?
I guess.
No, I don't. Well, the
I feel like
Hall
they were
was-
Josh Simmons and Josh Simmons only.
I mean, I love
yeah.
it. The Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and then fleeced them one pick for Jihad Campbell.
I think if the Hall, if the Hall would have been bigger, I think for Kansas City, then you would have had an idea that they probably would have tried going for Campbell. But I think they were set on offensive line. Philly offered him something small. They took it because they knew their guy was still going to be there at 32.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I love this pick. I had no idea this was even an option. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, you tap that Eagle sign, baby. Get ready to be a Super Bowl champ. Uh-huh,
Okay.
Back to back, back to back.
Okay.
The Chiefs are taking Josh Simmons here, right?
Yeah.
You gotta think.
You would think.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be.
Every other tackle.
I feel like the Chiefs are in line for a tackle. They've had tackle problems with Jawan Taylor.
What about Mike
and-
Green and the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I think
don't know.
Simmons
I think the
stinks.
character concerns there are too big for teams to take a chance on a first-round paycheck.
I would say if Tyreek Williams was still available here, they'd maybe go there. But I
Yeah,
think
Chris
really
Jones
him
is getting
gone-
older.
Yeah.
Do they need any safeties?
Yeah, we could see Eamon Worthy.
Eamon Worthy.
Eamon
The
Worthy's
fact that
still
Eamon
there.
Worthy is still there.
Ezraku's still there.
I just don't think they take edge rushers due to the fact that it's not really as main of a concern. And Mahomes, I think, has probably been very vocal about the offensive line.
That O-line does need help.
Yes.
I feel like it is Josh
They
Simmons.
struggled a lot last year.
If anything, the Super Bowl showed him that.
Yeah.
They need to get that
Plus,
running game turning
they
again.
did lose Joe Tooney.
Yeah. They did lose Joe Tooney as well. That is good.
Ring chaser Joe Tooney. That's right. I think he has 5 Super Bowl rings, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Both from, I believe, the New England Patriots dynasty.
He has a Chiefs
and
one,
the Chiefs
too.
dynasty.
He has a few rings. I'm pretty sure he has like 4.
He's got 5, I think.
Oh.
I believe 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It
Eagles.
would have been really fun if you spelled that wrong.
At least he spelled it right.
Yeah, at least he spelled it right.
Spelled it like the mayor.
Just the people in Philadelphia.
Don't worry, the mayor learned how to spell it correctly after that one.
Connor, are
incident.
they going to have to grease the polls after this great pick?
Yes.
I like that pick, though, for the Eagles.
Great pick. Makes sense.
I don't think anybody in this room is really upset by any of the picks tonight, which is good.
Well,
No. Well,
Maybe you,
Matt
Brett, a
got
little
his
bit
quarterback.
because he's Ohio
pick. I'm not
State.
upset.
Brett kind of got his understanding with his pick. DJ got
Brett
his.
does, no, Brett does not like his
The Baltimore boys, I think, are happy
Yeah,
over here.
that's a Josh
Dom
Simmons.
didn't
Oh,
get
that's the
yours,
Eagles
Sanders.
room.
I think
I'm
Connor
very
was-
happy.
You didn't get Walter
Hey,
Nolan, but
RJ,
I
you guys
love
are
the Shamar
RJ,
Stewart.
you guys are
Great
one.
pick.
You guys are one pick away from Shadur Sanders and not
No.
even having to trade up.
no.
That is very true.
I think,
Or
I think,
Lank.
I
Or
think-
Lank.
I think you meant Jalen Milrow.
Lank will be there.
I think
It seems like they're both going to be there. You're going to have your quarterback pick at the
I
start. of
lose
I
round
think
one.
Tyler Shaw.
Or Tyler Shaw.
No.
Right there. Tyler Shuck.
We've learned from injuries already.
When does Pittsburgh pick? I know Quinn would love him.
Quinn would love
probably
Tyler
middle
Shuck.
of
He's
what,
talked a lot
second-
about
I would
Tyler
love
Shuck.
Jalen Milrow, too, for Pittsburgh. That would be great.
Maybe if somebody can pull up that order, I have no clue.
Or, hey, maybe
Cleveland
even a
has
running back.
the 33rd and 36th, so they'll have 2 chances.
Oh.
They could take them both.
Yeah, they could get both
You're
of
taking
them.
a running back with one of those picks. I'm sorry.
Who, the
You're taking
Cleveland
a running
Browns?
back. Yes, you
Who's
are.
the next best
Or-
running back on the board? Is it Sampson?
There are a
It's
lot of
probably,
teams. There are a lot of
a
teams.
lot of people consider Travion
If
Henderson.
Luther
I
Burton
think
is still
Judkins
there,
is up
if
there.
Luther Burton
Personally,
at
Caleb
36 is
Johnson.
still there.
Caleb Johnson is a great one. Cam Scattaboo.
No Dylan Sampson yet?
Dylan Sampson.
A lot of teams with 2 different
I think
with 2
Sampson
picks.
could
And
go
then
late second,
After
early
all
third.
those guys, you have to mention Ollie
That's a lot
Gordon,
of
but I don't
potential.
think he's going to go
What
till
about
later.
Rocket Sanders?
Pittsburgh does not have a second round
You
pick.
know,
Undrafted.
I've gotten a lot of
Rocket
hate about
Sanders,
Rocket Sanders. Some people are saying that he's going to
Undrafted.
plummet. I really love Rocket Sanders, though. It's a shame. If he was in the draft last year, he'd be one of the first guys to go. It's a shame. I mean, this draft is just so stacked that you may see Rocket go in like the 7th round.
Say it with me.
If going.
Undrafted. Unfortunately.
If he even goes.
I hope the
yeah.
Steelers pick him up as a free
Hey, who
agent,
just
then he
said
cooks some
Nick
rounds
Saban's
every
best
year.
bet?
Could be a
No.
possibility.
No.
Yeah.
Mason Graham's not going to allow that to happen. I'm trying to warm
Picture
up to it.
please. Picture
Oh, well,
please.
Derek Harmon's not going to allow any
No, it would be
running
Joe
back
Biden
he
if he
picked
got
Pick,
up.
oh yeah, the pick is in.
Josh Simmons.
Yeah, Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs select Josh
makes
Simmons.
sense. They just slammed
It was what I think everybody expected. They addressed tackle problems. I'm pretty sure I mocked him in every mock draft going to Kansas City. They
Yes.
Unfortunate.
Kansas City gets their
and
guy.
our mock draft is and the draft is gone. The stream is.
Well, it's the end of the first
I
round.
guess
Shut it off.
YouTube just decided they didn't want us to watch the end of the draft.
There we go.
The Chiefs get Josh Simmons. They get their probably future right tackle for the next however many years, and he's one of the better offensive tackles. Where was that? Oh, he was a San Diego State transfer.
I didn't
That's
know that.
right.
Holy
That's
moly.
right. Now
Forgot
that
about that.
An Aztec.
Oh, they're showing my Irish.
It doesn't matter.
Watch him get
won
mauled.
that game, Matt.
Whoa.
Oh my god, bro.
This is a big guy.
It wasn't the game from this
You
past
could
year.
see that
No, it was
future,
last
that
year.
running back on that screen be on the
Oh, I
Cleveland
remember
Browns
that
uniform.
game.
Just saying.
That Oregon game was from this year.
No, I don't think
Travion.
I don't think the Browns need an Ohio
I'd be
State
ecstatic.
guy.
There is some injury concern with Simmons, but
I'm a big-
you know
no, you're
he's a
going 36.
probably the most projectable tackle there is.
I keep forgetting that.
That'd be a great, I think, because I think over Judkins definitely, because I think Henderson has that breakaway speed.
Yeah.
And even to mix a little bit of that power.
So you've seen what? Is this the second Ohio State guy to go in the draft?
It's the
Yeah.
third. Donovan
Third.
Jackson.
Donovan Jackson, Tyleek Williams,
Oh,
and
fourth. Egbuka.
Ibuka too.
Ibuka.
4.
No, wow, the Ohio State guys. I thought
They
Michigan
beat
would
out
have
the
had more.
Michigan guys.
Michigan
Yeah,
had-
because Will Johnson fell out of the first.
Michigan had
Will Johnson fell out
3.
first, but Michigan had 3. Grant, Loveland, and
Graham.
Mason Graham.
Georgia had 3 as well, I think.
I thought Michigan would
Adam
have had
Schefter-
Ohio State beat there.
Adam Schefter tweeted something about that actually. Like the SEC had something like they
Just
either
means
tied
more
or
in
they
the
broke a
SEC.
record.
But the,
My
com-
God,
the
I
conversation,
swear,
the
if I see
conversation
one
now,
more thing on my Instagram about Shadur Sanders not going in the first round, I'm gonna throw my
The
phone.
conversation
DJ, you want to
has
see
to
something
be
about Shadur Sanders on
Cleveland.
Instagram, though?
Is it no context Philly? I saw. Yeah, I know. I saw it already.
Keep it
the
open mind.
conversation immediately now shifts the first
Why
round.
would you draft
The first round over.
Yeah.
What do the Browns do
QB
at
factory.
33?
I think if you gave me the option here, I like having the choice between the quarterbacks. I think for me, though, when you really look about it, it comes to the coaching staff. Tommy Rees is the offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. He coached Jalen Milroe. If anybody is going to know how to fix him and develop him at the NFL level, it's going to be his college coach.
I mean, you have 2 of the first 4 picks. You could take Luther Burden. Like I don't think the Texans are going to bite on a quarterback, and I don't think the Titans could bite on a quarterback. Now there could be some trade-ups, but you could go Luther Burden and then address the quarterback situation with that 36th overall pick, and you could literally get another receiver. Because I feel like Luther Burden could go to the Titans.
I think at this rate here, I mean, they signed Tyler Lockett. However, it is a 1 year. I think, though, for Cleveland, quarterback's a bigger issue. And if you have the opportunity to pick a guy that kind of gives you that athleticism like Lamar Jackson that Andrew Berry in his press conference kind of mentioned, I think you got to go Milroe first. But there are still some in the organization that like Sanders as a prospect. I think either or here, I think best case scenario, you didn't have to give up any draft capital, and if you get a receiver with that 36 pick, to me, depending on who it is, it makes that Hunter trade so much worth it.
Well, I mean, I feel like Shadur Sanders as a prospect for the Cleveland Browns is really good. I don't know. I feel like he brings that mobile.
Quit rage baiting me. No, I don't.
The mobility to the Cleveland
Quit
Browns.
rage baiting me, Dom. I know what you're doing.
I'm not. I'm just saying. He's a
You
good
know what would be
prospect.
even funnier if the Steelers traded up?
With the Browns.
The Steelers don't have a second-round pick.
Yeah,
they
we
don't pick
don't.
till the 83rd.
Oh.
You got some picks next year.
Oh,
They do.
Oh, what a shame that is. That means Shadur might be off the
Or
board.
no,
before
the
the
Steelers
can
trade
get
up
him.
for Tyler Shough.
Oh no. You know, I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool with that.
That would not be
low-key.
half
It's,
bad.
oh, man.
Because that means Shadur. No, that means Mason Rudolph can play a few games.
Oh, Mason. Oh, I know Joey and Quinn are going to be happy about that.
I'm happy about it.
You know what? Now,
This is
I'm
the best
starting to fully warm up with the Mason Graham pick. I mean, that was me early in the year, but I didn't think it was going to happen. But you know
That's a
what?
great pick.
Looking at it
I
now,
think Mason Graham is an amazing.
Oh, you can't be mad at that at
safest
all.
pick in the draft.
By the way, I want to mention the Eagles tried to do a trade with the Chargers to get Campbell earlier before the deal fell apart.
Oh.
Well, they saved themselves, to be fair.
I mean, RJ, you got to think. Adding Mason Graham to that roster with Myles Garrett, that will definitely help.
It
to
was a
address-
horrible interior defensive line. I think getting that Graham pick was huge, and I think if you were to trade anybody for Hunter in that situation, I mean, if we're talking picks, not necessarily
I
player
think
for player, Mason Graham would be probably my top option.
Specifically
So I
going
can't-
against
Yeah.
Baltimore.
In that second rounder, you get the choice of potentially running backs.
Yeah, you do.
Or
That is a
receivers.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
You'd probably be running backs. Cleveland, especially if the Chubb question mark right now, I think running back, if you have a chance to get a guy like Henderson, you take the bullet.
I mean, that helps to address Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry every year. I mean, just one more guy to try to stop them.
What, Jalen Milroe and Travion Henderson versus Lamar and Derrick Henry?
No, Mason Graham and Myles Garrett.
I mean, Will Johnson's still on the board, Mike Green's still on the board, and Nick Eamonworthy's still on the board. And same with Donovan Ezeraku. All players that we thought could be picked in the first round. We are going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Brett, if you want to send us off as you started us off.
Yeah, I do think the biggest storyline going into tomorrow, Shadur Sanders still on the board for any team willing to get him. That is going to do it for the reaction show coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. Give it up, guys. This phenomenal the whole night down here in the War Room. I want to give the biggest thanks to my co-host, Matt Foley. We had an amazing time. All the guys upstairs on the main show. Everybody here in the reaction show. Huh? The higher-ups up there. I want to thank our GM, Anissa Gallo. Our new GM, Max Clark, who just showed up down there.
Hey.
Shout out to him.
We also want to thank our sports director, Cam Scott, who helped put this all together. And we want to thank our
sports producer, Joey Bray.
Sports producer Joey Bray, and who's
Eric Nuttall.
Yeah, Eric Nuttall, Nick Kretz.
Nick Krautzis. Nick Krautzis is the reason this room looks
Yep.
like it does right now.
Shout out Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
We love you, Nick.
And then Madison Cook as well. Everybody here at U92 just did a
We put on an
phenomenal
amazing
job
show.
Absolutely.
putting this together.
shout out to everybody here as well. Obviously, a lot of heart and dedication, Matt. Your binder kind of shows that also. I think round of applause for everybody. This is one of kind of the biggest kind of events that U92 puts on all year. So I think everybody being here, showing out, putting out great coverage is great stuff, guys.
Yep. Good job, guys.
Over 4 hours and 45 minutes we've been on air between YouTube and the radio. It has been a great show, and we are going to send us off right now. Thank you for showing up.
So much for watching.
Tune in next Wednesday for our usual sports night on 91, last one of the year on 91.7 FM WU Morgantown.
Thank you, Sonny Weaver Jr.
Good night.